everyone, and welcome to the ALGS EMEA Pro League broadcast. It's match day number 6, and I couldn't be more excited to be here alongside everyone that we'll be bringing in later today. But this is where we're going to see groups B and C meeting again for just the second time. That means we've got the likes of Alliance, Vexed Gaming, Fire Beavers, and even Aurora that will be fighting for their top spot on the leaderboard. The last time these two groups met up, it was Alliance who found themselves at the top of the leaderboard, but will they be able to run it back a second time? So many talented teams that we're going to witness today, but even better, I have a talented duo that will be joining me. It's going to be the legendary Vicky, Kitty, and Fallout. Fallout, how you feeling today?
Feeling fantastic, Tiff. Great to be joined alongside the two of you once again, and cannot wait for the action today. Is Alliance indeed the best team in Europe, or is it Ascend? Is it KCP? We'll find out today. We'll see how they perform overall. Obviously, the former Alliance will be performing and competing alongside IG and Vexed and so many others today. Vicky, a lot of storylines today, a lot to be excited about. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I mean, we are going on to day number 6. We got basically 3 days left after today, so a lot of these teams need to be rearing to get all the points they need so that way they can qualify for land in playoffs. So it's going to be a great day of action.
Great day of action, and I can't wait, but let's go ahead and look at a detailed list of who will be competing today. Like I said, it's going to be groups B versus C, and the first name that jumps out to me, not because they're at the top left of the screen, it's going to be Alliance. And the last time Alliance played in groups B versus C, they were playing with the sub Mandy, but this time it's going to be Effect joining them for the second time and let me just say, I've been watching a lot of their gameplay, and Effect fits this team so incredibly well. But Fallout, love to hear your thoughts about this today.
Yeah, completely agreed. Alliance really, I think in this list is in an S tier of their own, in my opinion. But right behind them, or right close next to them, is IG, Aurora, and Vex. That's kind of the A tier. Right behind them, kind of a B tier. Notable mentions, Fire Beavers, E6, Nightmare, Totem, Foot. And then there's some dark horse squads. Teams like VZN, who have been trending upwards. And then lastly, teams that must perform today, Game Ward, Scars, and Navi. Eyes on them as they're in the bottom 10 right now. But let's take a look at the overall standings as well, Vicky. Certainly a lot to talk about here. And the overall standings so important because you mentioned it earlier, playoff implications plus regional final implications.
And if you want to stay in here too, you want to be able to stay so that way you don't have to relegate to qualifiers and play against all of our heavy-hitting challenger circuit teams like we've been seeing a lot of these other squads that have been able to qualify into the Pro League really make a way. But, you know, another team that you didn't mention actually, follow Aurora, popping off with a very interesting composition. You can see them sitting 3rd overall for our standings. And this is a squad that right now are leading the way right above Alliance, who are also one of our more consistent teams like you were mentioning.
It's kind of interesting when I take a look at this, you only see approximately 5 points between like 9th and I believe 18th place. So all of these teams on the cusp of getting into that regional final and wanting to stay there. But today's stakes at hand, someone's going home with 25 points. So you want to find yourself at the top of the leaderboard at the end of the day to make sure that you're getting as many points as you can make sure that you get a spot in that regional final. Because like you said, Vicky, the top 20 teams will be advancing to that, and the winner automatically qualifies for the split 1 playoffs, which at the end of the day is what these teams are fighting for. But we were chatting about some of the specific teams to watch, and I know that we've spent some time and kind of put together a few of them in particular. And Fallout, I want you to kind of kick us off with that in your team to watch.
Yeah, I mean, we already highlighted there's a lot of teams to keep an eye out for, a lot of storylines here. But for me, it's Invictus Gaming. I want to see how this team performs. Last time we saw them in the Pro League, they played really, really well. A 2nd place finish overall, just a few points behind Gaming Gladiators. They could have taken 1st. It's taken some time for this team to mesh, as any team coming together does, with the pickup of Graceful, former Nessie teammate of JMW. Well, they're starting to mesh. They're starting to roll, and it looked really, really great. Noise is IGLing this team. With Graceful being able to co-IGL and take some of the weight off his shoulders is a really, really good fit. Obviously, big shoes to fill in Bryn, and they said, let's not try and fill those shoes. Let's instead find someone who can complement and bring their own strengths to this team, and that was Graceful. This was that last game where they popped off with some great calls overall. I have my eyes on Invictus Gaming, 2 keyboard and mouse players with a controller player in JMW IG today. Vicky, who you got?
I gotta say, my eyes are on E6 because they had a standout performance day number 1 where they accumulated 60 points overall, which has allowed them to skyrocket in the overall leaderboards, sitting currently in 10th though. After they had that first day 1 performance, they didn't do so great versus the same group during day 4. Sitting 10th overall means that they're on the cusp of not making into playoffs, so today they absolutely need to perform. But not only that, this is a team that also had a very interesting composition. They brought in the Lifeline after incorporating Life in, bringing in Nim from Horizon Union, but running this lifeline isn't really working out for them. I'm expecting this team to change things up now, as they're going to be able to bring in the Valkyries here on Horizon, changing things up to see if maybe this is going to allow them to have a lot more results, because they absolutely need to perform today if they want to be comfortable.
Speaking of another team that needs to perform today, it's going to be my team to watch. That's going to be Vexed Gaming, the trio previously known as Bosch, consisting of Unlucky, Matafe, and Tyler FPS. And I had the chance to sit down and chat with Tyler regarding their performance thus far in Pro League Split 1, and they're not necessarily happy with what's been happening. 24% of their points have been attributed to placement points alone, with 76% of that being those kill-heavy elimination points. And they're very aware that the majority of their points are coming from those eliminations. But if you've been watching this team, you know that that's their strong suit, their micro-fighting style, and that is what they are aware of. So the thing is, they want to make sure that they're prioritizing their rotations and getting into those final zones and getting some more of those placement points to couple with the elimination. But will they be able to do it here today? That is the question. Let's go ahead and look, though, because we're going to be changing some things up. Let's look at that map rotation, kicking things off World's Edge, match 1 through match 3. Then we're going to be jumping on over to Storm Point to end out the day. And, you know, we like to keep things a little bit surprising, right? I mean, come on. But we're going back to that old favorite, World's Edge. But you know what's even better when you're watching Apex Legends? It's watching it how you want to play. You can watch all of the action your way with the award-winning multi-view. Let's say you want Alliance on one side, Vexed Gaming on another, and you want to keep up with the Fire Beavers. This is the best way to do it, because you can pull up and hear each individual team's comms. You can watch their rotations from start to finish, or hey, maybe even host a little watch party of your own. So track them along throughout the games here today. Get an inside scoop of their loot and weapon choices. Watch Apex Legends how you want to, and catch all of the action from beginning to end with multi-view. So, if you already didn't get enough with that map schedule, the rotations, and multi-view your way, let's go ahead and cut to a really fun moment that I've been enjoying throughout this broadcast. It's going to be What's in Your Pack, brought to you by WD Black. We've seen digi threats, we've seen all of the cool moments, but today's moment is going to kind of be brought together by a Horizon, a gravity lift, and I believe it's a gold knockdown shield fallout.
That's right. Indeed it is. No longer self-rezzing, thank goodness, for at least esports and competitive Apex. But now, obviously, the res for bonus health and shield, basically half health, half shield when res. And here's a moment, it's kind of a hilarious moment, to be honest. It was like bouncy house here for VZN. One by one, they were pushing on high ground, just being a nuisance, trying to take God spot from Ascend. Not able to do so. And they ended up taking a lot of pressure. Nags goes down, gets res, but then using that gold knockdown shield is able to res his teammates, and that buys him a chance to reset. And, you know, Ascend ends up focusing elsewhere, Vicky, and with that gold knockdown shield res, Nags was able, or I think it was Zane, able to rat his way to a top 2 finish.
Yeah, you called it a balance house, and it was basically a scene out of a circus, because not only were they juggling bodies back and forth so that way they could help their sustainability and stay alive, but like you mentioned before, you could see Zane all the way to the south with little to no health. He pops a shield bat at the very end, and then Horizon gravity lifts himself all the way up to the high ground to get out of the chaos that is going to happen between Ascend and Aurora. After being able to get that quick reset with the knockdown shield, you could see that Zane was able to hang out in the back end and actually ride their way to second place after getting out of the stray of this entire fight.
Yeah, and that's the difference, Vicky, between a second place and a 4th place finish. You know, 9 placement points compared to 5. I mean, huge difference. That ended up making a big difference for VZN overall. Zane with the rat play, able to survive, make it to late game TIF. A really crucial moment for VZN.
You really called it perfectly. I know we've had the digi threat, and today was the gold knockdown, but I'd be really curious to see what will end up in next week's moment. But that's all for today in WDD Black's What's in Your Pack. This is the moment where we're going to focus on the next matter of business, where I get to turn the tables on Fallout. Before we go, Fallout, I need to know kind of what you're specifically thinking. I believe last week we had Alliance come out on top, but who do you have pegged to take home the victory here in map number 1?
I love it. Listen, you can turn the tables all you want. I'm ready for hot takes. All right, that's what I do here. No, I'm just joking. I got, personally, my prediction to win it all in map 1 and actually the overall day. I'm just going to actually one-up that. It's going to be Alliance. I think, obviously, a lot to prove here. I think their stock is only rising with a pickup of effect. The 17-year-old Russian controller player recently relocated with his mom, and it's really awesome to see how they've been performing since picking up effect. So I think Alliance is going to win. A big discussion on who's the best team in Europe right now. Is it clearly Ascend? Is it KCP? I think Alliance is going to come out and make a big statement today. I think they're going to take it. Vicky, who you got?
All right, you know what? I'm so glad Tiff put you on the spot, follow, because I'm tired of this. You always put me on the spot too, but you know what? It's always the best, because then at the very end of the broadcast, we get to compare which of our picks always comes out on top. I gotta give it to Aurora, because I honestly, I got that bias towards the very unorthodox composition between the Mad Maggie, the different swap off between the Bloodhound and Seer that we get to see on World's Edge, since that's what we're gonna be starting off today. It's always very interesting to see how this squad has been able to perform so well, be third in the overall leaderboards in EMEA, and they have that one single point above Alliance. But I'm excited here, because obviously after seeing all the action that went down between Aurora, Alliance, of course, Ascend having an insane day number 5. This is day number 6, and again, we only have 3 days left before these squads get to prove which of them are going to be making it over to land.
Hey, and that's what it's all about. But let's go ahead and see. We talked about the future of what we expect today. These are some really critical moments from when groups B and C met up the last time. We know that Scars came out with that map 1 victory, but couldn't put things together throughout the history. Horizon looked really good, but Alliance at the end just came out on top. And you can see right here, walk us through the series results from their last meetup.
Yeah, well, it was Alliance dominating in Mandy's last week playing with this team, I believe, or second to last week. A really, really great showing from them, and Mandy got to ride the white horse into the sunset, which is what you love to see for the streamer, content creator, and absolute demon in Mandy. But no, the other story here is Scars. They need to perform today. They're currently in 20th or 21st place overall, and they had a really, really good matchup in this grouping. And much like we saw Ascend with a really good Group A versus C matchup, able to go back-to-back and perform again. I'm looking for Scars to have to go really, really big here. They need a big day here, Vicky. Like they had last time.
Yeah, just like Alliance too. I mean, not Alliance, sorry. Horizon actually, who tied up with Scars. They also had a very good day, number 3 in the same group, where they got 3rd place, and they also closed out that day in a very strong performance, getting 1st place with 11 KP. And let's not forget, that was on World's Edge, so this squad definitely looks comfortable on World's Edge. I'm excited to see what the difference is going to look like between some of these teams that are starting on World's Edge versus the teams that felt way more comfortable starting on Storm Point rather instead.
And I love that you brought that up, because that is going to be the change of the day. We are kicking it off on that ever familiar World's Edge map. So those teams that you highlighted that are, of course, that feel more confident on World's Edge, if you can really get some momentum going throughout the first 3 games, you might be able to carry that success throughout on Storm Point. And that's where I'm kind of like, which team is going to come out on top? Will it be Vex Gaming? Can they make some moves to get some placement points to associate with their elimination heavy side? But also Fire Beavers, I got to witness a little bit of them in scrims, and their micro fighting was incredibly well. But look at the time. This is where it all starts. Game number 1 is here. So Fallout, Vicky Kitty, take it away.
Thank you so much, Tiff, and hello everybody. Welcome to Game 1. Welcome to ALGS Pro League. Day number 6, halfway past the halfway point actually in Pro League, so a point where every team needs to perform to try to make it into top 20, to make it to that regional final, an additional last Pro League day to earn more points. The goal overall is top 10. It will qualify for the Split 1 playoffs. I'm followed out alongside Vicky Kitty. Vicky, Game 1 is here. What are you most excited about?
I'm excited to see how this is going to play out at the very beginning of the World's Edge to Storm Point swap off.
Yep.
I feel like this is going to be so important, very similar to what Tip was saying. Momentum is a key for a lot of these squads that don't rely on sitting in final circle positioning. The squads that like to play more edge works into some compositions better than others, and I feel like that's going to be super important with some of the teams like E6, if we highlighted, making swaps to their composition. They're no longer running the lifeline, something that was very interesting to see at the very beginning of the EMEA Pro League, but now rocking the Seer, Horizon, and Valkyrie. So a lot of these other compositions playing way more into playing off of the edge, trying to find any stragglers, and trying to see how that's going to work out in favor for some of these squads that need to secure a lot of these points, not only with placement, but with KP.
That's right. I love that call out. Switch to World's Edge is huge. Some teams, well, they actually prefer and favor World's Edge, and you heard Kashera in his interview last week. What a great interview that was. But you heard him speak in particular to World's Edge, the importance of starting strong. And if you start strong, and if you're good at World's Edge, you have a chance to start strong. You can gain momentum. You can have a snowball that ends up turning into an avalanche and just kind of carry the rest of the way through. So we'll see if teams can go on full tilt here with World's Edge and really, really gain momentum that they need going into Storm Point. Taking a look at the overhead map here, it's, cookie cutter, what you expect. Looks like no major 50-50s, no one dropping Geyser. I think that Climatizer fight between Na'Vi and Echo will be fairly civil. I don't think we'll see a lot of 50-50s early.
Yeah, definitely agree. There's the same could be said about Skyhook with E6 landing in trials, splitting that up in the east side of Skyhook with V2, who are going to be able to rotate it very easily into this north circle that we're going to be seeing first off. Also expecting that beacon building north of Fragment West to be heavily contested early, because we do see that beacon easily contested for that next line of information from that next circle scan. So we're going to see a lot of these squads like BZN as we get to tune into one of our teams. This is the squad that is also running the very similar composition that we've been highlighting other squads in the EMEA region that have been running. The Horizon, the Seer, and the Valkyrie that has been such a mainstay comp in this region.
That's right. Taking over Overlook for Scars, who was notorious for dropping there. They switched over to Big Mod, so a lot of changes here. If you're used to watching LGS from last season, much like in North America, we saw a lot of teams kind of change up their drop spot. Same thing happened here in EMEA. Obviously, a whole new Scars roster, no longer playing with Mandy and RPR, and they're no longer dropping Overlook. VZN gets the entirety of the Overlook to themselves as we take a look and flip on over to Reply Totem, dropping on the south side of the map in launch site. They actually did a split drop. This is going to be a really good loot situation for Reply Totem, and I gotta say, I think it'll help them for these late games. They're going to get all of Dome, and they're going to get all of launch site to themselves, because no one's dropping Dome. They recognize that. They're taking that extra loot. Obviously, the one member of Reply Totem that drops down there, it's either Amaze or I think it's actually Jazz. Need to be careful for Foot or Scars not to come down and 3v1 him, but if they can get away with that loot, they're going to be in a really, really good position. You see it right now, all colorful shields.
And my favorite scope too, the 2x4, as we can already see an early fight happening over by the north side of Lava Siphon. I believe this is Corpa versus Nightmare Esports, who are looking to get as aggressive as they possibly can. What a great way for Nightmare Esports to start building up some aggression, but you can see them trying to fully send it onto this player. They left them literally one, so they're only seeing red, but they gotta watch out because Densei's got only 9 bullets in the R301. I mean, I get getting ahead of yourself, but sometimes you gotta call it quits if you need some extra loot.
Yeah, that's right. So that Lava Siphon drop is going to be split between Nightmare Esports, Corpa, and IG. So we have 3 teams dropping Lava Siphon. We said we might not see any early 50-50s, and we haven't, but guess what? That might change over these games because we have 3 teams in a really, really condensed area. Meanwhile, LFO Forever finds himself in the fight in the north side of the map here. It looks like they're going to be actually knocking a member of Scars early. That's Horizon knocks Scars. Taishin gets one on Light, so it's a 2v2, but Horizon goes down as well.
Oh, this is such a risky fight to take, though, on the east side of Fragment East. You already know, looking at the circle, that so many of the squads are going to make an appearance. BZN now looking to clean things up, and it's Scars that are the first squad to get eliminated here. Expect other squads to now make their way into this next circle, but with BZN taking control over this fight, they can quickly reset and take nice R301, a gold R301, one of my favorite weapons, to actually start off the game very strong.
That's right. And if this was about a minute and a half, 2 minutes later in this game, you wouldn't have expected this aggressive of a third party because people would have known that more teams have already rotated. But this is early enough in game where you can actually play, and you have to have that kind of mental clock in the back of your head that says, okay, we got about a minute left before teams will be rotating. And teams obviously are used to these scrim lobbies. They play against these teams. They know when teams rotate, how fast they rotate. They have that mental clock in their head. And VZN recognize, hey, we can third party this, get a couple kill points, get some great loot. VZN in a great spot. And I got to say, Vicky, VZN, just one quick note on them. They are continuing to emerge as a improving team that's gaining a lot of momentum. They picked up Nags, and ever since they've looked great. The new British duo in Zane and Nags looking fantastic alongside VJ, the Iraqian controller player. Really excited to see how they continue to progress.
Gotta agree right there too, because after their last game performance, they were able to elevate themselves in the overall leaderboards. They're sitting 21st, so they get to still stay for the split 2 of Pro League. And if it's only going to go up for here for BZN, who knows where they're going to be sitting by the end of the day today. As we take a look at Vex Gaming, they were taking some shots at E6, who took that jump tower, so that way they could get closer into that next circle. It looks like they're also wrapping around. They could easily circle keep Vex Gaming in that next circle if they already got that read on the next circle where it's for.
Yeah, that's right. And interesting enough, we were talking about Nags and switched over to E6. Nags, the former third controller player for Element 6 alongside Slayers. Not sure exactly what happened on that roster, but a little bit of a change up after Champs. Nags leaves. They pick up Liffin, I believe Polish controller player on this team. And it looks like they're going to back out and hit reset on these train tracks because guess what? Alliance is there, and you got to know Alliance is nearby. They always are a hard edge fighting team and actually running Mad Maggie. So a change up in team composition. Its effect on Mad Maggie here. You know they're going to be playing edge. You know they're going to be looking to fight.
Yeah, they landed Thermal Station. They also had the hot spot, so they were able to get a lot of great loot exiting out of Thermal Station while they were making this rotation right past staging at the moment. They're trying to shoot at E6, who are just trying to run away. Remember, there was that squad that was already by Lava Fisher. That was Vex. We probably already made the rotation to countdown since that's where the circle was at. So Alliance, we're taking some shots. They're not going to fully send it right now. They're going to hold this spot right now because this is them claiming the space for the beacon. So they denied that opportunity for E6 to get that information, and Alliance are going to be able to continuously make this rotate into where they've predicted the next circle is going to be pulling. But I love the swap up in the Mad Maggie composition. This makes it our second squad, I believe, in the EMEA region Fallout that is running the Mad Maggie here.
That's right. I actually, you'd love to see it. A lot of teams have been running Mad Maggie as of late. Well, sorry, I wouldn't say a lot, a few. And Maggie is kind of trending upwards overall. But that's one thing I got to say about Alliance. I've always really respected their ability to really have a diverse play style, run diverse team compositions that fit their team's play style. Hockey's, again, I give him credit often, is one of the best IGLs in Apex. He's been given a variety of teammates over the years, and he adjusts his IGLing. He adjusts his leadership style to his teammates. There's a concept called KYP. Know your personnel. Know what your team is capable of. Know their strengths. Know their weaknesses. And I love that Alliance is able to really reflect that, in effect being an absolute demon on controller, and they're changing their play style to play a lot more hard edge. And with Mad Maggie in the hands of Effect, I think they can be dangerous.
Absolutely, and they've had a lot of great results with Effect in the past too, with other third-party tournaments that they've been able to perform in. So they've also gotten a good amount of practice with Effect, incorporating him into this lineup as we look at some of the other squads that are playing outside of Circle. LFO Forever, one of our other teams, rocking the Crypto and Watson, another team composition that we've been seeing very frequently actually in the APAC region. Always interesting to see how the different compositions play out between region or region. We don't really get to see that very often in NA, basically little to no Crypto at all here. But LFO just going to make their next move.
Oh, Lockie's going to get knocked, though. Mistimed the med kit just barely, so but they'll be fine. Obviously, it's only zone 1, not taking a ton of damage. Keep in mind, this is the same LFO squad that actually lost Light, lost Horizon. Lackey was able to get all of the banners, recover them deep in zone in Geyser, which was unlooted, by the way. No one dropped there initially. A couple syringes dropped here early for Lackey, so he'll be able to heal back up. Then they'll leave with some decent loot in terms of meds that they need to get, but they're not going to be able to prioritize their shields, unfortunately. We'll see if they can get blue shields at least leaving the situation.
Yeah, looking a little rough. They need those meds. I mean, look at Lackey. He's only got one med kit, one syringe that he's already going to be able to use up. Yeah, they got the replicator right there, so now they're going to be able to restabilize. But once they exit out of the circle, maybe they could try to get that beacon that's in no name to the east side of Fragment East. Not expecting any squads to try to contest them, since I think the priority here for those squads in Fragment at the moment are to make sure that they secure a building, seeing that there have been a lot of Watsons in this lobby between the EMEA region. So trying to make sure you set up that perimeter is going to be a priority for those squads, so they don't really have to worry about getting circle kept once they make their way outside of Geyser.
That's right. They should be safe for now. We'll check back in on them and their journey a little bit later. Switching over to Game Ward. This is a team I've been pretty vocal about in broadcasts as a dark horse team coming into Pro League. How high is their high? How low is their low? We don't really know. It's a brand new team. YOLO, Aimbot, I think 17, 18, or 19-year-old French players that are new to the scene. One on keyboard and mouse, one on controller, and we thought maybe, just maybe, this could be the new kind of rising star squad playing with Psychop, a seasoned veteran, former Le Site de France IGL. I love the pickup of these two, but they haven't performed up to expectation. This is a team that is in a must-perform scenario in, I think, 20th, 21st, or 22nd place. They will not qualify if the Pro League ended today for that regional final, and certainly for LAN, and they're close to relegation as well. So all eyes on Game Ward if they can emerge as a top French team here in EMEA. As we switching over to start a fight, one of our multinational team. I'm a big fan of Blast's and his career, his trajectory ever since leaving the original squad, which now became IG. He's found himself a really solid team with Doctor and Bambino, who's an absolute demon.
Yeah, start a fight. Another one of those squads that are on the cusp of the top 20. I believe they're sitting 19th overall in the leaderboards. Had a pretty average day the last time we got to see them perform in day number 5, and now looking to make a dent into the overall leaderboard so that way they can sit comfortably in the high end, since if they do poorly, they're at risk of being in the red, where they would have to relegate to qualifiers as we tune into Aurora of the other squad that is rocking the Mad Maggie. I do believe we have 4 Mad Maggies in this entire lobby, so it is nice to see a lot of other squads in the EMEA region try to take a page out of Aurora's book, because this was a squad that first started utilizing the Mad Maggie, and one of the only squads running the Wraith. I know you were very happy about that one, Fallout.
I was. I think they've abandoned Wraith ever since. But when they do run Wraith, they run it on Storm Point. We'll see if they do that here in Game 4. But for now, Maggie, Seer, and Valk. They're the team that really popularized it in the same way that in North America, Furia was the first team to run Fuse and Seer. Kind of started the Seer meta. Will Mad Maggie become a big part of the meta? We shall see. But certainly her stock is way up. 4 teams with Maggie, as you said. 5 teams with Crypto. 9 with Watson, of course, 10 with Seer, 11 with Horizon, 18 with Valkyrie with a 90% pick rate overall. We also have Fuse, Caustic, Bloodhound, and there's one Wraith on the map as well.
Yeah, I actually believe that one Wraith is Aurora, so it looks like they are sticking to that, at least on the World's Edge when it comes to
Oh, they are,
rotations.
okay.
Yeah, which is very interesting, obviously, when it comes to some of these rotations, obviously that get out of jail card being the Skyward Dive from the Valkyrie. The fact that Aurora doesn't have the Valkyrie means that they need to prioritize their rotations. Ranches takes a good amount of shots from the squad that's shooting at them at that choke point and leaving Harvester, but having to be very careful right here because this is where a lot of action could go down from the squads that are already taking control of the construction building over by Fragment West.
And these are two teams that want to fight, both rocking Mad Maggie, so it'll be a Maggie off here long range, a little bit of a standoff between Aurora and Alliance. Will they end up fighting? We shall see. Aurora, one of the only teams in all of ALGS to run a recon-less legend. What does that mean? Well, none of their legends are recon characters who can scan beacons. They don't even care about understanding where zone's going. They are committing fully to playing hard edge, unlike Alliance with Valkyrie, who can scan. And of course, it is a very, very different playstyle than what we're used to seeing. But will they fight against Alliance here? We shall see.
And what that really means, too, is that it allows them to get way more aggressive and to try to prioritize getting KP, to try to circle keep the squads like Alliance into getting into that next circle. Because in this case, looking at Alliance positioning, where can they go? They know that Aurora is to their left. They know that there's a squad in the construction building at the moment. I do believe that maybe E6, who is sharing some of that building space with Horizon. So the only other option here is to try to take that Skyward Dive, but actually cancels it out immediately. Maybe not happy about the fact that their head was elevated above that crate, so little to no cover that could have easily gotten canceled.
Yeah, perfect timing to pull up the map. I was going to make a point. With these Fragment East or West finishes, it is so difficult to be an edge team. Why?
Yeah.
Because all of the buildings are already taken. Teams are going to rotate early. They're going to secure their buildings. They're going to secure their positioning for late game. And good luck Valk ulting and finding God spot because the team is going to be camping with Watson or with some defensive legends. There's going to be a tough Valk ult that's going to come through for Alliance. We'll see where they end up. I'm interested to follow their journey here through this Valk ult if they take it, which they likely will here in a moment. Not sure where they're going to end up because there's not a whole lot of land available.
They have to take it. They have no other choice. If they decide to walk this in, they're going to get pinched by the squad like Nightmare Esports, who are off to their right past that choke point that you currently saw Alliance in. So I am expecting the Skyward Dive. We're just going to have to see where they end up going. Nightmare Esports, though, one of the squads that likes to take up some of these building spaces. Nice shots with the G7 with that 3-time scope. Gets the crack, at least closes in the gap right now without getting pressured out. But again, they are in the line of sight of other squads like Aurora to their left and E6 that have that construction building side. Game Ward, though, in a fight themselves. Psychop getting that knock.
Oh, that's massive. It's a 3v3 fight between Game Ward and Vexed Gaming, and I think it's a clean 3v3. No third party just yet. Tyler, last alive for his team, is in a 1v2, I believe. This will be an early exit and a big surprise here if Game Ward is able to finish. Tyler with the Kraber in his hands, needs to make a play, hits the body shot, but that's not going to be enough here. Vexed is out to the hands of Game Ward, a team that we said needs to perform today. Well, guess what? They just performed against the #1 kills leader in all of EMEA, but the third party will come through, and that'll be goodbye and goodnight likely here as the Fire Beavers will capitalize.
Yeah, Game Ward in such a difficult position, an easy spot to get third party here on the edge of the circle. As you can see, the circle closing into their backs. Fire Beavers, though, backing up from this fight themselves. They don't want to get circle kept because this is a position where they're going to have to give up high ground, and they're going to be in the line of sight of any of the squads that are rotating from the east side of the map away from Fragment East.
That's right. Game Ward, I think, will survive, but it's a three-way fight. It's Na'Vi, it's Fire Beavers, and Game Ward. Game Ward survives for now, has one player left, I believe. And it looks like Fire Beavers and Na'Vi will be able to hit reset as well, so both of them were able to join in on that KP. This is our only Fuse team, one of our few Fuse teams on this lobby, and there's going to be the final full kill on Rugby of Na'Vi. So Na'Vi actually takes one casualty. Fire Beavers is the king of the hill. They'll be the last ones to survive.
I think they're trying to get one last straggler, actually, from Na'Vi who managed to get away. I'm not too sure who that one rat is, as Game Ward unfortunately get deleted. They try to exit out of that circle, but right into the hands of that lava. Corpa get taken out as well. And if you take a look at this circle here, Fallout, this is going to be chaotic. Fire Beavers are in a pretty good spot, but we've seen the circle sometimes end on top of that bridge, which means that there's going to be little to no cover for a lot of these squads that are rocking the Watson. But that crypto is going to definitely come in clutch when it comes to negating that Seer ult that's going to be coming out at the very end.
That's right. Look how much of this final circle is the center lava from the split of Fragment to east and west. It'll be a brutal late game. You called it perfectly, Vicky, but one team that has been brutal in this mid game has been Fire Beavers in terms of their ability to third party, pick up kills along the way, and they have 6 kills to their name. Not done yet. The Fuse Q is going to come through, and just like that, more damage will be done. Nades will follow. This is why Fuse is so powerful. This is why we've seen so many teams rocking that Fuse to success, and just like that, Fire Beavers gets another kill to their name.
I get tilted sometimes when that knuckle cluster comes out. It's all the massive damage that comes in to clear up so much space from that Fuse Tactical. Now Fire Beavers, though, putting themselves a bit in the middle by that marketplace. They need to fully send it on this squad. After getting that knock, they're going to be able to go all the way in. The black hole coming in as well from OJ Ryan, and he's going to be able to move in off the back end. Nice split push here from both the Fire Beavers members.
That's right, but 2 members are going to go down. OJ Rain going to be the last alive, a 1v1. He's going to connect for 1, needs to win this. Somehow with 20 HP, that's going to be it. Fire Beavers gets eliminated. V2 survives. We talked about French teams. V2 trying to prove that they're one of the best French teams in EMEA, as Zidane, Joke, and co will survive that fight against FB.
See the black hole coming in right here too, as V2 need to go for a quick reset. Wondering who that straggler is off to the side that's trying to contest V2, but congratulations to V2, not only taking care of Fire Beavers, but with that rotation behind them, they're able to get in a way better spot and avoid getting pinched, very similarly to what happened to Fire Beavers when they just pushed a little too far forward.
A wee body landed nearby.
Keep following V2 here. As the team that took out the kill leader in the lobby, Fire Beavers. 11 squads remain, and again, we mentioned these fragment finishes are certainly brutal, as you don't have a ton of availability, a ton of real estate to your name to be able to survive, and the teams that already rotated early have that positioning. Teams that play edge, well, this V2 is one of them. They're still alive and well. And then you take a look at the top ticker on your screen, all those scrolling team names, you can see who's still alive, who's still in it. Well, guess what? IG is one of them. We know they're a team that likes to rotate early and find positioning, and you better believe they're one of these teams that have gotten one of the god spots in this map.
Na'Vi finally out too. Sonya was able to wrap for a really long time after losing out on 2 of their members in the very early portion of that fight that happened before that last circle closed out. Nightmare Esports, one of my favorite teams, honestly, to watch right here, because they've been very interesting in changing up their own game plan, whether it be fighting edge or trying to settle down inside some of these buildings, but they are literally in the middle of the fight, in the chaos. They know that their backs are closed off, so they don't have to worry about any squad obviously being on the top of the construction building site, so they're playing off the high ground with other squads playing right underneath them.
That's right, this will be a tough rotation. I'm interested to see how they play it. Let's jump into our first listen of the EMEA Pro League today, presented by WD Black.
Marcele, no. 3.
Już.
Syringa nie macie nadal, tak? Nie, ja też nie mam.
Nie.
Zobacz.
Ja medkita chyba kupuję na to.
No
Nie
to
wiem.
nie daj medkita, kurwa.
Dobra, masz.
Słuchajcie, klejmbują znowu. Wiesz?
Oddaję
szukają
noka
nas
złotego. Limek.
Ja wezmę, bo ja odsłonką.
Dobra, graj ty. Słuchajcie, plan jest taki. Musimy prawo jakoś zabić, dobra? Oni dojadą teraz. Musimy prawo
Dalej
kurwa
piłę
wejść.
tutaj.
Od tej strony,
Lecą,
dobra?
open. Stuwa pierwszy, horizon.
Leży! Nice.
Dobra, leżą.
Od prawej, dobra, od prawej. Możemy stać długo tutaj, chodźcie, do mnie, do mnie.
bardzo długo.
Ja nie mam ulta jeszcze.
Wszystko zero.
Daję skana zaraz.
Możemy bić wszystko, panowie.
Ultuję.
Gaustik crack.
Przed nami. Chodźcie na nich.
Go, bieg, pierdolcie się. Na mnie. 0-1 knock. 0 drugi knock. Nice.
Ja padam.
Nie dostańcie knocka. Go do przodu.
Idźcie do przodu, do binów, Seven.
Do binów.
I pralę musisz postawić. Schowaj się pinieć.
Nie mam prali.
Stoi tu. Ja szukam medów, kurwa. Nie ma.
Box pusty, bez medów.
Ja healuję syringem. Utrzymaj się, to jest zajebista gra.
Możecie wygrać tę grę jako duo nawet.
Ja cię piknę zaraz, chyba.
Nie pikniesz mnie w tym zonie.
Zrobię to.
Masz wspierę?
Typy są na dole, Sereni. Wspieraj,
A mamy w sumie, no.
Kraka ma.
Idę po ciebie.
Walka flash.
That's insane. Oh my god, they're gonna res him?
And there you have it. Nightmare Esports showing some love to the Polish Apex community with our top Polish team. Denze last alive. Gonna get that shield bat off, which will keep him alive for now. We'll see if he can heal back to full. He's getting absolutely griefed right now by this squad. The Valk Q comes through. JMW connects for a knock of his own. IG is very well positioned. I'd love to do a quick scan around to see where other teams are on this map. But right now, very well poised are Alliance and IG, I believe, in this one. Yeah,
Nightmare
this,
is going
Reply Totem.
crazy right now here too. They're also gonna get the res, the gold knockdown. Reply Totem gets the knock here right underneath underneath with E6. Reply Totem being able to take this high ground here too, Paula, is such a good spot. Although they are gonna have to worry about the squad that's probably holding the high ground across the bridge, they're gonna be able to hold this advantage with the Watson fences here as too. So the Horizon Q is gonna be able to go all the way up. You're gonna have to worry about the gravity lift with some of these squads, but the Watson fences are gonna be able to negate any sort of pressure for any of these squads that want to delete them from this building.
That's right. We missed the Alliance Valkyrie, but they found themselves in center map anyways. 2 members alive, though. Effect's going to have to do something insane. He gets knocked. Hockey's the IGL, the captain of this team, last alive. But guess what? It's IG taking the positioning from them. Effect got a knock on JMW. Nightmare was somehow able to res back to full. 7 squads remain, but IG will be taken out.
Oh, and you get the replicator for some natural cover. IG getting taken out is great news for Reply Totem because that was the squad that was holding the high ground on the other side of the bridge. The circle closing in right behind their back, so they have to exit eventually. They're going to get funneled out into the line of sight of the likes of Nightmare Esports playing underneath on the low ground.
6-8 picks up one in the kill feed as well. VZN still alive and fragging. They get 2 kills to their name. Sharp gonna have to do something insane. The Italian, what can he do? 20 HP left. Gets the shield swap. Yes, he does, and manages to maybe get the res as well. But there's too much chaos right now. Jazz still alive, but VZN is center map frying with 12 kills. They are picking up right where they left off last tournament. Vicky.
VZN popping up like you were talking about before. They needed to perform, and they're doing just that with Nags being on this roster. They clean up Reply Totem. This leaves 3 squads left. Alliance being only Hockey's the solo. Nightmare Esports versus VZN, and it's looking like VZN are trying to take this with open arms.
Talk about the way that they're doing it. They're untouched. Look at their health right now. Zane finally gets tagged up, but overall, VZN did that with relative ease, given how brutal of a late game zone that was. I don't know how they pulled that off. What a game for VZN. We highlighted them perfectly. Their stock is rising. They're getting better and better each Pro League day, and it is showing VZN with a pop-off game number 1.
They needed that, and they're going to be able to stay with that consistency on World's Edge. I'm excited to see what VZN's got in store for us because they had a heavy KP win game in that game number 1.
That's right. I can't wait to take a look at the stats here. We know they at least had 12, and I think they picked up at least 3, 4, or 5 more in the end there. So a first place finish. We might see another historic game for EMEA. They keep breaking each other's records with a 19 kill game being the current highest. 19 kill first place, by the way, for 30 plus points is the highest we've seen across NA and EMEA so far. It's been so impressive to see these EMEA squads absolutely frying in these lobbies, and VZN put on a clinic right there.
Yeah, it was fantastic to see them perform day number 5. We saw that VZN has gotten better and better, but to start day number 6 with such a heavy game number 1 Fallout, this is great news for VZN because let's not forget, they are on the cusp. 21 in the overall leaderboards right now, so they could potentially get relegated to qualifiers, but with a performance like that, absolutely not. They could find themselves skyrocketing in the overall leaderboards, maybe even hanging out in the cusp to try to perform for land.
Yeah, a lot of Pro League left to be played, that is for sure. VZN, the absolute elephant in the room, actually more like the 800-pound gorilla in the room. They just dominated. There's a lot more to break down. There's a lot more to talk about. We saw Alliance make it to late game. We saw Nightmare and a few others. And to help us break it all down, let's bring Tiff back into the equation.
Hey, thanks Fallout and Vicky. Bro, that was intense. I'm just sitting here on the edge of my seats. Not only was I super shocked when I saw Vexed Gaming go out in Epicenter to Game Ward and all the third parties ensuing, but I had also been keeping my eyes on Reply Totem, who made it through that late game, but I was not expecting VZN to go so hard. And to be honest, if we're gonna kick off World's Edge, let's go ahead and start it off with that fragment ending. You've got to deal with all the broken buildings, the lava, which makes things a little bit spicy. But Vicky, I'm so excited to jump in here with you. We're gonna send Fallout on a little bit of a break, so that means I get to steal the duo for at least 1 map.
All right, that's honestly amazing, Tiffany, because I love sitting alongside you, breaking down a lot of the action. You know, another team that honestly popped off at the very end there too, Nightmare, one of our qualifying teams to make it into this year 3 of the Pro League, have been having such a great performance with the very end game right there, clutching out on getting the res, the gold knockdown. We saw the res coming in from the mobile respawn beacon right there too. Fantastic showcase from Nightmare to also making sure that they could get top 5 at the very end of that game number 1.
Yeah, I was actually really shocked when they pulled off that res and I saw the gold knockdown. I was just sitting there, I'm like, this is textbook. We were talking about it in that what's in your pack moment, and we get to see it here utilized in effect. It was just really great because you mentioned that they were kind of always about the zone or like the edge, right? And they were in the dead center of the fighting using the Watson pheasants to kind of show presence and everything. So I was really shocked to see them be able to navigate from there, get the res off, and keep that rotation moving strong. But in the end, VZN come out on top in a dominating fashion. So will they be able to carry that into map number 2? That's the question.
Yeah, that's very true because VZN had a great performance in day number 5. They're looking to carry on that performance into day number 6, obviously with that heavy KP game and the dub for that first game here to open things up for our EMEA region. But it's like what Fallout was saying. It looks like records keep getting broken in the EMEA region day in and day out, and Ascend obviously leading the way with that with a 90-point day, and then ending things off in our last day of EMEA with triple digits. It's always nice to see, but VZN starting things off like that could easily do the same thing to Ascend.
I know that we were talking pre-broadcast about how much we've been enjoying all the games in the EMEA region, and that just goes to show you how much talent is in the teams here. So I'm just like, you're right, triple digits. They won 4 maps out of 6 in an entire day, and I'm just curious, can anyone kind of give Ascend a run for their money in that regards? But if anyone's to do it, hey, VZN can do it. I love that they brought in Nox, formerly with AIM Esports. I believe they also got team manager Darky from AIM Esports as well. That's going to be working with the VZN crew. So something is clicking with that team, and it's just really exciting to see.
Yeah, and another team that we actually saw sharing that building with Reply Totem on the high ground was E6, a team that we highlighted that changed up their composition. Looks like it's definitely working out a lot better for them than what we had seen in day number 4. As we take a look at some of these highlights, a lot of action happening in the Fragment East side. That early fight that we saw happen with a lot of squads making the rotation away from the southern part of the map. But a lot of that action actually went down in the choke points, leaving the Harvester area, leaving the Lava Siphon spot. And this fight that also happened over by Epicenter between Game War.
Yeah, this was really interesting, and I was kind of just sitting there holding tight because you guys know in the pre-show I was harping on Vexed Gaming as a team to watch, and they were making some changes, but it just seems like maybe you don't have to change things so drastically, but Fire Beavers coming in clutch with a third party there and then translating that all the way into frag and before going down. And then it was all Nightmare Esports for the majority of the mid game, just complete frag heavy, utilizing a lot of these supply bins here to kind of rotate through cover. But it was Reply Totem that had this building on lock with that replicator for some extra cover, and even putting Alliance in a little bit of a pickle here with Effect going down early, and Hockey is that IGL trying to clutch up, but unfortunately falling as well.
Yeah, Hockey's having to just rat this out in the middle of all the chaos. Yeah, the circle was closing in behind you, but this is actually an example of what happens when you go in for an early rotate into where you know that last circle is going to be. VZN, though, coming in clutch, not allowing a heal off to happen, allowing them to drop down, clean up that last straggler, and 19 KP? We talked about records being broken, but 19 KP, are you kidding me? Before VZN were able to close out that final game? Absolutely insane as we get to see more of the results play out in that second page. But they got the dub and 19 kills. Look at that gap already built up between first place and second place, where Nightmare is saying with 16 points, 31 points after that first game for VZN.
I mean, we talk about being consistent and that being a large portion of it and being key, but when you drop 31 points on your game number 1, that should be able to kind of hold you sturdy for at least 2 maps should you drop a donut or anything, not be able to continue that success. But I mean, hey, I don't want to curse it or anything. VZN needs to continue the domination. I'm looking at just this alone. Zane with 11 kills, 3,600 damage. You were talking early game, you know, about just treating this like ranked or pubs, but I mean, those are some numbers that you would see in like a ranked match, not a pro ALGS broadcast lobby. But hey, why not kick it off with a bang? VZN on top. And we had a lot of the teams that we highlighted. IG International coming in 7th place, still getting 7 points. V2 finding some kills throughout the way and getting 9 points. So, I mean, pretty dominating. Let's go ahead and look at page number 2. Navi holding that 11th place, and Fire Beavers. This is who I want to highlight. 7 elims, so getting 8 total points. Unfortunately, they did only get 1 placement point, but I'm really excited to see what today has in store for them.
Yeah, and they were actually coming from a pretty nice side of the circle. They were going to come across that squad that was holding onto the broken building on the outskirts of the bridge, but they kind of pushed a little too forward into Marketplace, where they weren't expecting another squad to leave out of the circle right behind them, so they put themselves in a pinching situation. Fire Beavers did have a heavy frag game, and that's going to be great for them in terms of momentum moving into game number 2. But can we talk about, I'm not over the 19 kill game that VZN had. Zane just said, all right, don't worry, hold my cereal that I just ate this morning. I'm just going to really quick drop almost a 4K out here. 3,600 damage. I mean, what a way to start things off for that squad.
Look, I don't want to say anything, but I still don't even have my 4K damage badge, and it's been 3 years, Vicky, and Man's out here doing it in ALGS. But let's take a look at the series results thus far. VZN, once again, that 31 points, looking so dominating at the top of the leaderboard. But let's talk about it. Nightmare Esports, Alliance still rounding that out. We know Alliance, I believe, are currently sitting in 3rd overall, and they've only got 3 game days played. So trying to solidify themselves a spot in that top 9, and definitely going to be potentially advancing to that regional final. Vicky, any thoughts?
I'm actually surprised to see Aurora on that second page getting 12. This is a team that I kept highlighting because this is a team that's also above Alliance, despite that 1 single point in the overall leaderboards. Was expecting a little bit better from them, at least going into that first game, since this is one of the squads that have incorporated the Mad Maggie first, as we've been seeing other teams in the EMEA region now bring out the Mad Maggie. We had 4 alone in that first game lobby. So interesting to see how Aurora has had a bit of a slow start, but again, that is just game number 1 on World's Edge. So we can expect some more of these squads to start ramping things up.
Hey, and that's the plan. We'll see if Mad Maggie comes out full swinging in map number 2. But before that, we're going to cut to a quick break. But when we come back, game number 2.
WD Black, the official storage partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back, everyone, to the ALGS EMEA broadcast. I'm your host, Spider Tiff, and we'll be joined alongside Vicky Kitty to bring you game number 2. But before that, we just had a commanding victory by VZN in map number 1. So if you guys missed it, please be sure to go back in the VOD and check that out, because it was pretty insane. They had 31 points.
Yeah, I can't believe the amount of damage output that Zayd put down in that first game. Almost getting a 4K badge. I mean, what a way to wake things up here in the EMEA region. Love to see it, but can they replicate it going into game number 2? As we can follow a little break. Okay, gotta make them jealous just a little bit, Tiff, as we go into game number 2. I'm super excited to kick things off again.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun, and I'm just curious to see kind of how this is going to happen. We saw Vexed Gaming go out early. Scars, I believe, was the first team eliminated in map number 1, so hoping for them to have some better success here in game number 2, because you don't want to go too far deep into the map series without any points. But we do know that Vexed Gaming is one of the most kill-heavy teams, with 76% of their points coming from elims alone, so I am not worried in any way, shape, or form. They're going to find success no matter where they go.
Yeah, and you know, something that we also have to highlight, aside from the obvious of VZN getting all the KP that they were able to get with those 19 kills, that means that that gap has started to build up very early after that first game. VZN sitting with 31 points and Nightmare Esports sitting in second with 16 points already puts a highlight to what we can expect before we close things off on World's Edge, because sometimes getting these early points on a map like World's Edge, where it is the comfort map for some of these teams, could be a huge difference into seeing how you're going to finish things off on Storm Point, where I feel like Storm Point, at least specifically, could help elevate the game plan for a lot of the teams that like to play more edge, because that has been the type of topic that we've been highlighting when it comes to the different compositions that help teams that allow them to sit edge versus sitting inside some of these buildings, like running the Watson composition.
Yeah, a lot of Watsons, but speaking of a lot of different legend compositions, we've seen a lot of Maggies. I was sitting back in my chair while you and Fallout were calling all the action, and I was just like, Mad Maggie, like I don't even remember if Alliance was testing Mad Maggie in scrims, and if I missed that, that's on me because I was like, that was a shock to me. I was not expecting FX to pick up the Mad Maggie.
Yeah, and I think it's great to be able to see the Mad Maggie being utilized because that's obviously a character that we haven't been able to see in a lot of these compositions. Usually when we talk about the LGS comps that we see in APAC, we see the Crypto, we see the Watson, we see the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie has been the mainstay legend in a lot of these teams. That get out of jail card with the Skyward Dive is so useful. And then you got Aurora out here not rocking a recon character, so not even having any beacon information, rocking the Wraith. I know Fall is extremely happy about that. Rocking the Wraith so that way you could rely on those rotations, the portal to get out of those tricky situations, and then playing more so the edge. So not only is it very risky for some of these circles for teams like Aurora to run a beaconless composition, just in terms of their comps that they're relying on, but the fact that they are now trying to contest other edge teams like Alliance sometimes into preventing them getting through these choke points so that way they could rely more on getting KP than placement points, which could be detrimental if they don't get that same type of placement points going into Storm Point.
That's true, but hey, you got to kick it off. We are going to be looking at map number 2 on World's Edge. But the thing you talked about the most, that Wraith, right? You said portaling back to get out of a dangerous situation. The way I like to utilize Wraith or watch players utilize Wraith is where they use the Wraith portal to portal into a fight to give them a little bit of that extra aggression. And with Aurora being extremely aggressive, I kind of want to see if they'll do that. But hey, while we wait and get match number 2 queued up for you all at home, let's go ahead and take a look back at that final circle from map number 1. Chaos was ensuing all over Fragment, and it came down to the bridge overlooking all of that lava. So many teams running out of space, and one of those teams being included, Alliance.
Yep, kind of in a bit of a pickle situation here because they were playing off the low ground. They were pitched between 2 other squads. This is the example of what happens when you go in for some of these early rotates where you know where that circle is going to be pulling because we've seen this final circle plenty of times before. But talking about getting out of a pickle situation, Nightmare Esports got the res. They get the revive as well with the gold knockdown shield. And Reply Totem had one of the best positions for a circle like this. Not only did it work better for their composition, but they were also able to pressure E6 from underneath their building.
Yeah, and I love their positioning throughout this, but as the ring really starts to collapse, it's forcing them off that high ground, which then turns into a really terrible position because they're not able to get into that bridge. Yes, Sharp right here, able to just use a little bit, get a bat off, and just prolong their life. Utilize that grab lift, as you can see on the top right hand of your screen, just to give them a little bit more oomph. But you know what? You can't really combat the aggressive nature of VZN here, who just seems to have everything going right for them. Their fights were on point. They're just 3v3ing incredibly well and just decimating every team in their line of sight.
And they came in from behind Alliance too, which is the most important reason as to why they were able to clean up so much KP at the very end here. One by one as they fell, they bullied Nightmare, they bullied Alliance, and they finished off this game with 19 KP, an absolutely outstanding performance for VZN, like we highlight again, because now they're sitting with 31 points overall, and that final circle and their timing to rotate into that bridge was perfect for them to clean up any of the other squads that rotated before them.
And I know we were kind of harping on Zane having 11 kills with 3,600 damage, but we got to talk about VJ and Nox both having 8 kills between the two of them, and additionally about 3,200 damage between the two. So Zane doing just as much as the 2 other teammates combined, which is kind of wild, insane if you call it. But can VZN do it again? That will be the question here as we get geared up and ready as our teams are dropping into their POIs for match number 2.
Let's get started here. After VZN had a dominating game number 1, how is this going to fare for them going into game number 2, carrying that momentum? They split this drop in No Name for that beacon information as well as Overlook, so they're going to have a great amount of loot. They're also going to have that next circle information. Looking at a lot of our other squads, so nothing to change up. Not surprised here. We still have Na'Vi and Echo landing in Climatizer, but not expecting there to be any sort of chaos unless Na'Vi really wants to fight for that beacon over to the right side of Climatizer. Maybe we could expect that early fight to go down depending on how Na'Vi wants to play that, unless they want to actually go in for a quick rotate as we get to see where this circle is going to be pulling. Very similar circle to the one we saw in the last game, but I'm not expecting this one to pull towards Fragment, rather expecting it maybe to pull way more towards the west side. As you can see, a lot of squads already taking up their own POIs, and it's going to be an easy rotation for our western teams.
Yeah, as I look at that, I'm just seeing countdown landslide. I'm like, this might be one of the areas that it could pull towards, but it looks like Corpa is going to be the team that takes the early exit here in match number 2, not Scars, and it appears to be at the hands of Nightmare Esports, looking to find themselves some more points on the day, currently sitting in 2nd place, and Seven and Limek already having the shield advantage, not only with the damage being done to level them up, but, you know, now they have the availability of a replicator as well, so they can get early gear and access to as many bats as their heart desires.
What did Nightmare Esports eat this morning? They're angry at the moment, okay? They've been absolutely trying to bully out the Lava Siphon team since game number 1. We saw them trying to fully send it onto Corpa, where they chased down one of the stragglers that they left one before calling it quits and just bullying them out of this POI and taking their loot instead. So Nightmare coming on top of this fight with some great loot. You can see the purple Evo shield in favor for 7. Denze still rocking the Volt and the Eva 8. They're about to get a nicely kitted G7 here, looking at 7 after looting this side of Lava Siphon. And like you mentioned, Beacon and the Replicator on top of it all. So Nightmare starting off very strongly already in this game number 2 after they just got 2nd place in game 1.
Look, they heard you. They were like, hey, we know this is the day. It's getting late. There's only like 3 more match days after this, and this is the 2nd time that B versus C. So they're like, we need to get inside that top 9. We want to make it to the Split 1 playoffs. We're going to make sure that we are going to the regional final. And hey, someone else that's looking to make that happen is going to be Reply Totem, currently sitting in 12th place, just 2 points away going in today from that top 9. And I had a chance to really watch a lot of their POV during scrims this week. And yeah, I get it. Scrim's not really the idealistic situation to really compare to ALGS day, and sometimes the day before ALGS scrims get a little bit hectic, so super fun to watch. But another team that needs to do really well is going to be Startify Esports on your screen right now, taking the jump tower just south of Thermal and hitting the road.
Yeah, already going in for these quick rotates. You can already see where that next circle is going to be pulling. And I love how you bring up scrim sometimes. But you know what? It's about the flex and sending a message out here. And that's what a lot of these teams end up doing. You can see a fight actually maybe going down. Start a fight, making a statement, putting down the Seer ult, letting this squad know that's trying to rotate outside of Thermal Station, which is probably Alliance because that's where they land. Letting them know that they are going to try to choke point them. They're going to sit in the choke point, rather try to hold them at the edge of the circle. But this is Alliance that we're talking about. And since they land in Thermal, they got a great loot and they already have the beacon control on the left side of Thermal Station.
Yeah, Alliance really looking like they want to take advantage of the situation and gonna fight. But you can see right now, Effect back on the horizon. No more Mad Maggie for them. So I'd be curious to hear the decision making behind that change. Maybe it just wasn't working out, and Horizon is a really good strong suit for Effect's fragging abilities. So I respect that out of them. But anytime I see a little bit of a charge rifle in the hands, I get excited. I think the crafter just changed, but that 4x8 was in the Replicator going into the startup today, and Bambino finding some nice shots there. You gotta level up that white shield somehow.
Gotta absolutely agree with you on there. And I actually think the Replicator changes in less than an hour, like 40 minutes or so now. So that 4x8 is still in the Replicator. The purple extended sniper mag is still there. And of course, our weekly rotations that don't change until stun day is still the purple backpack and the purple helmet. So nice of you to note that, because of course, in a map like Stroke Point, I do believe we're going to see a lot more charge rifle, but charge rifle in general is so strong. Arcstar stick onto Taishin, those scars looking like they're in a lot of trouble. They don't have little to no help to work with.
Oh my gosh, the bat goes off, but it's just not gonna save them. The aggressive Fire Beavers are here, and they're trying to make their statement. Impulse, Taskmaster, and OJ just so strong in their micro fighting right now. We mentioned scrims. They were looking so good. I watched them fight around a Catalyst wall, but look who's coming in. Fuse gonna throw out the mortar flare, so it's getting a little bit enticing here, and you got pop shots all over, and then even a bang ult that would make Shiv happy coming into play.
Yeah, the Rolling Thunder coming in, forcing Fire Beavers to take up the building right next to him for some safety. You saw the Fire Mortar come out as well from 9. Impulse, one of the only fuses that are still in this lobby. Love to see the impact that these different compositions bring, but the amount of space that Fuse also buys to the team with the amount of damage that the Knuckle Cluster comes in is so important. Game Ward looking on to see another squad making their rotation over here in Countdown. You can expect things to get very hot here with the circle pulling in this direction, and so many of the squads are already making their rotation away from Skyhook, away from Thermal Station, north side into this Countdown area.
Yeah, with a lot of teams taking up presence here in Countdown, it seems like it is going to pull towards that Countdown landslide area, and I'd be really excited to see. But the most part about this is when all of these teams start collapsing here at Countdown, there's only a relative amount of buildings, available spaces that are going to be able to be utilized. And if you're not playing that Watson character, you're not going to be able to really take up enough space and guard your buildings. But Fire Beavers utilizing that fuse is going to have so much fun with that tactical, just absolutely pestering all the teams with those knuckle clusters. And I can hear it now, Fuse's voice in my head going off, but they are just waiting, looming, looking for their next victim. They've got word of sight that there is someone just inside that building in front of them, but they're going to play it very patiently. That's going to be Game Ward, who was the demise of Vexed Gaming in map number 1.
And with a very interesting comp, they're running the Bloodhound and Bangalore, something that we've been seeing together as one of those follow-up combo duos to follow up from the smoke, the scans, when the Beast of the Hunt is activated. Game Ward playing inside this building is great, but like you mentioned before, with some of these squads taking up these buildings, especially with the amount of Watsons that we see, it's very detrimental in making sure that you can hold things down without getting pushed by another squad. And Game Ward doesn't have that legend in their composition. They don't even have a Caustic like what Aurora is running, so nothing to really bunker them down. So it's just gonna have to be them making sure that they can pressure out other squads from trying to bully them out of that building.
Bandits out there.
But I mean, I've seen a lot of success in NA with G2 recently. They're running a similar comp with that Bangalore Bloodhound. It's just proving so well for them. Sometimes it's not about hopping on that Watson or the Newcastle. It's all about those legends that you feel comfortable with playing. And hey, if Game Ward feels comfortable on that Bloodhound Bangalore, I'm excited to see what they can do. Fire Beavers doing a little bit of poke fighting across Countdown here, but no real intentions just yet. I feel as if you take a fight right now in Countdown with so many teams nearby, it's going to turn into an all-out bloodbath.
Fight also finishing off the last member of Reply Totem. So our squad that managed to make it into the top 4 in game number 1, out and eliminated. Unfortunate for them, we could see 17 squads left. That was Start a Fight that did clean up that KP, so that's great news for Start a Fight. I do think they are rotating from the southern side of this circle, exiting out of staging, where Alliance is probably situated in, since they are exiting out of that thermal station area. As we take a look at E6, overlooking the action happening in Skyhook, you can expect some squads to rotate out of Skyhook, maybe even rotating out of the tunnel, as we do know that the circle is pulling in that direction by the landslide area. Sometimes we also see that sniper tower that's north of landslide also get contested, because that could be a great spot for some teams to try to circle keep any squads that are exiting out of the Fragment West area. But E6 are going to be one of the squads taking control over this building, so that way they can negate any sort of rotation from any squad leaving Skyhook.
Yeah, they're just getting pestered by a nearby Fuse Knuckle Cluster. Couldn't imagine who that's going to be as well. Missile swarms coming in the form of Game Ward, but they're just holding it down steady. No reason to get too crazy just yet. But if the circle does tend to pull towards that landslide area, there's already a multitude of teams looking to set up shop over there as well. Game Ward going under fire, but no real major issue yet. Yet thankfully, Yolu, I believe the youngest player in the EMEA region, has that gold shield available to them, so you can really conserve a lot of the resources available to them.
Now, seeing the fuse, it's interesting because we had 2 fuses in the lobby. One of them was Scars, who got eliminated very early in this game. But to see the Mad Maggies and the fuse also being utilized in EMEA, a lot of cuzzies out here. You know how it goes with some of those voice lines from Mad Maggie. I feel like she's bullying me every single time I have a Mad Maggie on my squad. But it's better when you see your Mad Maggie bullying these other teams here, as Game Ward are gonna just sit patiently inside this building. They need to try to boost up these Evo shields, because Aimbot and Psychop are still rocking those blue Evo shields.
You do not want to go into an endgame fight near the open in landslide with blue shields. You want to make sure you've at least got triple purple or some reds if available. But that all goes to show you got to get some in those mid-game fights. You can see Aimbot right now sees some enemy Watson fences, so that's the Ispect. If there's a team kind of holding that choke point right there, utilizing those Watson fences to show presence, to maybe keep people away from them. They don't have the ability to see if there's a Jenny there, so you would not imagine that you can test it out, throw some grenades that way, but you want to make sure that you hold on to your ordinances towards that end game. But let's jump on board with VZN coming out of Harvester on that snake building right there. 31 points, not able to find any early game fights just yet. But let's just say, I believe the last time I saw them on the map, they were still up by Epicenter. So the fact that they've rotated all the way down through Fragment into the chokehold from Harvester and are now surfacing on the bottom of the ring, I believe that should clear out their back, but they just have to worry about playing forward.
I actually really love this rotation from VZ, and I'm glad you highlighted it too, because you know that the choke point leaving that tunnel from Fragment West into Landslide is probably easily contested by a squad already that probably already lands Fragment West, which is not what VZN do since they leave that overlook area. Going all the way south and wrapping around towards Harvester means exactly what you mentioned. Their backs are cleared, but there's probably a squad right in front of them in that tunnel, and it is true. As you can see, VJ with the Seer and the Heartbeat Sensor picks up a squad that's already inside of that tunnel.
Yeah, Heart of Focus definitely trying to go off looking for some information, but it looks like they may just say, this isn't our fight. We want to kind of double back and rotate around. We don't want to go through that tunnel just yet. And honestly, I don't blame them. Anytime I get into a fight in that tunnel by the vault, it just turns into absolute chaos where teams from Landslide will just double down and push in on the front side as well. And if you want to take a smart fight, that's probably not going to be it. But look who's looming nearby on that rotation from VZN. It's going to be Alliance, and they're going to be a doozy to fight with.
Yeah, Alliance has been sitting in this building basically the entire time after they rotated out of thermal station. So them sitting control and taking control of staging is going to allow VZN to get aggressive with this fight because they need to fight for this control. They need to fight for this space.
I think it's going to be one of the smarter ones that they take. You can see the Black Hole ultimate going out already. Not sure if that was too early, but VJ going to throw down the exhibit, just looking for some information. I feel like they need to grab at least one knock to where they go ahead and just push right in. You can see VJ goes in, but takes so much damage and actually falls already for Hackett.
This is now the initiation for Alliance. They got the green light. They got the advantage after taking care of VJ. What is VZN going to do? Are they going to back out of this fight? Because if they put themselves out in the open, there's probably another squad that has the high ground overlooking staging. You've seen a lot of squads rotate from that south part of the map, but VZN now forced to play this as a duo. Let's see if they can get VJ's banner.
Yeah, I mean, there is a respawn beacon right nearby. They would have to make light work of Alliance, and you mentioned it, you called it perfectly. There is an ability of another team to kind of push into this, but it looks like VZN is just going to hit the skies, take to that skyward dive, and reposition themselves and not go for the banner.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to get that banner. They're just going to cut their losses. They're going to take that skyward dive and wrap around, which means they're going to be flying over some squads that were holding that choke point, holding the edge of the circle, wondering where they're going to land right now with some more action happening over in Landslide.
Yeah, we've got Echo Esports getting a little crazy, but it's going to be your favorite team at the other side of it. It's going to be Aurora. They had a rather lackluster match number 1 and are looking to double down and make sure they find some success here in map number 2. They're still playing that Mad Maggie, Wraith, and Caustic, which I would expect no changes to happen with them, and they are just trying to hold that high ground. And it's more of like a poke fight. No one's really committed to this fight just yet. They're going to hold that trailer down while looking towards that RV.
And this is a different case in terms of early rotations as an example of what we highlighted with Alliance, where that final circle was pulling towards a tunnel versus where Aurora is right now. Look at their positioning. All 3 members holding split sides. A huge grenade toss right there. Clean now going to be able to move all the way in. Huge brace as well. E6 also get eliminated in the feed, but it's just a matter of cleaning up for Aurora from the squad that's inside this building.
I need loot.
The thing is, this is going to cause so much noise for all the teams in a nearby vicinity, but look at Maliwan right here. Going to throw out those Nox gas traps to be able to kind of garner and protect their space and send that res. I feel like if they wait too long on getting that res, it's going to be a really trialist time. Mad Maggie ultimate going through and just trying to finish off all of the people inside this RV, but you can see nearby there's a Seer looking to get some information on this fight. Cleavy trying to shield up the best they can and lay down as much damage. That's going to be all they wrote for Echo Esports here, but now you've got to worry about a clean reset, get that stability regained, and focus off any team that tries to get in on this.
My goodness, what a terrible case to meet up with Aurora after getting the only squad to rock the Caustic, getting gassed out of the building. You saw the wrecking ball coming out. That squad did not have a single chance. And they didn't have to worry about the third party because the squad that is on the high ground on top of that platform doesn't want to give up that space. But there are other squads that are playing underneath that space, and that's going to be Horizon. Look at the setup that they already have with the Watson fences, just setting up the perimeter around these zip lines.
Yeah, this is a really great spot if the ring was pulling more into Landslide, and it almost always couples with a team that does have the Watson. They also have a Crypto, so the Crypto is going to be able to fly around in their drone, find out all of the information available for them, and they can just kind of pelt people with that Wingman. However, when you're running Wingman Massive and you've only got about 20 bullets to go for spare, this is not where you want to be. You're going to have to go ahead and bet off that someone is going to have sniper ammo throughout the entirety of this end game. There's still 14 squads left, and we are looming down the backs of the end game that is nearby.
Yeah, it is. It's 14 squads left, and this circle is going to be pulling over to the left side of Landslide. Aurora, with his split positioning, though, are out of the range of that Wingman that you were mentioning before. With so many charge rifles, maybe we'll be able to get your hands on some sniper ammo here, as Aurora is also going to be able to loot up. Got the nice gold extended light mag from Mollywan, but he definitely needs some more light ammo to work with this R301.
See, now what I'm looking for is the fact that they have Maliwan on the Caustic to really hold some presence. Sure, they're going to get pestered from nearby vicinity, but the issue is this circle, as you can see in your upper left-hand screen, is going to pull towards that bridge and out into the very open. I think there's maybe one RV available to them, and it's probably occupied by another team already. So Aurora is looking to pick up as many eliminations as they can before they have to go fight into that open vicinity.
Aurora is in such a good spot. The only thing that they have to worry about is that squad Horizon that's on the high ground that has them in their line of sights, and that's going to prevent Aurora from pressuring out the squads exiting out of the southern side of the circle. That could easily get gate kept. I know some Skyward dives are coming in. I think Fire Beavers just went in for a repositioning with some fights happening over here. Nightmare looking to get involved from the low ground right here. I believe they're trying to wait for Vex Gaming to have the high ground.
Navi is one of our first looks at them today, and I'm really excited to see what they can do here, just gatekeeping all the teams trying to rotate out of Countdown. Beautifully well done. That's going to be all they wrote for Start a Fight Esports, and VZN also falling. Let's jump on over to Foot Esports. They are all playing together in a house in Turkey, and they've been putting so much time in through VOD review, and I'm excited to see what they have the ability to do here today. You can see trying to punch their teammate into the zone, maybe utilize that knockdown for a little bit of cover. Kuhia finding some nice shots with the 30-30 there, just looking really commanding.
We went from 14 squads to 8 squads so quick, one by one, as they fall like a line of dominoes here. LFO Forever looking to clean things up, playing around these knockdown shields. Here comes the Black Hole coming in. They got to delete that immediately. That's definitely not theirs. They don't have a Horizon on their team. LFO Forever were in this position from the very beginning with the walls and fences, and now they can negate a lot of the damage coming in from the squads playing right behind them. That's going to be Vex now cleaning things up.
Hey, this is what we wanted. We wanted Vex to make it that long game, go the long haul, and pick up eliminations along the way. So this is their moment. They know they shine in their micro fighting, so they're looking to drop down, get aggressive, and just clean up everything in their side. You can see they've already got it down onto Light from LFO Forever, and now they're just able to kind of get a little bit more stable here, make sure they've got plenty of ammo, bats for this end game, and utilizing this rock for cover really helps them out because they're just outside that next zone pool, and they're going to have to fight their way and play forward while also making sure that no one tries to wrap around their back.
And already looking great because in that first game, they finished things off in 16th place with no KP. Currently, Vex Gaming have been able to clean up 2 KP in favor for the entire rest of the team, and their backs are against the circle. Only thing they have to really worry about is pushing in just a little bit too far ahead. Let's jump into a listening with Vex Gaming to figure out what their next plan is and see how they're going to rotate at the top of this front circle.
Yeah, it's good, it's good, it's good.
Keep looking left, they're still fighting.
Yeah.
I got right.
I need ammo, looting.
Congratulations. The hard fighting swing, still.
Yeah,
One
we
gets close to
should,
me.
we should wipe the whole side. There's dogs. You guys just keep looking.
Yeah, we can look to swing left. Yeah, 100%.
Don't
I'm pumping
not
back,
fight for it. We are in the ghost spot.
I'm just batting right now.
They have no
need to
power
watch
to
right.
play except the truck. I got right.
How
Don't worry about
flash
right.
weak?
Don't worry about right.
Left to Teller. Horizon.
Yeah.
Welcome in. Nice.
One swing left.
Got
One left.
100%,
One left. Oh, that's a no guy.
Wait, okay. Another one. I think
One
another one.
here,
Yeah.
It's one.
Let's go.
Dead.
Jump, don't die.
Look left for me. Look
Nobody
left.
right, nobody
I'm
right
gonna
side,
die to that. I'm gonna die to that.
No, you're fine.
Nice.
They're inting right side.
Swinging left.
Okay, yeah. Shoot all.
I can't. I have to tank that. I'm detonated.
Almost cracked on Tyler.
Swing left.
Oh, they get deleted here to Vex Gaming, get annihilated. You heard them say it in the comms. We're going to get into on it. It was the Fuse coming in. Fusey making his appearance from Fire Beavers as they now have taken the same rock that Vex Gaming wanted to hold on to.
I think that's when the moments where like, we have to fight for this spot. It is going to be integral to our game success. You mentioned it, the Fuse coming in, the Arc Stars coming in, and they're just inundated with ordnance. There was nothing they can do. Now the question is, Fire Beavers with the upper hand. You've got Horizon nestled onto a rock, and it looks like OJ might go onto Horizon himself. That they already know. They're like, hey, Nightmare Esports, we're not going to be able to go in and take that fortress. So you see all the presence from the Watson fence. So they're making their way, but they're going to get caught off from behind. But now LFO Forever going to be eliminated. So it's Nightmare Esports versus Fire Beavers here at the very end.
Yeah, that last straggler from LFO get deleted by Fire Beavers, and Fire Beavers have control over the entire side of the circle. Nightmare Esports, though, with another top 3 finish, looking to try to take control over Fire Beavers currently. It's Fire Beavers versus Nightmare Esports, and it's only up to 7 from Nightmare Esports to clutch things out.
Oh, look at that as you approach the double gold knockdown shield, looking for that enemy in your line of sight. They are going to be able to take that moment with that car SMG. Congrats to Nightmare Esports coming out on top here in map number 2.
Fire Beavers and Nightmare Esports with that 1v1 playing against the 2 gold knockdown shields, but the clutchness from Nightmare Esports to stay consistent was beautiful at the very end. We're going to bring Fallout back in. What do you think about the end game right there, Fallout, after that game
Absolutely insane. Are you kidding me? A 1v1 for the bread and 7 clutches up. The new player, new kid on the block for this Nightmare squad, the all-Polish team that's holding it down for the entire country, and he performs in the final 1v1. What a finish that was. Nightmare goes back-to-back top 2 finishes, showing what they're made of today, Tiff.
Hey, and it proved immensely well. And let me just tell you, I thought it was really smart with OJ kind of wrapping around the north side to go ahead and finish off that team Horizon right there. And just making sure that you can garner as many eliminations as you want before turning your full focus on to Nightmare Esports. But I mean, a pure 3v3 fight for the end here on map number 2. What more could you ask for?
To get better than that, that's for sure. Another big story there. I thought Vex maybe, just maybe, would break the top 3 curse. I mean, they weren't able to place better than 6th, yet they still got 6th place overall in the last Pro League. You saw them in the late game, but they're not able to get into top 3. The last time they've placed within the top 3 in a Pro League match was day 1, their first day of competing in Pro League. It's been a long time since they've made it to top 3, Vicky.
Yeah, it's very surprising. At least they did a lot better that game number 2 than they did in game number 1, like I highlighted before. They got 16th, I believe, game number 1. So to make sure that they were able to secure at least some KP while also being in a pretty good spot, you heard them in the comms. They were getting inted on. They were cleaning up any stragglers exiting out of that final circle while it was closing in on any teams exiting out of landslide. So that's great KP for them to be aware of that. But it's about making sure that your own space around that rock was not going to get contested. And what better way to have that space cleared up than having a Fuse put down his mortar flame and the knuckle clusters to ensure that you're going to get funneled over on the other side into the rest of Fire Beaver's line of sight.
Not only that, but they had arc stars that were inundating them as well. So much pressure, because that was the spot that team had deemed was worth fighting for. It was going to take them all the way to the end. Now, maybe at Vex Gaming had a Watson, which doesn't fit their legend composition in any way, shape, or form. That is the only way I could think of them being able to hold steady there, maybe throwing that Watson ult down. But let's look back at some of the highlights from match number 2, because we know Fallout didn't get to call the action, but we're getting more enticing moments from that day.
Yeah, that's right. You know, a couple big things. Scars, again, eliminated early. This is a team that is really all eyes on them. New roster, a lot to prove, and so far, not the best start for the Scars team that needs a good performance today to avoid relegation. I never thought I would say that. But again, obviously, it's a brand new squad. They're meshing together as a team. It's hard to live up to the expectations that the former Scars roster set with Mandy and RPR. But Aurora doing Aurora things here on Edge, getting some kills. You saw Fire Beavers get some kills early on as well, Tiff.
Yeah, I really loved what they were able to do. We don't see a lot of caustic in this map meta anymore, really, but being able to utilize those knocked gas traps to be able to get the reset in really helped them throughout a lot of these fights on the mid game, and just such strong powerhouses. And then we got to see a little bit of glory moments here from Foot Esports. They've been putting in a lot of work trying to get better week in, week out, and I would really love to see them make sure that they have a spot in that regional final, and they are doing everything that they can. But here's that spot we were talking about, Vicky, that rock that Vex Gaming had taken early on but weren't necessarily able to hold.
Yeah, it's always so interesting to see the different approaches that these squads that like to rely on being inside the buildings end up with a circle that doesn't have any buildings. You literally only have the natural formation of these rocks to actually hang out behind instead. You can see Vex cleaning up all the stragglers of the squads moving over to their left, and then Fire Beavers moving in. After getting the crack, look at them wrap around on each side of the rock where they were able to finish off that fight as quickly as possible, and they needed to because they knew that there was still a squad on the other side of that field that could have contested them if they wanted to for third party.
There is the moment where it came down to a final 1v1 with 2 gold knockdowns in view. And let's go ahead and look at the match 2 results. And I mean, John, take it away. You're already surprised.
Yeah, well, you know, 2 words and 2 words only. Fire Beavers with a 15 bomb. This is what this team does so well. One of the best fighting teams, edge playing teams. And you know they like to play aggressive with their Fuse comp that paid off so well for them. They were able to clean wipe Vex Gaming, who I thought had Godspot and was best positioned to win that late game. Fire Beavers in a 3v3 able to come out on top. That's what Fuse is so good for, is the additional nades, the additional accuracy with the grenades, ended up paying off big time, that Fuse pick with 15 kills for them. But Nightmare Esports staying consistent, Vicky.
Yeah, they got 7 kills this game. I believe they got 7 kills in the last game after they got 2nd place. So with that consistency, I'm excited to see how that's going to fare overall in the overall leaderboards, because VZN, now you saw that they didn't really have the game that they wanted to have after that game number 1.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the 11th through 20th place. Navi, once again, I believe, coming in just at 11th, but it's VZN. We were asking, could they double down and go back for a strong map 2, finding themselves with only 1 point here. You know, a breadstick's better than a donut in some sense, so 12th place for them, but luckily they had such a massive game in map number 1. But anything out of the ordinary that you think, I mean, specifically, I know, John, you were talking about Scars.
Yeah, Scars, not just them though. Corpa's another team that's currently risking relegation. And then the big one, Element 6. Vicky highlighted them in the pre-show as a team you wanted to keep an eye out for because they performed so well to start Pro League, and we know what K-Swinny's capable of as an IGL, but obviously a new third in Liffen, something is not going too well for them as they changed their play style. They actually are running more traditional team composition. Right now, though, they find themselves in 15th place. All eyes on E6, Scars, Corpa, and the like. Same thing with Game Ward and Navi. All of these teams are teams to be circled as must-perform teams today, and so far not getting the performances that they needed. We'll see if they can bounce back in games 3 through 6, Tiff.
Well, speaking of performances that they needed, it's going to be Nightmare Esports, showing that consistency pays off. They're able to find themselves at the top of the leaderboard. Here are the series results from just after 2 games. Nightmare Esports with 35 points. VZN holding steady, still in that top 3. But you kind of mentioned it. You see Corpa, Scars, Game of Drones, Startified Esports all on that bottom half nearby the 20th place. So these teams are really going to have to start stepping it up now because there are only 4 games remaining.
That's right. As we take a look at the final circle and final moment, we'll see how early we go. Yes, I love it. We're going to go to Vex. And actually, we get to see it from Vex's point of view. This is where the Ring of Fire came through and actually isolated and separated the 2 team members of Vex who ended up getting melted by grenades. That is a perfect fuse ultimate and absolute wombo combo. People talk about the Horizon black hole into the grenades. Obviously, they got nerfed recently because the nades will actually damage that black hole. But talk about a fused Ring of Fire into grenades to trap 2 members of Vex. Done to perfection there. I love that angle, Vicky.
I love it. The Arcstar is just deleting everybody else from Vex. This is why Fire Beavers had such a pop-off performance in game number 2. 15 KP. Are you kidding me? EMEA with these double-digit KPs is beautiful because we saw that big gap after game number 1, and Fire Beavers, VZN are currently tied for that 2nd place, with Nightmare still staying way more consistent despite not having that heavy KP game. Having 7 kills for game 1 and 2 and the dub and 2nd place is always nice to see because, of course, placement points are extremely important for a team like Nightmare that like to make sure that they can clean up as much KP as they can, but it may not be as KP heavy as the likes of Fire Beavers that are rocking a composition like the Fuse.
Yep. And they ended up getting to taste their own medicine with the Thermite Grenade, taking them out, and Nightmare ends up just clutching up, simply. You thought Fire Beavers, with all the momentum they had, would win this, but 7 comes through with full HP, and a damaged last member of Fire Beavers gets the first shots in as well. And in the end, 7 comes out on top, but it was a pretty clean 1v1 for the Bread. A little bit of Evo Shield, but not a whole lot of HP overall, and as a result, well, Nightmare wins game number 2. Tiff, what a great showing there.
What a great show indeed. Fire Beavers really bringing the fire to these lobbies, but I've got to hand it to you because it's match number 3 time. Fallout, Vicky Kitty, bring all the action. Send it.
Thank you so much, Tiff. Vicky, see what she did there? Fire Beavers bringing the fire. Love it. Girl Tiff.
And literally bringing the fire with the motor flames there too. I love it. I honestly really love seeing these different comps coming out. I also just, in general, Fuse and Mad Maggie as individual legends have one of the funniest voice lines that I get to enjoy when I play Apex Legends too. But something to note, Nightmare has bullied Corpa in the Lava Siphon Station that we've been seeing beforehand. They've been getting extremely aggressive there. I'm wondering if Corpa is going to maybe change things up, and they are actually.
They did.
Remember, we saw that Geyser was uncontested by any squad. Corpa was like, all right, we're just going to cut our losses. We're going to give Lava Siphon a nightmare because they're obviously on another level today, and we're just going to have to take the L and take the lackluster loot in Geyser because it doesn't really
I'm glad
have
they
a lot
did
of
that.
great loot.
Yeah, putting their ego aside. Obviously not a ton of great loot, but you do have a replicator, so you can craft up. Wise decision for Corpa. I mean, they need to scrap together some points here if they want to stay relevant, not only just in this competition today for Pro League, but in the grand scheme of the standings. Again, we keep highlighting them in the bottom 10 right now, facing relegation. So wise decision from them. But Vicky, I got to point out as things slow down here, you can't say that they give you your favorite voice lines, Maggie and Fuse, without saying the voice lines. I'm not going to let you get away with that.
All right, but it's literally the cuzzy that always gets me. It's always the cuzzy. I just absolutely love it. Like, it's just honestly, whenever the Mad Maggie's around, I said it before, but I always feel like I'm getting bullied. But then when you see these Mad Maggies come out and try to grief you with that tactical when you feel like you're safe, it's not just the Seers that end up griefing you, preventing you from healing, but then it's got to be the Mad Maggies too. Are you kidding me? I can only imagine what these teams are feeling in a lobby like this when they feel like they have to go for a desperation reset. Nightmare Esports out here aren't running the Mad Maggie, but obviously they are one of the teams running one of those mainstay legend comps of the Fuse, and rather not the Fuse, the Seer and the Valkyrie. So that Seer obviously being a thorn in your side sometimes when it comes to trying to reset and you try to heal up and it gets canceled by that tactical.
Yeah, you're right. Vicky, you nailed it. You know, 2 kind of mainstay or default comps, if you will, are Seer, Horizon, Valkyrie, and Seer, Valkyrie, Watson. And that's what we see as kind of the most picked overall team comps. And we'll keep you guys up to speed and abreast of which legends are on display today. And guess what? We have 7 Watsons on the lobby, 9 Seers. So, you know, again, Seer meta was really popular, but Horizon with 12 picks and Valkyrie with 19 and 95% pick rate overall. As we take a look at Navi running that Mad Maggie as well. A lot of teams, and really the CIS is kind of paving the way with that Mad Maggie. It started with Aurora, and now other teams following suit.
I love how you highlight the different picks that we also have in this lobby. I do believe we have one Gibby, so squad making some change up, but I don't know how that's going to fare against a lobby that has a lot of Mad Maggies to play with. I do think that's actually Scars that's trying to change things up a lot. And with Scars and their lackluster performance so far, this is the last map that we have, or rather the last game that we have on World's Edge before we make that swap over to Storm Point. So it's absolutely desperate for some of these squads to try to at least get as many points as they can in a map like World's Edge where they feel way more comfortable.
Right. Taking a look now at LFO, Lackey and Light. So what they can do is they got Foot nearby, Foot over back actually south towards Dome here, going to make their rotation through. And Tiff highlighted them really, really well. Foot, a team that is all landing. They all flew to Turkey. They've been playing together in person for about 2 weeks now. So this is when you should be reaping those rewards. And right now in 10th place with 9 points, a decent start, but not necessarily the performance that they expected themselves. They hold a high standard. Why? Because they're former champions. They've won ALGS online tournaments. They've won, I believe it was Fall Circuit that they won way back when with the original squad with Pia on that team. They made a big decision to drop Pia for Kuya and haven't necessarily found the results just yet. We'll see if they can now. They've been kind of a mid-tier team, but with land practice, maybe that'll change. Corpora now needs to perform today, and oh, Zerfer, that last Arc Star is going to dodge it. Is he going to survive?
Corpa can't seem to catch a break even when they're exiting out of Geyser, but this is to be expected because they're rotating through that tunnel where the vault is. You could expect squads leaving Fragment East or even exiting out of Overlook to try to contest a team like Corpora. It's actually Aurora that's on the other side of those vault doors. You see the Zero unleashed by that squad Corpora that's inside, and Aurora are going to try to close in the gap. They have the Mad Maggie Wrecking Ball, so that way they can actually get that speed boost and try to see if they can get a nice off angle. But Corpora looking like they're just backing away. They're going to respect Aurora in this case.
That's right, Aurora's on the hunt. Little do they know that Corpora snuck their way out through the other exit and is already gone. So Aurora now basically hunting nothing. We got a couple other teams nearby. It looks like they actually have a vault key, so that's why they made their way back here. They were content when Aurora dipset. They're just clearing their back, and Golden Helmet is going to help them significantly, and they're going to be quite kitted now. Aurora with a really good overall loadout and inventory to really perform this game and break into the top 3.
Also, a really good equipment to pick up, especially with this team comp, is that gold helmet. Wondering if they gave that to Maliwan instead, but also even if it works out for Cleve in this case, that Wrecking Ball is always so useful. Obviously, they could make that swap, give it to Ranches. If Ranches uses up that portal, that gold helmet allows them to get that ult and their tacticals online a lot quicker. They see another squad in the middle of their rotation off of that high ground, though, exiting out of the Lava Siphon Geyser area, wondering which squad that is that Aurora is now going to face off against while Corpora made their escape to Overlook.
Yeah, that's right. I was running the same thing. It's not as clear as like a Bangalore or a Bloodhound you're going to instant give that gold helmet to. Between Caustic and Maggie, I think are my picks. I think Caustic probably gets it. For additional barrels, or Maggie if you're playing Edge and playing aggressive. Don't tell me it's in Maggie's hands. Foot made their rotation all the way from Geyser. They dropped Lava City. Rotated through Geyser all the way through the choke, and they're going to keep working their way through. They say, hey, that's Aurora. We don't want any of that noise. We know they're going to fly at us. And that's the reality. When you play these often in the team comps, you can get called out pretty easily. And these players obviously all know each other really, really well from these scrim lobbies. They know who's who, and they're able to call that out and avoid that fight against Aurora. Good decision from Foot.
Yeah, I like the fact that they're going to Skyward Dive here too, because trying to take a fight on the outskirts of Fragment East can spell doom into just invite third parties to try to contest you in this rotation, as we know that this circle is going to be pulling towards the epicenter side. Foot doesn't want to waste any time. They're going to be able to Skyward Dive right on the high ground right here and maybe see which of the squads are exiting out of Climatizer that they can get involved with.
Love this overhead map. That's showing us all teams, so many Edge teams here in EMEA. You don't really see as many Edge teams anymore in North America. Everyone's kind of predicting a northern pull. I think they're predicting right. An epicenter potential Climatizer finish, given where these teams are. We'll see where that zone goes here in just a moment. But a lot of teams rotating already on the north side of the map. We still have Alliance all the way in staging, taking their time.
Love BZN's rotation as well. As you can see, they wrapped around the Overlook area towards Climatizer, so they're going to have a nice northern side of survey. Aurora now in a fight themselves, trying to contest a squad that's actually exiting out of Geyser. Wonder which of these teams are actually going to try to rotate through this low ground, because this is going to be very risky. You cannot take a fight with Aurora if they have this space right here, specifically because the Caustic in this composition is going to allow them to get the space that they want with those Caustic barrels, set up shop literally inside of this tunnel, and deny that space for any of the squads that want to rotate through this tunnel. So they're going to be at a very big disadvantage if they actually decide to fully send it into trying to get in here. Aurora, though, not expecting expecting another squad to be right on their backs. They lose Fleet, immediately getting melted down. They set up the Nox grenade, but the Black Hole and the Thermites are doing so much damage to Aurora. I'm not too sure they can come back from this. Molly one disengaging from the Phoenix kit, just unleashing the caustic barrel so that way he can get some space, some makeshift cover from this caustic barrel to pull out the Phoenix kit.
Yeah, and actually gonna drop his Noxious Gas as well, so no one's gonna push through that. They'll be able to heal back up. Blast goes down. He's gonna get res though, so this is the time for Aurora to push. They have a knock that just got rezzed and has no HP. Look at Ranches with the wide left flank. He's gonna pull the wide angle. Gonna connect for 40 damage. It's not enough.
Oh man, Aurora and having to play this out as a duo, going back and forth, trying to split their attention to the squad right behind them, leaving Geyser, the squad that's right in front of them, that started Fight Esports, Bambino falling incredibly low. One of our other squads that are rocking the fuse right now. Looks like a lot of these other EMEA teams are starting to take note of these different composition swaps, incorporating the fuse instead. But Startify playing on the outskirts of this next circle, they really want to secure a lot of this KP because they absolutely need it. Like we highlighted in the early pre-show, Startify really want to be able to get all those points in the overall leaderboards.
Here's what's so interesting about that. Startify just don't want to go back in. They know they have a 3v2. They want the rest of these kills. So we'll see if they end up pushing. Nightmare's actually flanking them from behind. But here's what's interesting is the rat got ratted on. It was actually Aurora that was ratting and hiding within that tunnel, caught Nightmare Esports off guard, didn't get the kills, but then Startify did the same thing to them. It was ratception here in EMEA. And Startifight's going to get that loot reset, and Aurora will live to fight another day, but you wonder for how long.
Let's not forget, this all started with Corpa that also was getting bullied inside of this tunnel, that they sneak their way over to the side off that side entrance. Nightmare now, who managed to go in for the flank, exit out of Geyser through that choke point, have now wrapped around on the other side of this vault. They get the knock, and Startify are also in some trouble in the feed. So Nightmare Esports looking like there may be a third party soon if they don't finish this fight quickly.
We have Corpa. Zerafer enters the mix. Corpa start a fight. Nightmare, Reply Totem, and Aurora all within this area. Again, very similarly to what we see in these edge teams. Only one or two will survive, maybe three, as Lemek's going to get another knock on Doctors. And just like that, start a fight. Is trying to start a fight against Aurora and ends up getting taken out in the fight early. They are eliminated from this lobby in 19th place. That is brutal for that team. As we keep an eye out on Nightmare, who's performed back-to-back games. Can they make it a third?
Oh, the timing on putting out that Watson ult, but they're forced to give up not only the safety of the Watson ult, as Corpa has now made their appearance on the high ground. They're rotating away from Overlook. You can see some shots landing with that wingman. Some of those stray shots getting caught with that. Gets the knock here onto 7. Nightmare in a lot of trouble playing this out as a duo. They needed to back out a lot earlier. Like you mentioned before, Paul, there was 3 other squads in the vicinity, and now Corpa are going to be able to walk away with some KP.
That's right. It's big for Corpa. Said this is the game they need to steal away some points to stay relevant. Not only in this 6-game series, but in the entirety of Pro League. That's a good start. 2 kill points for them. They're going to continue to play edge here. They don't have that Maggie. They don't have that Caustic. They don't have that hard edge team. Obviously, with the Seer in their hand, they're going to be well poised to still fight, to get intel, but you wonder if they'll be able to survive with the likes of all these other teams nearby. Nightmare Esports. Aurora's all the way in Geyser right now, by the way. We have a quick mini-map on our side. So they're looting up solo. They got the banner, and they were able to, I think, potentially should be able to res up. They're in Geyser deep in the zone right now. It's going to be a tough rotation for Aurora. Corpus still find themselves fighting here in Fragment against Nightmare, and Alliance is going to enter the fight.
I hope Aurora's got all the meds in the world to work with. Alliance also coming in from the other side of Fragment East. You can see Corporate taking shots, or rather getting taken some shots by the squad that's on the high ground. They make this rotation because they really wanted to try to finish off the remainder of Nightmare Esports, who are not having the greatest of time. You can see in your kill feed effect getting that second member, Limek, out from Nightmare. That just leaves a rat for Nightmare to work with. Their desperation is ensuring as Nightmare want to continuously actually stay consistent after getting top 2, game 1, winning game number 2. Corpora, though, are looking a lot better after changing up their own drop spot. They wanted the revenge on Nightmare. They didn't fully get it. They funneled them into the line of sight of Alliance, but this is still a really good start for a Corpa to start getting some momentum.
That's right. We got an Alliance versus Corpa standoff in Fragment East with a couple teams in zone creeping up on them. I'd love to jump into a listen-in with Corpa to hear how they're going to play this.
If it's a duo, I think we can push
Looks
that.
to me like a duo. Can we Horizon Q on the roof, maybe?
Yeah,
Like from here?
100%.
Crazy, you wanna kill this?
Yeah, like there's no one on height. Q here if you can. He's looking. Shoot the guy on the stairs. Okay, he's leaving. We can go above them. Here, in
Should
open.
be duo if they're leaving.
No, it's I think it's full team, no?
It's full, yes.
Docs here. 45.
Money, look at us here.
I'm tilting above.
Okay.
I'm trying to Q him. Tilted. I'm trying to Q him.
I'm on a med kit.
Yeah, just try up this guy.
But minus 16 Valkyrie betting. I got knocked from another team.
I can queue in 5 seconds. Can you
Okay,
get
come
out?
to me.
Knocked. Maybe.
Here. Going in the back.
Horizon's pushing. Look.
Oh, man. What's climbing on me?
You guys can win this. You guys can win this.
3 on me, 3 on me.
27.
Literally 3 on me.
47.
Yeah.
All three here. All three
Behind
here.
me.
I'm gonna back
give me
up.
up.
We are gonna be
me
good
up.
to rest soon. We are gonna be good to rest soon. He's getting shot at.
I have to go in zone soon.
I got Thursday. I got
Down the
Thursday.
box, down the stairs. 41. He's going to the box. He's behind box.
Yeah,
Trying
he
to
is behind the box.
Bam, this one. I have to jump.
34.
Okay. That's all you. I'm gonna
Okay,
go
drop,
out.
nice
Watch my
drop.
life. Oh, then I'm dead now. Fuck. It's them again, isn't it? I can.
Fortunate exit for Corpa. We thought maybe they'd be able to inch it out, but Alliance picks up the kill points instead. Kudos to them, but guess what? Game Ward's going to enter the fight here. They want a third party. They heard the fight going down. Meanwhile, let's jump into a fight with Game of Drones.
There's so many fights happening on the edge of the circle right here, too. Game of Drones now coming out on top. Aurora get eliminated. Echo Esports going to meet them right back in the lobby. They lose out on Torre here, though, as Game of Drones are going to try to climb up on the rocks. They're going to be taking a huge chunk of the damage. And look who's circle keeping them. It's got to be V2 on the outskirts of Epicenter. A great position for them to be sitting in with so much of the action happening by Fragment.
Yeah, he nailed it. So many fights on the edge. This is the northern edge. We were watching the southern edge action where Alliance actually just got taken out by Game Ward. We'll preview that fight. We're jumping over here. Back to the north. It's V2 with a few other teams in the vicinity. Game of Drones and Fire Beavers nearby. Again, similar scenario. Likely only one team will make this. V2, the French. What can you do? Joke's going to be tagged up and be able to heal back up with a shield bat. Here comes the push.
We saw Alliance get taken out in the kill feed earlier on. It was a Reply Totem who was griefing our squads over there, Corpa and Alliance, when they were in that fight. Now Game Ward are going to back up as well. V2 still in some trouble. They send up the Seer ult right now, the exhibition, allowing them to get the information that they need for that player that's hiding behind that rock to their left.
That's right, and the Fire Beavers are right around them in the zone where they tried rotating through. Meanwhile, Navi going to be taken out. Switching on over to VZN, who had that pop-off game in game number 1. 19 kills, tying a record in Pro League. It's going to be Zane and Nax, the British duo, last two alive. Here comes the push. Going to miss those first shots. That might cost him, but going to get some good damage in after. Is this a 1v1? Yes, it is. IG is out. Zane handles his business.
VZN looking to stay on top after cleaning up that squad. IG International meeting themselves back in the lobby, and more are following. Nightmare finally get eliminated, and when we just have the solo of Denze to play things off, that's Horizon getting even more KP to work with. Game of Drones that we just saw earlier in that fight to the south of them, currently in Epicenter, are also taken out. Fire Beavers now making their appearance before the reset happens.
Yeah, and I love what Fire Beavers is doing here. They were in that fight earlier against V2 and other squads, Game of Drones. Instead, they hear this fight going on, and they actually rotate their way over to this one instead. They find the opportunity to take out Zane. Zane is out, all up to VJ and Nags. Can you be heroic, much like we saw Zane do moments ago? Not looking like it. Nags down to 75 HP, gonna heal back up, and needs to just try and rat his way to a top finish here.
Maybe he could just go for a reset here too with the medkit. He's just dropping down from the high ground. He's going to cut his losses. Going to see if he could just go for a reset elsewhere. He avoids narrowly by the scrape of his head.
I think that gave him a haircut.
The sear tack. Yeah, they
If
had
a sear
to
tack and give a
scrap it up
haircut,
just
it
a
just
little
did.
bit.
Yeah. Right. Guess what? V2's gonna find him. V2, who was just in that fight earlier, decides to enter the fight. They follow in Fire Beaver's footsteps, and I believe took out Fire Beavers. I don't see them in the lobby anymore. So nice shot by V2. They're the last of the party, and guess what? They're the last one remaining. We told you only one team would survive. Well, guess what? It is V2, who are all quite literally huddled behind a rock moments ago. Now they have complete control of this northeast side of the zone.
Like, they faded him and they gave him a fade at the same time here too. V2 are now going to be able to just loot up nicely. They're going to be able to approach from this side of the circle, which is a great location for them to be in because they have a lot of that natural cover of the rocks as well as the high ground for any squads that are playing on the railroad tracks right underneath them to their left.
And I love what I'm seeing here. So 6 squads remain, E6 eliminated, but it's Reply Totem, Horizon, Game Ward, LFO, and Foot Esports, and V2. These are all teams that were in the bottom of the scoreboard and that needed to perform here in Game 3. What does that mean, Vicky? Well, guess what? The standings are going to be shaken up. It's going to be a really even distribution of overall points, which are the lobbies we love to have. It's going to be a storybook finish here in EMEA. Let's see how it finishes on World's Edge.
It just puts so much on the line for a lot of these squads that need to perform today with the limited days that we have left for the Pro League in this first place. You see Joke taking a lot of damage, Mimu being the last one alive for Horizon. We saw some kill feed points just lining up for this squad. They have 2 KP to their name, and Mimu is having to play off the low ground.
Yeah, Horizon's not a team that's known to get a lot of kill points. They're known to be more of a placement-focused team, but don't really get the kill points that they need to succeed. You got to find that balance if you want to be a top 3 team in your respective region, and Horizon hasn't found that balance yet. We'll see if they can turn things around on Storm Point, but they're still alive for now. 6 squads. Foot Esports, really well poised, but they have a pretty max rotation here, so they're going to have to deal with, I believe it's V2 to their right. They said, we're fine. Let's just actually take this wide left rotation. They know they have all of this dead side of the zone, but guess what? V2 is still pushing. They are unstoppable right now, Vicky.
It's Joke that's going to be able to get that knock here too. Foot playing off the low ground. They should not have given up that extra cover because we know that there are some squads here left between, I believe, 6 squads. We got Horizon, LFO Forever, we got Foot, we got Game Lord, V2, and Reply Totem, and Foot having to play this out as a duo. Let's see if they can try to get the res here.
That's right. And once again, Joke says, Fallout, stop talking about Psychop and Le Site de France. I'm showing that I am the superior French IGL as Joke playing with Zidane and Nubicide, 2 rookies to the ALGS, outperforming his former teammate in Game Ward, but both teams are alive. It'll be a battle of France here in this late game. We'll see who ends up making it to first place.
V2 are in such a good spot, though, on the high ground right here. They have to make sure that their backs are cleared up. That's going to be the one thing that they need to focus on with the circle closing in on their backs. Look at Game Ward now. They're actually climbing up on those rocks. Reply Totem playing this as a duo. Now it's only up to Amaz. He's got the Gold Evo shield. He's got the shield cells, but he needs to give up this ground. He has no cover, and he gets deleted in each angle between Foot and Game Ward.
Yeah, Maze, the Italian, out. It's going to be Foot Esports coming from Scandinavia. Game Ward still alive. The French, and we know. We also have V2 with a high kill game also alive. Their last team, well, it's Foot, not for long. Taylor down and actually knocked. Noth, the last alive, the old man for this team. Can he do it? He's going to take out Zidane. Nubicide is knocked, so it's a 1v1. Joke versus Noth. Can Noth do it? No, he gets shut down, and Foot Esports out in 4th.
V2 are popping off. Joke himself alone has 6 KP to his name and the kill leader, and he can get the reset. Absolutely beautiful play here for V2, specifically for Joke walking away as the kill leader with that.
Agreed, and guess what? While that's all happening, Game Ward and LFO are fighting each other, so that's going to give them a chance for a full reset, Vicky. We have 3 squads remaining here in this last game on World's Edge. Game Ward is fully kitted out in Evo Shields. It's going to be a storyline finish. I can't wait to see who ends up on top.
Oh, and Aimbot's got that RE. Not too sure if he just used up all the ammo, actually. He saw that there were some swap-ups on the ground right below them. They also swapped up the golden helmet real quick. It's all about that priority and getting that information. Rocking full red Evos, obviously, in the late game to match that with their other squad, V2, behind the rocks. They're out of a lot of the fighting here, though, and the only thing separating Game Ward and LFO Forever is that big rock, as LFO is forced to drop down first. They're going to be sandwiched between these 2 squads.
Yeah, that's not the ideal scenario in a game of Apex. In a sandwich, you never want to be the meat. You always want to be the bread. Where's my man Hodsick? As we're watching Game Ward right now. Joke on high ground. Good V2, sorry. Joke on high ground right now, getting some good shots in initially against VFO. Our last and only Bloodhound in this lobby is still alive. You like to see some of the old school comps still surviving as Bloodhound has been making an impact here for Game Ward. They're getting all the intel in this late game.
Look, as a Bloodhound main, I'm always happy to see that. Always happy to see a lot of that results coming in between the Bangalore and Bloodhound duo. And now as the Rolling Thunder comes in, you can see Game Ward are making their move onto V2.
That's right, wide right flank. They're actually going to ignore LFO in the middle, and that might cost him. Aimbot's going to get absolutely melted, but Psychop takes out his former teammate in Joke. 2v2 fight for the win. We talked about the Battle of France, and guess what? Game Ward is on top still, quite literally. High ground right now for YOLO. Needs the shield swap, needs it quick. He's going to get it, but they're in a 2v3. Wicked gets knocked. Are you kidding me? Game Ward.
Oh, LFO Forever has the RE45, but it's not going to be enough. Game Ward move in, and they take game number 3, our final game on World's Edge.
Are you kidding me? Game Ward, Aimbot, I believe it was Psychop as a duo. The last 2 players just clutched back-to-back 2v3 fights to win the game. What a finish. We called out Game Ward. We said they had to perform. And Tiff, boy, did they perform there in game number 3. What a finish right there. You like to see the Bangalore and Bloodhound team comp coming out on top.
I feel like we were just kind of waiting for this moment to happen. They started warming up in map number 1. We saw them win a fight on Vexed Gaming, and they just kind of continued that momentum forward to finally find themselves a victory. And you're highlighting that Bloodhound and the Bangalore composition. I love it. Personally, we're seeing a little bit of it into the NA region with the team G2, and it's been working out really well for them the past couple of weeks, so I'm really glad to see someone doing it here in EMEA and finding success with it as well.
Yeah, I gotta completely agree with that. It's actually, you know, Vic, I know you feel some type of way about Bloodhound. I feel some type of way about Bangalore. Both of them being represented. It's like me and you out there in ranked frying together, but obviously not nearly as good as these guys. A really good finish for them, and really a lot of diversity overall in team comp. We saw Gibraltar there in that game. We obviously saw Crypto, and I think maybe over 10. I think we're double digit in legends chosen here. So again, the healthiest that Apex Legends meta I think has ever been in terms of legend diversity, and you like to see it overall, Vicky.
Yeah, what I really like to also highlight is their composition also promotes a lot of aggression. So the call to send it onto V2, even at a disadvantage because they lost out on one of their teammates before LFO moved in, to then reset, get the RE45 and an Evo shield swap, and then immediately turn things around despite being at a 2-man disadvantage. The fact that Gamer was able to come out on top after LFO had the opportunity to push in. They did play with a blue Evo shield, I believe, and 2 purple Evo shields at the very end, which also is a health difference between what Gamer was working with, the red Evo shields, was fantastic because it works into their team comp amazingly to play aggressively like that.
Yeah, I mean, it paid off incredibly well. The moment that you called it, John, when LFO Forever kind of jumped onto that catwalk in between the two teams, I kind of just sat there and I was like, oh no, this is not going to end well for them. And then you make that statement. You don't want to be the meat, you want to be the bread. And now I'm just like, I do enjoy some nice garlic bread, and I would prefer to much rather be the bread than the meat in that scenario. And that's just what happens, because the moment that you get pushed out into the center, every team just starts eyeing you incredibly. They're just like taking fights. That you saw a lot of the Bangalore smokes going immediately onto them, and they just got grief. But overall, I mean, not bad for a last game on World's Edge.
Yeah, you're spot on. They turned that sandwich into more of like a casserole, maybe like a, I don't know, some type of, skillet perhaps, and absolutely shook things around. I was not expecting that push. The decision to swing wide right was so interesting, and Vicky nailed it with the RE45 and the impact of the weapons in their pack or their backpack. I'm excited to see the final circle if we have it, because that was a really, really interesting last fight. And honestly, game 2, I thought was going to be impossible to top in terms of how unique that late game fight was with the Ring of Fire. That was even more interesting with the fact that Game Ward made that decision to say, let's just alpha this lobby, let's push wide right, let's take control of our own fate, and ended up winning a 2v3 in the end. Are you kidding me? That was one of the most exciting finishes we've seen in a while, Tiff.
I mean, sometimes you just have to do it. You mentioned it best. Just alpha it. And I feel like as soon as you can make that switch in your brain mentally, like as a player, like you already are going into that scenario a lot more confident. And sometimes just having your mental game on point is 90% of the battle. But let's go ahead and take a look at those highlights from match number 3. And it starts off once again with Scars going down early, which always kind of hurts my heart to see. I know they're a new roster, and I think it's just going to take some time, or maybe some interesting decisions on those early game fights to maybe get some aggression going. But then it was Nightmare Esports, Vicky.
Yeah, Nightmare getting involved in the chaos that happened on the mouth of this tunnel, exiting Geyser. Well, we saw 5 squads here duke it out. Corpa could have been that meat in the sandwich. I personally, I don't care if it's an unpopular opinion, I love extra pickles on my sandwiches. Ooh. And, that was basically the cherry on top for some of these squads to get involved in third party, looking at their positioning on the outskirts of that tunnel.
Yeah, coming on over, we got Corpa getting a little crazy here in Fragment, and then it's Vex looking to pick up some eliminations as well, but rather lackluster throughout, so I'm hoping to see them step up in Storm Point, just like some other teams. IG International, this was one of those moments, John.
Yeah, that's right. It was not Game War, but it was V2 here that took out the winners of this fight with the ultimate flank, and third party VZN got taken out in just moments before. And I like that we saw Game Ward a bit ago too. You got to kind of see their journey and trajectory. I mean, I don't know how many kills they got in the late game. We know V2 got a high kill game. We know Game Ward did as well. That's going to help them both out. I think they were both sitting in kind of the middle of the standings or middle of the pack. So it's going to be a really, really big game for them. But I liked how we caught the entirety of this V2 fight. Only one edge team remained. It was V2. They took out VZN, worked their rotation in, worked their way through, and ended up being the last 3 team remaining before getting absolutely decimated by a wide left flank from Game Ward.
Ooh, and Reply Totem hitting some nice shots with the longbow. I feel like the longbow doesn't get enough love in the competitive scene. We usually always see the wingman. It's always the charge rifle. But if you're on point with that longbow and you can couple it with a skull piercer, it's absolutely disgusting. And speaking of disgusting, but esports utilizing that grab lift to get a different angle, and not forced to kind of try and clutch things up for them. And LFO looking ever present here today. And I'm really excited to see what is in store for them on Storm Point.
Yeah, the fact that they had to play off that low ground, they still were able to secure that second place after you saw Game Ward just fully send it onto V2 at the very, very end. Despite them having to play off the low ground, that RE45, the moment I hear those disruptor rounds go off, my eyes cry. Look at the beamage out here from Psycop. Even with the immediate swap up, V2 had absolutely no chance. The shield swap now into LFO Forever now pushing in. Game Ward, the fact that they were able to clutch this off as a duo with no scan, by the way, to know what direction they were moving in, was a beautiful look for Game Ward.
Insane, Tiff. I'm glad we just saw the replay run it back. And you're right, Vicky. It was the RE45 that basically made that 2v3 and maybe a 2v 2.5 v3 because that RE45 in the disruptor rounds, being able to melt shields like that gave him such an advantage. And here we are, 11 kill, first place finish for Game Ward, a 23-point Michael Jordan-esque game. Massive for them, Tiff.
Yeah, that's absolutely critical. And I mean, we talk about consistency is key, and Game Lord really needed to get a big score up on the board to really shoot them up. But LFO Forever staying ever present within that top 5 scenario. And then Foot Esports also getting into the top 5 as V2. But the question is, it's where are a lot of our other teams that found success in the earlier matches? I'm talking VCN, I'm talking Nightmare Esports, Fire Beavers, and you can see trickling down, Element 6 has been rather, I hate saying this because they're one of my favorite teams to watch, kind of lackluster today. And I don't want to say it's because of going to that aggressive composition meta, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm keeping my eye out. But Vicky, talk us through this part.
Yeah, looking at the second page, you can see Nightmare, our squad that won game number 2 with 7 kills, and we're pretty consistent. Game number 1 getting second, unfortunately falling in 11th place for this game 3, our final game on World's Edge. They did secure 2 KP while they were at it though, and they pretty much had a difficult rotation. They were getting bullied by 2 squads. I believe it was Corpa and Alliance when they had to forcibly rotate through Fragment. Not a really good look. Aurora, once again, not having the game that they were expecting right alongside Alliance.
Yeah, and actually, Tiff, it was ultimately Game Ward that came in after the Alliance full kill and full wipe on Corpa to come in and clean up Alliance. So that was the beginning of the Game Ward absolute roller coaster or train that ended up steaming through the rest of the lobby. And as a result, here are the overall series results. What a neck and neck series we got here, Tiff.
Yeah, it's just kind of crazy to me because I feel like it's a lot of the names that we talked about and we highlight that you thought would be coming out on top in this Group B versus C matchup, because you know Alliance was the one that came out on top on that first group meetup. And I'm like, things are changing. Some of these teams are like, hey, I'm here to fire back. I came in with vengeance today for our second meetup, and Nightmare Esports just holding on barely to that top of the leaderboard, and VZN utilizing that 31-point game to really keep them going. But I know this is one of my favorite parts. I mean, just the thing is the hard part, right? There's so many talented teams, and the question is during this halftime, who do we highlight a little bit more? Who do we get a deep dive on, get a little bit of a focus? And John, this is the moment. I'm curious to hear, who's your team to focus and team to watch kind of throughout the day?
Yeah, it's not a team I get the honor of talking about often, which gets me all types of excited. It's Nightmare Esports. I gotta gas them up real quick. The former Kick Esports squad, the Polish trio, and the duo in particular of Linek and Denze, so talented. They pick up 7. A complete rookie, never competed before in ALGS, was a challenger circuit player last season in Split 2, playing for Drain Gang, and he has performed on this team. I think this might be an all mouse and keyboard team, don't quote me on that, but again, breaking the kind of meta of the new rookie player being a controller player. 7 is one of those keyboard and mouse players you have to keep a close eye out for, as he absolutely performed in this 1v1. Nightmare Esports with back-to-back great finishes. They looked great. Vicky, who you got?
They're trying to be the sleep paralysis demons, okay? But I gotta say, the Fire Beavers coming in were able to put on a show with the Fuse throughout this entire half of World's Edge, even having a nice standout performance in that game number 1. Yeah, they're actually getting a good amount of KP. Yeah, they didn't get the placement that they wanted after that first game. I think they got 12th place overall after the chaos that was going down in Fragment East here on the north side. But Fire Beavers coming in game number 2, getting second place with 15 KP was absolutely insane. When we thought like VZN topped things off with 19 KP, here comes Fire Beavers making sure that they can grief the entire lobby with the Fuse Knuckle clusters, the huge Art Star play at the very end of that game number 2. I want to see that consistency carry on into Storm Point though, because they're performing really well.
And I think that's going to be the question of the day. Can these teams carry that consistency throughout into Storm Point? But hey, if you're sitting there at home watching this broadcast and you think you've got what it takes to maybe hit that challenger circuit, grind your way all the way up to the Pro League, this is the best way to start, because the challenger circuit is ongoing just to the side as well as ALGS. And we got challenger circuit number 2 coming up this weekend. Oh, actually, it looks like the registration closed yesterday, so maybe set your sights on a challenger circuit number 3. I know I had the privilege to jump on the mic and hype up some of the challenger circuit teams for NA. That was GOW. Some former Gears of War pros that came in. Yeah, I know, John, you're gonna love that one. They came in, won the first one for NA, and from nowhere won the first one for EMEA. So well done for them. Excited to see what's going to happen in Challenger Circuit 2 this weekend. I believe the finals will be broadcasted on Monday the 5th, so make sure you go check it out, find some new teams to support, or hey, try your hand and register with a team for Challenger Circuit number 3. And I'm looking at you. I'm gonna give a shout out to Ashton and my friend Gamer. I know you guys have been kind of throwing it around that you want to get your hand in there and compete. Well, do it. This is your time to shine. Well, Vicky, here's the deal. You could also register. I know you said you and Fallout were kind of grinding some rank together, so I'd be curious to see. Maybe one day you can throw your hand in the Challenger Circuit bucket and see what happens. But at this point, I'm going to have to steal Fallout from you for just a little bit. You deserve a break hyping up all the action, so enjoy it. Fallout and I are going to call the shots here for map number 4, the first game on Stormpoint. Fallout.
Let's get it. Tiff, first time casting together, I think. Question,
think so.
It is. This is historic. This is a great moment. I'm so excited. We're gonna have to come up with a duo name. Fall Tiff, Spider out. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It'll be fantastic. I'm excited to cast this one with you here at match number 4.
Yeah, it'll be super fun, and I'm curious to see a lot of the team dynamics. We had a lot of Mad Maggies on World's Edge, and I'm curious to see what's going to get swapped out. Will Aurora continue the domination with that Wraith in their hand, or will they kind of swap it out? But we get a good look at where the teams are going down. I know on the Group B versus C matchup, we had some contests over at the Down Beast between Echo Esports and Game Ward, and it got really fiery over there, so I'm excited to see maybe that action will kind of continue into B versus C, and will we have a different result from those 50-50s?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see here. I love that we are finishing on my favorite competitive map in Stormpoint. We get to finish on one of the best overall, most balanced kind of experiences. Obviously a diverse experience. We've been watching World's Edge for a long time. It's been the staple. You love, competitive World's Edge, but I love that we're finishing here with a Launchpad hot zone for Vex. A good start for them. Who's going to perform here on Stormpoint? One team I want to keep an eye out for this game is IG. Invictus started really strong. Actually performed really well on the World's Edge last series. Not the best performance for them this time around. I'm curious to see if they can bring it back together and pull it all together here on Stormpoint.
Well, with the way the ring is pulling, it's looking to be a little bit in their favor. You can see the IG dead center inside of Cascade Falls with that circle kind of culminating around them. So I'm really excited, but let's cut on over, check out Game Ward, see what they're doing, and they are going to continuously run that Bloodhound Bangalore Horizon, and it seems that they're getting kind of bullied here off the start.
Yeah, I like it. They're sticking to this team comp. On both maps, the same exact team comp. You see a lot of teams switch it up over on Stormpoint, but the fact that Game Ward's sticking to their guns, sticking to their play style, much like we see Aurora say, hey, I don't care what's in meta, I'm going to play what works well for us, and I like that adjustment here for Game Ward this week, and this is what they needed. Again, this is one of the teams that are at risk of relegation, of not qualifying for the regional finals. It was one of my must-perform teams that we highlighted in the pre-show, and they've performed, at least in game number 3, currently find themselves in 4th overall.
I mean, they're just points shy of a top 3 finish, and that's going to give them all the points they need to make sure. But hey, Alliance, let's get a little bit of their POV as they kind of walk past this egg building. The issue with this is they were first place on that Group B versus C in the first matchup, and it was by a mile. I think they had 20 points on the rest of their lobby. Obviously, that was with Mandy, and now you've got Effect kind of stepping in and assuming his rightful role on that team. And I've had a pleasure of watching this team kind of rotate out, but the thing is, they are starting from the total top northeast of the map and are going to have to make their way towards center. So curious to see what that journey is going to look like for them, but hey, electing to get some of those fan favorite weapons, the G7 Scout and the car.
That's right. It's interesting to see how Alliance plays this rotation based on where the zone's going. It is a northern pull of a zone, which means Alliance might be following the trail of Na'Vi from High Point and a few other teams. We'll maybe take a look at the overhead map in a second to walk you through it. Speaking of rotations here, we got Game of Drones really well poised with an early rotate. They're actually going to be in wall already, and a lot of teams are predicting a wall finish here. Game of Drones get one of the better positioning, end game positions at least, in wall by securing this building early.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a smart move. If you are already assuming that the ring is going to end over here, get in there, get a building, find yourself and set up. And you've got Game of Drones. They're running that crypto in the hands of Jules. So it's like you've got all the information needed, and typically there is a beacon in the nearby vicinity. But look who's already trying to get in on that early action. It's going to be Scars, and they have that Newcastle-Watson combo here, so they can really bunker down in these buildings. The issue with bunkering down is it only takes 1 or 2 grenades without a Jenny to really cause a tremendous amount of damage for them.
That's right. Early rotate though, I mean, gosh, so many teams currently in wall, already rotated and positioned. Look at this, overhead map will show Horizon, just not able to get a building, so they're gonna just hug the outskirts of wall, and quite literally the northern, or the southeasternmost point of the wall. 0-0 on Crypto. We talked about Horizon last game, mentioned they're not a high kill points type team, they're an early rotate team, and their team composition shows that with Crypto here as Start a Fight find themselves in a fight here as well nearby. There's like 8 or 9 teams right around the perimeter or vicinity of wall, Tiff. This is insane.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting moment with all of these teams really collapsing around the wall. And you've got Horizon already hugging the outside, Start a Fight trying to do so as well. And you've got nearby Cryptos looking to drop that EMP on them, because here's the moment. There's plenty of people in a nearby vicinity, and you need to farm up your shields, especially if you're not getting in any early engagement. So you see the missile swarms incoming. So not only are you buffing your shields, but you're also forcing the teams nearby to waste all of their heals and shields. Meanwhile, Horizon is just utilizing that Jenny. So if they get poked at all, they can just kind of, I think it's 250 shields that they can regen from that interceptor pylon. So really great resource to have early on if you didn't get a lot of quality loot early.
Got one right here.
That's right. As you see how congested this wall rotation is with so many teams that play early rotate and positioning, you start to wonder and think maybe, you know, the Aurora, Fire Beavers, Nightmare Esports Edge playstyle isn't too bad. I mean, they get to chill right now. They're looting. They get to pick fights and take 3v3s for free. And not a lot of teams play Edge. I think that's going to change. I mean, for a while there, Tiff, pros and a lot of players and people were saying Edge fighting is kind of a thing of the past. We don't really see it anymore. And yeah, this is obviously proving otherwise. So many teams playing Edge and playing it to success here. And this game, I think, is showing why Edge can be super important, because these early game positioning is really, really brutal for a lot of these teams. But with that said, still all players alive in this lobby. So no one's gotten taken out yet. It's just a matter of who can hold these positions as these Edge teams will start to inch their way in.
And I think that you call it best. When you're talking about these Edge teams, I feel like a lot of this is going to be contests and fights on their rotations in, with half of the lobby already taking up residence inside the wall or around it. A lot of those teams that play Edge are going to find themselves in engagements while they're rotating into the next ring. And as we say that, look at V2 really on the edge of ring here, hugging that inside. Now, granted, it is just round 1, so that's not going to hurt too bad. But when you've got Aurora kind of gatekeeping you on the inside of Antenna, making their way kind of heading towards Jurassic, this is already going to be in the upper hand. And we got Maliwan making that move from Caustic over to Catalyst. And I'm so excited every time we get 1 or 2 Catalysts inside ALGS. It's like, how are we going to use this to benefit us the most?
That's right. Ranch is from Wraith to Bangalore. So Bangalore Bloodhound rocking the same combo as Game Ward, but they're running Catalyst as well. Awesome to see Catalyst entry into competitive Apex. Quite a few teams rocking Catalyst. Going to drop off and break out that entrance right there from Aurora. And guess what? They're expecting V2 to rotate through, as V2 actually probably avoided that flank. They didn't want to get caught in that mix. But Nightmare Esports is going to be right outside Jurassic Park as well. We know V2 is likely coming up behind them. Are they aware of that is the question? Or is V2 going to catch them off guard? And it will reward just profit with a third party.
Yeah, Nightmare Esports kind of has to push through this. Now they do have Denze, probably has an ult available to them. And that could be the wise choice here. Maybe not push through Jurassic, heal up, hit the skyward dive, and say, you know what, this is a fight that we don't need to take just yet. We've been so incredibly consistent, and we're currently at the top of the leaderboard, and we don't want to go down this early now. But Aurora is just asking and begging for it, and you can see right now the only issue is not only do you have to worry about the teams in this vicinity poking you through the fences, but you also have to see, hey, are there any prowlers in the nearby vicinity? Because let me just tell you, they do not discriminate.
Yeah, Aurora playing ultimate gatekeepers right now. They gate-kept V2 out of the push to Antenna. Now they're gatekeeping Nightmare Esports, who's going to have to make their own rotation. I don't even know where V2 ended up. They must have continued rotating, avoiding that entire mess, which is the wise decision here. Aurora is bullying every Edge team right now and showcasing why they are one of the better or best Edge teams in EMEA.
I mean, they're currently sitting in 10th place overall coming into map number 4. So Aurora was like itching, trying to get as many eliminations as they could to really bolster their scores. And Nightmare Esports, V2, none of them are having it. But the thing is, if Aurora is sitting there just waiting and trying to gatekeep, one of my favorite things to do is kind of try to rotate around and gatekeep the gatekeepers, right? It's kind of like just so much gatekeeping in a sense. But that is what you have to do. You have to pull one over onto them. But you have to remember, you still have such a long journey from Barometer, Antenna, and Jurassic all the way up to the wall, and you're going to have an uphill battle fighting your way throughout that. And one thing you don't want to get stuck in is just chilling in ring, just force a chain heal.
That's right. Aurora, their best Gandalf impression, telling Nightmare and V2, you shall not pass. That's for sure, as Nightmare is now stuck, having to rotate all the way around and, you know, obviously trying to craft along the way, trying to find as much loot as they can along the way. This is not the ideal situation for Nightmare, as Denze is going to pop that med kit to perfection, gets back to full health. Nightmare in a bit of shambles here on Edge. Meanwhile, flipping on over to Corpa.
Ooh, I feel like every time we cut on over to Corpa, they're in an early game engagement that they most likely go down. Currently sitting in 18th place right now and just trying to get a good little reset here. They are kind of doing a little bit of gatekeeping of their own, and I believe that is Alliance on the other side because they're the ones that typically make the rotation out from Lightning Rod. So look at that. Observers doing the best work right here. They're forced to go ahead and hit those med kits, find some heals as well. But Hockey's really going to throw in those arc stars to try and get a little bit of pressure off them. My question is, can Corpa stop from overextending and really just take out Alliance here and now?
That's right. And here we go. It's just been the game of gatekeeping. Maybe these teams are probably trying to prove me wrong with the point I said earlier that edge fighting and playing edge is still alive because all the edge teams right now are struggling. Absolute struggle bus for Alliance. Echo Esports coming behind them. Nightmare Esports and V2 were able to sneak their way in. So far, they're still alive, but Corpa in a fight against Alliance with Echo closely behind on the other side of that ridge. Alliance versus Corpa will be an interesting fight. Looks like Hockey's going to go down early.
Yeah, I was going to say this is now a 3v2 scenario with the IGL of Alliance going down to an Arc Star. And if you've learned anything throughout our maps today, it is that a well-timed, perfectly hit Arc Star is proving so fruitful for a lot of these teams. And now Yuki and Effect are kind of forced to back off a little bit more and heal up in ring. Now you're getting rid of their resources. Now a black hole coming out as a full-on push goes to Corpa. They are able to get another knock. So a 2v2 scenario and Trix picking up the knock on Effect. And that's going to be all they wrote for Alliance. Very drawn out, done and dusted. So now Corpa's gonna have to worry about, is there a third party coming in?
That's right. Who is it? It's Corpa eliminated to the hands of Echo Esports. We highlighted it earlier. We said they were nearby. HTP Herald, known for playing with Girl quite often. North American, top female content creator pro player. Zuni and Bardo are going to find their way into a third party, taking out Corpa. So Alliance and Corpa both out. And again, these edge teams are really struggling right now as Echo enters the fight. And we'll see if they can hit reset or if they find themselves in the same fate.
Hey, they're finding themselves in the same fate. I believe there is a team nearby, but Bardo able to find themselves in RE45. And if they can do anything that we saw Game Ward do early on with that RE45, it was absolutely chaotic. And VZN seems to be the team that's nearby just inside the zone. They've kind of got this choke point right here navigated, just waiting for the team to come inside. Now, it's Echo Esports has had kind of a tumultuous effort throughout maps 1 through 3, and this would be a really big game for them since they've already found a well-timed third party. But the question is VZN gonna let them get in, or are they gonna abandon their post?
That's right. This is the northern edge. We see VZN gatekeeping Echo Esports back on the south, just keeping you all updated. It's still V2, it's Aurora, and it's Nightmare. All teams alive were able to make it through, but actually Aurora's being gatekept right now. So we'll keep you updated on all of our edge fights, because every team that's center circle, and shout out to our observers here, every team that's center circle is just posting up. There's nothing really happening for teams that rotated early in wall. You have Element 6, you have Scars, Game of Drones, and IG all there. It's all of our edge fights that are resulting in some action here, and still Echo versus VZN, the most exciting fight going down.
Yeah, but the fact that Echo Esports has been chilling outside the ring now, they are going to be forced to come into it. As we get down to the point, we're looking at ring 3, so you're going to have to go in. You have 2 medkits and 1 syringe available for Zane here. And I mean, they're not worried about this. Oh, but they go big shots right there. Zane getting tagged up, trying to utilize that rock for cover. They're going to have to get this going because they could have an issue where more teams come through, but Nox right now, just absolute fries right there, finishing off that fight with Echo Esports. The issue here is everyone knows they're here. So now all eyesights are going to turn onto this fight. Now, can VZN get stable?
Yeah, so VZN, so basically it's just been, you know, the monster eating the monster, getting bigger, but then getting consumed by an even bigger monster. And right now, VZN is the last remaining team, but we'll start a fight. Gatekeep them is the question, as VZN will have to work their way through. It'll be another 3v3 fight that they'll have momentarily, but for now, they have a moment to chill, heal back up, reset. And I gotta say, I thought Zane was kind of the standout MVP for this team in terms of how he's performing so far. As I say that though, it was actually Nags and VJ as a duo who went huge right there. The all-controller squad has been looking so good. All 3 of them can pop off at any moment. As V2 finds himself in the fight here, center map by the rails, and it looks like they're gonna get the first knock. Zidane gonna get knocked right after, perhaps. Nubicide needs to go big.
Nubicide needs to go big, just kind of hiding under the multitude layers of this building, trying to go ahead and get this crypto finish, so maybe get a shield spot, but unfortunately going to default to that bat instead. My question is, how is the team above them kind of letting them get this reset? Because you need to push. Sure, you can heal up as well, but look at V2. The 2 players that are up are almost full healed, and Denze with a nice arc star. This could be the turning table that they needed.
And I love how they're playing this. They're going to try and ISO 1, but it's not going to matter. The team firing is too strong from V2. They'll get the res as well. They will survive and take out Nightmare Esports, our top performing team from games 1 and 2, eliminated yet again here in game number 4. But guess what? Fire Beavers are here. Did they get the full reset in V2, or will Fire Beavers be able to capitalize?
I mean, Fire Beavers are doing exactly what they want to do. They're like, hey, there's a third party. I smell a bonfire nearby, and we're ready to bring the fire. So they are coming in, but not nearly committing to that building just yet. But hey, set up shop nearby. You can all cohabitate in the same space. But the thing is, oh wait, someone nearby is actually going to hit that skyward dive. So we may be on that rotation, and it's Fire Beavers looking to set up shop nearby, just out on the outskirts of the wall. We had a lot of teams that were kind of setting up in this area, just hugging the edge of it. It doesn't look like they're still here. I believe it was Horizon that had held this space previously, but you've got to get set up and make sure, play for a package, you know, get kind of stable here. Use that as the Bangalore smoke to see what it is, and it's going to be a rampage. That is going to be beautiful for an open end game.
Yeah, massive drop right there for them. And of course, in the hands of Bangalore could be dangerous. Not sure who picked it up. But ultimately, Fire Beavers, edge team, going to be on the edge of the wall right now, but also trying to gatekeep VZN versus start a fight. That fight has not happened yet. Aurora took out Vexed Gaming in a clean 3v3 elsewhere on the map. Aurora now finds himself in command center, still playing hard edge like they're known to do. It looks like a V2 fight against V2 will happen. It happened earlier as Chapter 1, Chapter 2 about to occur between Aurora and V2. Start a fight in VZN with the Fire Beavers gatekeeping in zone at the south part of this next zone pole.
And I think this is where we need to harp. I feel like Element 6 needs to have a good game. We got 12 squads remaining. They're setting up shop on the roof here, just outside of that next ring. But setting up shop up here, you don't have any Watson fences to really put some visual clutter on your screen. So anyone taking pop shots at you are going to affect you. But this is the moment. It's like you're going to have to navigate and win these fights, hold the rotations. There are approximately 2 teams, I believe, out to the left side of them trying to get into the next zone. And you're going to have to win these fights back to back to back. But let's get a little overview of Scars right now, just setting up shop inside the building, has all of those Watson fences available to them. But this is where they've kind of been since the beginning of the day, John. So they haven't really gotten a lot of resources throughout the mid game.
That's right. It's Fire Beavers trying to take this spot right from them. It looks like they'll be fine just coexisting. The antithesis of this Fire Beaver squad is Watson fences. Good luck pushing through that. As aggressive as they are, as much as they like to fight, it's the one thing that'll shut them down. So don't expect the Scars fight with Fire Beavers to, ensue in the near term at least. They're going to be content holding this bottom side while Scars is on high ground and just coexisting for quite some time. And this is where Seer is just so annoying. These late games get all the intel. You saw Game of Drones get spotted out by Element 6 earlier, courtesy of the Seer passive. So these Seer teams have a big advantage in kind of knowing all the information on the map. And that's why you see 13 teams, a 65% pick rate for Seer, a little bit up from World's Edge.
Ooh, it looks like they're kind of stepping out, trying to get an angle onto Scars if able. But I mean, if there's one thing Beavers know how to do, it's going to build a dam, right? And they're just going to set up shop underneath them and try to poke as much as they can at Scars. I believe a team just hit a Valkyrie, so a lot of teams are going to start vying for this building inside the ring. So it could be early contest. And downstairs, Fire Beavers, they don't have anything to really anchor down their share of the building. You can see Aurora trying to make a play once again. I believe that's on Element 6 for that roof of the building, and they are fully kitted and ready to go. Plenty of KP to their name, and there goes the blood of the hunt as they go in.
Yeah, but here's the biggest thing. They have Catalyst, so this is great for them. They can actually reinforce all these walls and use their Catalyst to their advantage. They can absolutely isolate and kind of use the Catalyst as a controller right now to control the pace of the fight. Maliwano about to go down, has popped his ult already, down to 20 or 40 HP, and the ultimate's helping them, keeping them alive. The smoke is certainly doing the same. You hope they have Digi threats to their name, as Aurora is going to put some absolute damage in for now. But the Fire Beavers will be in their fight as well against Scars.
Yeah, this is a fight between 4 to 5 teams, so ain't no party like a 4th and 5th party, and the Fire Beavers trying to kind of get stable once again. Not really sure what is going on with that Digi threat, looking down into the smoke. Get a little crazy there in the hands of Impulse. Meanwhile, Game of Drones are going to fall, so we are down to 8 squads remaining. This is where everything is coming down to the wire. We are here at the wall, and everyone's just trying to find a little bit of a safe space where they can just last. But Fire Beavers, Scars, they're going to have to make a move up north, and there's a multitude of squads waiting for them.
And Aurora's going to come through and just run a train through Navi, absolutely dominating. Navi gets taken out. Aurora is untouchable right now. Cleve and Ranches are your damage leaders with over 1,000 each. They are performing, but they'll have to continue their quest as Scars above the Fire Beavers right now. Aurora rotated into zone. So many squads left for such a small vicinity and small circle here, Tiff. It's going to be a really, really interesting finish.
Interesting finish, and that's what I'm waiting for. I want to see what Aurora can do, and can Fire Beavers fight off anyone that is in their nearby vicinity, which is going to be Scars, it's going to be VZN, and it's even going to be Start a Fight Esports looming down the next, and they're all going to be vying for that same rotation. And this is where I think if you've got Ordinances, R-Stars, Frags, it's going to prove very fruitful for you. Maybe throw them out, and honestly, Impulse, I want to see if you got that Bang ult available for you.
VZN trying to pop a res. Looks like they will. So Scars Start a Fight and VZN. Looks like Start a Fight's going to take to the skies. We have a Valkyrie in the air. Firebeavers opted for an early rotation, but guess who was there? It was Aurora, gatekeeping. They rotated us slightly earlier and have positioning over them, but as a result of this push, only VZN, Scars, Firebeavers, Aurora, only one will survive. Who's it going to be as VZN is slowly inching their way in?
Oh, they're going to take so much ring damage here if they don't keep inching. They just have a little bit further to go, so trying to reset, but an incoming Arcstar is not going to be the way. But Zane able to go ahead and dodge that, throws out the black hole, gonna go and find some damage. You got the RE45 in your hand, knocks VJ, both go down. It's just insane what just happened to them. And Aurora coming in to clean up the mess that they started. Fire Beaver's gonna fall, Scar's gonna fall, and it's all at the hands of Aurora, just dipping and diving in every bit of this fight.
Aurora's playing this so well. Ranches with the damage. Are you kidding me? They make it to top 3, 13 kills to their name and counting. Cleve and Mollywan, last 2 remaining, have to go big. They're fighting IG right now. Look at the shots from Cleve. He's not missing. Mollywan on Catalyst is going to be able to control the positioning right now and help them with map control. That is huge in their ability to stay alive, but IG will come out on top of that fight as Horizon is just going to creep their way in and take the easy win, at least in their eyes.
Yeah, they're looking to get in and clean up this fight, but I mean, Aurora, I believe, have 18 eliminations fall out. This is a moment where they want to stand out.
Now they're playing insane. Such an impressive game. Someone VOD review this team from their point of view, because the way they played this map was to perfection. Edge fighting, yet finding themselves a great position. They're going to reset. So Horizon, a full team of 3. IG, I'm not sure if they're able to get the res. I doubt it. So I think 2 teams of 2, maybe even a Rat and JMW. Does Aurora sneak second here, Tiff?
I mean, if they just go silent over there, and I mean, it looks like they are going to, because Horizon set their sights onto IG International and are now looking over towards Aurora. So this is the moment, a 3v2 fight. Horizon having the clear health advantage is going to make that move into. And now the question is, can Aurora do enough damage onto Horizon in that push?
Yeah, another 2v3 here. Can they be heroic, much like we saw Game Ward last game? It's going to be a really tough one, though, because obviously Horizon's able to hit reset and get back to full. Here comes the ultimate. The wall's going to be placed here for Catalyst, but all 3 members of Horizon on the other side, and they say, it's okay. We can just sit here and chill. We don't need to make a move, but look at this finish. Oh my god, the aerial view is beautiful. Welcome, Catalyst, to ALGS. This is one of the most unique finishes we've seen.
Yeah, Mollywan gonna take some severe damage, forced to hit a bat. Now Clevey trying to find an LOS on the other side of this. It's really going to be tough because Horizon's going to have their vision doomed. And now 2 go down. It's only Urban left standing for Horizon.
Urban in a 1v2, and some way, somehow, Aurora is gonna win it. A 2 versus 3. The Catalyst wall is what secured them the win. Horizon tried pushing through it. The snare and stun and visual clutter is what ended up getting them killed. And Aurora clutches up a 2v3. Are you kidding me? That was one of the most insane things we have ever seen.
I feel like it is one of those moments that we've been waiting for, Vicky, to have the Catalyst Ultimate in play in the end game and see the fruits of it pay off, and it was Aurora.
I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss right now. They fragged out. They got what, over like 18, 19 KP? Are you kidding me? With a Catalyst on their team as a duo? Oh my goodness, Aurora, let's not forget they land in southern point of Storm Point. Their rotation to get to the wall and still take the dub at a disadvantage was insane. What a game from Aurora.
I mean, to be fair, when they were kind of gatekeeping all of those teams just south of Jurassic and had no eliminations to their name just yet, Fallout, I was kind of starting to get a little bit worried because they're that hyper-aggressive team. And when the fact is they had no eliminations there, make their way to wall and find north of 18 eliminations all there at the end. They just kind of had a hand in every single fight, and it was just like the right place at the right moment, and just coupled with all of the abilities, it was just perfect.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, an entire book can be written on what Aurora just did in that game alone. There's like 4 chapters to it. I mean, yes, the early gatekeeping was crucial, keeping teams out and controlling the pace of the edge teams to be the ultimate edge team. The early fight against Vexed, winning that fight, the fact that they were able to rotate in and bully themselves into that building and take that early fight as well against Element 6 was chapter 3. And then chapter 4, the fact that they were the first team of all the edge teams to rotate, ended up gatekeeping Fire Beavers and everyone else from pushing in. Lastly, the finale of chapter number 5, the Catalyst Ultimate and the Wall to split the 2 teams, which forced all of Horizon into their hand. They said, hey, we're just going to sit here. You're going to have to push us. This zone's going to close in on us. And they did. They used the Catalyst Wall and the stun to get themselves a win. That was just insane.
Insane it was, but let's take a look here at map number 4, highlights on your screen, and it pretty much was the game of gatekeeping. So many fights happening just outside the ring, as you can see here with Corpa. They got into it with Alliance, Corpa Falls. It was Echo Esports that came in, and it just didn't stop their fallout.
Yeah, that's right. VZN, a lot of these early fights, but again, ultimately, everyone just consumed each other. VZN ended up getting taken out in that rotation eventually. B2, another team playing early edge, found themselves a couple kills. Really clutch fight from them. I think it was 7 and Denzel. Look at this, down to 1 HP, was able to heal back up. B2 came out on top in that fight before getting third party Vicky and taken out.
Yeah, what I really like about seeing a lot of these edge fights is seeing the difference on how both maps between World's Edge and Stormpoint favor some of the compositions of some of these squads and the way that they played the edge. Because it looked like here, at least for Stormpoint at the very beginning, that these edge squads were in a lot of trouble, which is actually what allows squads like Aurora to circle keep a lot of the squads that take their time in terms of rotating. And they were ahead of the game when it came to these rotations. That's why they were able to clean up so much KP on their way over to the wall.
There's just a lot of teams just falling on each other in the wall, and VZN kind of really holding that tight edge of the as it starts kind of getting smaller, and they just had the ring at their back, and I felt they took so much damage trying to nestle a space into it, and then it was just chaos. We went from north of 10 teams down to 7 right here in this moment, a well-timed black hole, but unfortunately it just wasn't going to be enough.
I don't know how Aurora survived this fight. They played it so well. They waited to push Fire Beavers at the most opportune moment. And here's this late game where they're on the other side of the wall. All 3 members of Horizon are live, but this is the mistake that was made. 0-0. Tries to make a play, tries to be a hero. Doesn't have to. You can just wait this wall out. Wait the whole minute. You have a 3v2. Let them push you. And instead, they try to make the first play through that wall, and they get punished, showing how truly powerful that Catalyst wall is. Again, welcome to ALGS Catalyst. Aurora putting on a clinic and breaking a record, by the way, with 21 kill points. The most we've ever seen in split 1 of LGS.
Wow, we knew they were really just an aggro team, but to show out in this much, I mean, VZN had 31 points in match number 1, but Aurora coming in hot in match number 4 with 33 points. The nearest person to them, Horizon, with 12 points. We doubled down with IG and started a fight with 9 points each, and I feel like I caught a little whiff of what Clevey was saying. He was like, my heart, it's hitting like 300 beats per minute after that fight. And well, honestly, I think it paid off. I think it paid off, Vicky.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget that before this insane game from Aurora getting 21 KP, that they've had a pretty rough start on World's Edge, which further highlights how changing up the map series, starting off on World's Edge today rather than Stormpoint, could play a hand into the way that some of these squads like Aurora could do, because they obviously feel way more comfortable on Stormpoint. They got 8th in game 1 on World's Edge, 5th with 7 KP, and then the last game of World's Edge was terrible for Aurora. They got 15 plays with 0 KP. Then they did an entirely different swing here on World's Edge, not only taking the dub, but with 21 points, record-breaking numbers here for KP.
Record-breaking indeed. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at our 11th through 20th places, and this is where things are really starting to shake up. We're seeing Alliance in 20th place going home with 0 points in map number 4, Fallout.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, no one else in the entire lobby had more than 5 kills, because Aurora took every single kill of that lobby, it seemed like. I mean, 21 kills, that's a third of the well over a third of the lobby, including themselves. I mean, that's just insane what's showing that they had, and I got to keep highlighting it because that was truly a monumental performance, a performance we will never forget in ALGS Pro League. Unbelievable showing, and as a result, well, they take first place, but not by a whole lot. VZN right behind them with 43, Aurora up by 4 points, and still really open tournament and open series right now, Tiff, for anyone to take first place.
I just want to go ahead and harp onto this. Coming into match number 4, the threshold for first place was 38 points, and that was at the hands of Nightmare Esports. So they were only able to get 1 more point there in map number 4, and now 3 people have surpassed them. I mean, this is kind of what you need to say. And we only have 2 games remaining here, and they're both going to be on Storm Point. But let's go ahead and cut to a quick break. So make sure you go grab some water. You know, you got to get hydrated, especially after a final circle like that. We'll see you soon.
Your official energy drink for the ALGS.
WD Black, the official storage partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back, everyone, to the ALGS EMEA broadcast. Once again, I'm SpiderTip. Joined alongside me is Fallout and Vicky Kitty. We just had an insane match number 4 on Storm Point, but hey, we've still got 2 more games of action, and I'm gonna let Fallout and Vicky take the reins for that. So send it. I am so excited to see what's going to happen.
Thank you so much, Tiff. Game number 5. After what Aurora just did in game 4, you wonder if there's any way to top it. But I think the only way, Vicky, is with this finish we're about to have in this lobby. I mean, Aurora in first, despite having a massive 30-plus point game, but only by 3 points. I mean, still, there's 5-6 teams that can vie for first place. It's going to be an interesting finish.
And then we have a Southern Circle. Are you kidding me? Just to highlight the fact that they're sitting in first place. Before that last game that we just saw from Aurora in a massive last game, they were sitting in 10th place in the overall leaderboards for today alone. So that skyrocketed them all the way into that first place. Yeah, it's just by a few points. But this circle could do them wonders. Now it's going to be pulling to the south. They're going to be able to have the beacon, so that way they can go in with that split drop, get that information, all the loot in the world, and they can plan their next move to sit pretty in that final circle.
Yeah, here's what's so interesting. This is going to be, I'm curious to see how they play this, because this zone is surely going to end on them. They can't play edge. I mean, they have no ability to play edge. They have to play zone, which is, again, their opposite play style. But luckily, they do run Bloodhound here. And because of Bloodhound, they do have the ability to scan that beacon, get that intel. And Aurora's going to have a much different game here, Vicky. Not a 21-kill game, certainly. Maybe half of that if they're lucky. They'll have to play edge instead. Reply Totem coming from Antenna, already going to rotate and actually take what they think is God Spot from them. We flip on over to Echo Esports here at the top left of your screen.
Yeah, you can see the squads that have already made their move into that next circle where they're predicting where that final circle is going to be. We've seen the circle before. Usually, sometimes it could be to the southeast, or rather southwest side of Shipwell. Echo Esports already with their own quick rotation with the Trident. You can see with the pings, they're trying to exit out of Down Beast after leaving with some great armor to work with. 2 purple Evo shields, great loot to work with here too. Got the flatline, the wingman, and the weapon loadout of Bardo, but some other squads already making the rotation away from Barometer, like Foot Esports as well, so they're going to be trying to contest Nightmare, Reply Totem, Aurora, that have already made their way south from the rest of Shipwell after getting that beacon, so a lot of squads already looking to get engaged in this fight.
It's going to be a slow game. A lot of teams will rotate fast. Again, it's an interesting finish, though, because there's not a lot of building or cover or land available. So a lot of these teams will have to kind of vie and fight for these positions and expect a Wild Trident to come through, much like we saw in North America the other week, where a Trident was the reason that a team won a lobby over tripods. We'll see here in EMEA if that will come into effect here. As you saw already, Echo getting that Trident, Vicky, and Game of Drones making the rotation from the north side of the map over towards Wall.
Game of Drones having a bit of a slower day than we were expecting after their performance earlier on in the Pro League. Believe before that last game, they've been sitting in 15th overall. Best placement has been 9th, of course. They have been able to secure some KP, but not the KP that they want as we take a look at Na'Vi, who are going to be relying on the replicators to get the extra loot that they want with the shield bats. Corpo, though, making an appearance on the outskirts of the wall. They're just eyeing them, trying to peek, but they can't be so sneaky. They got caught out.
They did. They wanted a 3-2-1 that so bad, but got caught and had to just get as much damage as they could. So now, without the 3-2-1 capability to get a first knock, they did get the early damage. And will they push? Yes, Na'Vi is just running with their tail between their legs. They're going to actually smell flesh there, just the equivalent of a shark smelling red. And they're wondering, is there one more person still here? As they get the seer info to get him. I know, they're going to take that. Did they take their shield?
Yeah.
They just took their shield.
No way. Bullies. And now they're going to also use the replicator. Said, all right, Na'Vi, we'll make you run with your tails tucked between your legs, but thanks for the loot. We wouldn't have it any other way. They rotated probably from the right side of wall for leaving from that high ground, but this just means that Na'Vi have to cut their losses, have to rotate from the outskirts of the circle. This is the action that we were looking going on very early in the game already, with so many squads already making their rotation south of Shipfall.
Yeah, Na'Vi, luckily Dazo was able to find a gray shield at least, so they will survive. But wow, that was interesting. Just literally finessed their shield. 3 shield, 3 leveled up Evo shield as well, as LFO Forever will find themselves just across of the shipfall from another squad. Right now, we have, again, so many early rotate teams. We have Nightmare, Reply, Aurora, IG, Start a Fight, LFO, Horizon, and that's it. All within this vicinity. That's like 7 or 8 teams all in the shipfall POI already. What an early rotation.
A lot of these squads, like LFO Forever, taking some shots over on the other side, sharing this side of the broken down ship with Startify Esports, but making these early rotations could cause some of these squads looking at their composition. It worked for Startify because they have the Watson fences here. As you can see them setting up the perimeter, could negate any sort of pushes from their Horizon squads with the gravity lift if they want to try to take this same high ground. LFO Forever sharing some of that space on the other side, but they don't have the Watsons to negate any sort of push from any of these aggressive squads. They do have the crypto information, and they can get the beacon over to the left without having to overextend and give away that spot, which is great news for them because they can get that information.
Firebeavers find themselves in a fight with Echo just south of Barometer. Harold's gonna get the pop, the med kit off. Yes, he does, and trying to just run away. But nope, see you later. Echo Esports out to the hands of the Firebeavers, playing Edge to success. Meanwhile, Vexed Gaming found themselves with the kill over V2 in Gale Station. So a lot of our Edge teams are finding some early kills. One thing I'm really curious to see here, Vicky, this is a test really for Aurora. I mean, we know they can play Edge. We've never seen their ability to play zone. They've never played zone. They always play hard edge. So this is a good test to see, can they truly have versatility? Because there are going to be circumstances where the zone finishes on you, and you got to be able to perform. Aurora had their pick of any spot. They could have picked any god spot. How good are they at predicting end zones? Where do they position themselves is the question. We will find out in how Aurora plays. This big test for them.
And they were contested really early, too. We saw that Reply Totem. We weren't looking at them directly at their POI, but we saw on the little mini-map that Reply Totem took a skyward dive to immediately rotate in that direction right over Aurora. And with this circle favoring that team, we're going to tune into other squads who are already making their next move. But is it too little too late with some of these skyward dives, especially with some limited health blue Evo shields to work with? Scars in a lot of trouble, sitting in dead last for the day right now after starting off game number 5. They only have 4 points to their name, and Jarovic is already in a lot of trouble against Vex Gaming.
Yeah, and you know Vex wants to take this fight. Look how aggressive Vex already is going to be. They're going to take high ground and absolutely just bully Scars right now. The aim 8 flank, oh my god! That was the cleanest and fastest team wipe I have ever seen. Vex absolutely obliterates Scars as Alliance is going to enter the mix nearby. You see the pings come through with the skyward dive, Valkyrie ultimate, but Alliance says, yeah, let's not make the same mistake Scars did. Let's just avoid that mess.
Yeah, Tyler said, all right, take one of these with the Arc Star. He completely cleaned them up. What a quick fight. But this is beautiful here for Vex because with that quick fight, the third parties that could rotate in from the high ground immediately have to back off here. They see that Vex Gaming finish off that fight. They are getting pressured out, but Vex Gaming were able to reset just as quick.
That's So Alliance with a different strategy, and again, the difference between Alliance and Scars here is what the calls made. I like this decision. Scars could have done the same thing. They just rotated with the Skyward Dive, decided to land on top or nearby Vex, but Alliance, look how different they play it. They take the choke point, and they're just gonna hold this choke of really, really good power position and gatekeep Vex. They're gonna force Vex's hand either push us and most likely die, or rotate all the way south around the mountain. I love how Alliance is playing this, and again, a really, really stark difference between how Scars just played moments ago.
Yeah, I do feel like Vex Gaming, though, have that option to rotate south around that rock, although they would be playing off the low ground, which isn't ideal in terms of positioning. But they do avoid what could be chaos if the circle continuously pulls to the south. They would just have that rotation advantage over Alliance that could inevitably get sandwiched by the squads exiting out of Antenna, because they will be put into the line of sight of those squads and the squads that are north of Shipwell right now. So Vex Gaming have a lot of options right here in this position in case they do want to rotate to the south.
They do. I'm really curious to how they play this. I mean, if they decide to just bowl right through Alliance and push this, respect for Vex in their play style. Maybe that'll tell us why they're so inconsistent in final placements, but still, you got to respect it. Will Vex just bully Alliance just like they did Scars? Yes, they will. Here comes the push. Vex is saying, I don't care. We give no craps as Vex is going to push through, gets the early damage on Alliance, gets them down to flesh, and Vex is doing it again. 2.0 against Alliance here.
Oh, I can see Alliance getting bullied out of this position right now. With a lot of this fighting, you can expect the squad to get involved ongoing and on looking on some of the fighting here. Vex Gaming gets the first knock onto Hockeys. Now they're going to be playing off of the advantage right here. Look at these different angles here from Vex Gaming.
Are you kidding me? Vex Gaming, the sheer outplay. Let's jump into a listening right here, right now. I gotta hear the hype of Vex.
Good. I'm playing up. I'm queuing up and looking around. Playing up and looking around.
Well played, boys. Well played. Can someone go back to both sec?
Yeah, one sec.
Enemies right
I'm gonna
here.
go one sec.
Go first.
You guys on drugs or something? Actually, I'm not even doing anything. I'm just like, I'm here, dude.
I have 400 damage, dude. I'm just scanning.
I'm on 500 only.
I'm on 1,100.
Don't get cocky though. Like,
Yeah, I'll get.
play full focus.
Yeah, I'll get.
Okay. I'm just taking all the loot, then you can switch.
All I need is light on me, yeah?
Yeah, you have gold light mag, 400 light. You're
Yeah. Then we can.
Alright, I'll stop now.
Yeah.
Tyler, stay on the can. Watch this side as well.
Don't see anything right now.
Go on, look.
You want team?
Tyler, look what's
I don't
happening
wanna
on this
leave
side. Look what's happening on this side. I got your spot.
Oh, I'm coming. Yeah, I'm coming.
Get the loot you need. Watch what's happening on the left. How are the team on the left playing? That's the one team on cannon. I think it would be better if we swing ball sec.
Look. No one's here.
No one? Okay,
No
but
one
the problem is, we want to fight for this high ground eventually, right? Like do this all now. But I think it's easier to do it from the ball sec side. Like we walk through and like land somewhere on on low ground here and then fight them up.
Let us explore there.
Like we want the ridge. And if there's no one here, it's really good because then there's no team keep inside.
There you have it. I love that listening with Vex. And by the way, they were absolutely screaming their minds off as they were pushing Alliance, and we caught them right at the end when they finally calmed down a little bit. But you hear them gassing each other up. You hear them getting all types of hype for this potential massive game. And it's Tyler FPS with 1,100 damage, 8 of his team's 9 kills. Tyler is popping off.
Yeah, he's going off. And I also really love the comms that we heard from them saying, you know, don't get cocky. Yeah, we're popping off right now, but let's keep our cool. We're doing really well. We got a lot of KP on our favor, and now they're going to take the Skyward Dive. I like the plans as well, trying to discuss where they wanted to rotate, what they wanted to do, and backing off before making this move, because this could be very risky at this point in time. Taking the Skyward Dive where so many space in Shipwell have already been taken.
I think they're pinging right where Foot Esports is. They're going to get the intel, courtesy of the Valkyrie passive, so they have the information. Will Foot be the next team on the Vex Gaming hit list? It's been Alliance. It's been Scars. Vex has been running through every team, V2 as well. And Foot is the next team in their line of sight. The early knock's going to come in. Vex cannot be stopped.
Deleted, shoved in a microwave, and roasted them while they were at it here. Vex Gaming claiming heads like nothing, putting them on stakes, and now they've also taken up this side of the circle away from Foot after sending them back to the lobby. They're looking great, but they're in the line of sight of IG, starting to fight on the other side of Shipwell as well. Look at those Watson fences set up. That's why maybe kind of focused on another squad that's right behind them, so with proper timing, Vex could actually make this clean rotate right behind them.
Yeah, I mean, Vex already has 12 kills, and we're not even done with ring 3 yet. I mean, it's just insane what they're doing right now. It's not like they're doing it against chumps. I gotta hold that thought here. Game Ward find themselves in a fight against the Fire Beaver. Psychop gets the first kill, and Game Ward is gonna eliminate Fire Beavers just as fast as Vext has previously done, but it looks like a third party is coming. It's Aurora nearby.
Yeah, they're playing on the edge of the circle. We know how many squads love playing the edge. There's such limited cover, though, once you exit out of this bridge. That's going to put you in the line of sight of so many squads that are playing off the south side of the circle. Game, we definitely need to be careful on this rotation.
Element 6 getting taken out in a matter of seconds. I mean, this game, I don't think any team wipe has happened in more than 10 seconds. Every team is just dying in a matter of a blink of an eye. That's how aggressive these teams are playing. You like to see this new EMEA playstyle of pure aggression. A lot of edge fighting teams makes for highly entertaining Apex, and Aurora is the one that started that trend here in EMEA. Still playing Catalyst, and they have indoors, plus obviously Catalyst being able to control all types of ground and cover. A good situation for Aurora here. We question their ability to perform in a early rotate scenario, and they're in a good spot here going into this late game. I want to point out one last note on Vext, as they are going to find themselves in another fight here. But it's not like they're doing it against chump teams. Alliance, Scars, Foot. It looks like it's a bunch of Predator players playing against Bronze players with how well they are pushing every fight and how much they are decimating these teams. It's so impressive what Vext is doing.
It shows how confidence just goes such a long way. When you are feeling yourself in Apex Legends, when you feel yourself frying, there's nothing that can stop you. That Hall of Momentum could definitely go in for a reset in the way that some of these teams play so aggressively. But if Vex continues onwards, look at this. They're taking another fight. Going all the way to the high ground. They're taking the gravity lift all the way up from the Horizon Tactical. They're out of the line of sight of the Seer ult, and they're playing safely out on the outskirts of that Watson fence line. Look at the actual aggression coming in from Vex, the repositioning, so the way they call it quits. The pressure as well from the flat line here in the hands of Tyler FPS. They get the first knock, and they already have the advantage.
And this is the thing, when you're playing with this much momentum and this much confidence as a team, keep going. Don't be afraid to take these fights, and that's why I'm glad they chose to push Alliance like that. They're pushing every single team. They feel impenetrable. They feel unstoppable, and the reality is, they are. You cannot touch Vex Gaming right now in a fight, in a 3v3. They are literally in final Super Saiyan mode.
Excuse me, Vex, where were you? Where have you been? You were 14th overall before this game, and they are popping out VZN now, getting circle kept on the edge of this next circle. You can see them having the advantage in terms of player advantage. Game Ward down, YOLO at the same time, and they get wiped out just immediately right afterwards, getting sent to the lobby in 9th place. VZN sitting in 1st overall, currently still trying to claim as many points as possible, and this is definitely the way to do it if they're going to rotate from the circle on this side.
I mean, the way today's Pro League has been playing, Vicky, it's the evolution of edge fighting teams that are shining. Every team that is on top of the leaderboards and has been popping off of these games. I mean, think about it, Vex this game. Last game was Aurora, VZN with high kill games. The meta is evolving in front of our eyes with that old school passive Invictus gaming, you know, Nasky Strafey Dell type of early rotate and chill playstyle, not necessarily doing the job. Today, it's all about edge fighting teams playing hyper aggressive and picking up high kill games. Obviously, you know, we're far from over yet. This is only game 5, but it's been so impressive what VZN, Game Ward, Vext, Aurora have been able to do.
It's so nice to see the different types of compositions that they are also able to do it with, you know? Even though we see Vex popping off with the Horizon, with the Seer, with the Valkyrie, it's other squads like Aurora in the last game that are now being able to use Catalyst. That's going to be so interesting to see how that's going to develop, especially since they're holding onto the building with the Catalyst. A nice little cheeky angle here for Unlucky, just trying to see any of the squads that are playing underneath Chipfall right now, because Vex Gaming have the high ground advantage.
That's right. Vext, can they finish is the question. We talked about it and I mentioned it earlier in the show. Their best placement since day 1 of the Pro League for them has been 6th. Their best placement overall was 1st, but that was weeks ago. And Vext Gaming break into the top 3, gonna break that curse with a 17 kill game already. They are on mark to make history after history was already made from Aurora with 21 kills. Can Vex top that with a 23 kill game? We'll find out. Buckle up, because this late game is about to be insane.
7 squads left right now. We got Aurora, IG, LFO, Vex Gaming, Nightmare, VZN, and Reply Totem. Let's go into a listening for VZN as Nax goes down.
Done.
Go res,
I'm resing.
res.
I can't res. What? I'm resing. They're resing too. VJ, watch your back.
Res. It's fine.
Yes, bro, we're good.
Stay
cancel them, maybe, VJ.
I don't know.
Can you get from?
I'm gonna get inted.
Wait, just wait. We got her.
Wait, on me, swing me. Help him. No, I'm
Come
fighting.
to me,
I'm
come to me,
back.
come to me.
Medkit, nice. You need
There's
to
two
medkit.
squad this side, guys. Just
trust
chill,
me.
just chill.
DJ, trust me, it's better on me. It's better on me.
Yeah, just chill, bro. Just chill.
Yeah, just watch this team.
Bogey here, and I'm looking
We good here, boys.
They're gonna
Just
swing
chill,
from
man.
here. They're gonna swing from here.
Numpty in our orbit.
Shoot this team.
Let's get bandit close by.
I'm gonna headshot this guy. Just wait. Beacon.
He's swinging. 100 of them.
Nice. Just chill. There's two squad, guys. Two squad right side, okay?
Yes, they're gonna get.
5 and 130 on this guy.
I have
Fucking
digis.
shitter.
Do you have a digi next?
I do. I have a digi.
I'm going in the smoke. They have
There's
scouts.
two squad. Remember, guys.
I'm not swinging.
I know.
Just watch
What's in
this.
above? What's in above as well?
Next, give me the suppress. Next. Zane, you need nades?
Yeah, I need nades.
Take.
Tell me when these guys are peeking, I'll peek them. Zane, watch my right. VJ, watch here.
Okay, I'm watching here. I'm watching on my thing.
I'm watching next.
If
They're
they
gonna
go
fight.
inside, we're so good. If they go inside.
Yeah, they have to, bro. They have to look at zone next.
Look at this guy. 100.
My bad.
Just keep looking at that next. Keep
Walk
looking at that.
up.
It's fine. They're
I'm
not
gonna
gonna
let them
come
know
with
we're
us.
Zane, keep watching my right.
I am.
Keep watching my
I'm
right. Yeah, good,
literally
good.
looking.
I'm gonna scan them. No, they're not picking.
Land in on there.
They're scanning.
Zane,
They're
keep
not-
looking
they're
at
not
VJ.
on you.
I
not
am
on
next. I'm literally staring at it. Next, be careful, bro. They could triple swing you at any time.
Someone's got there.
Team above as well.
You got light? I have no bats. No
Yeah,
light.
I have light.
I light. I have a lot of light.
Okay.
Guys, keep looking here. I'm gonna climb up, okay, to see what's going on. Can we take height?
I'm still
Okay,
looking
I'm
right.
looking,
I'm
I'm
still looking
Wait,
right.
height.
I'm gonna steal this.
No, cause this.
I know. I'm just getting them a fight.
Wait, look
They're
at that.
crouching in the
That's
hole.
45 on him.
Perhaps we should start orbit this way.
They're still crouching in the hole. On here.
I know.
Look at them. Look at them. I'm horizonting. Don't die. I'm.
Chill.
They're gonna get some. We're good.
Heal up.
Very good.
I'm healing up.
Lose bogey.
I'm canceling them.
Nice. They're
Chill,
gonna die in the back.
chill.
Yeah.
They might pick again. Careful.
No, they won't.
They won.
They're gonna push that side.
Go. Wait. Chill. They scanned us. Chill. This team.
Break the drone.
I break it.
Dead.
Oh, I don't
Can we
snipe
break-
anymore. No bats?
No bats, no cells.
Wait, I need to. What the fuck I'm doing?
No bats, no cells.
Here, next, take one. Yeah.
I'm aiming right. Guys, we're not gonna win this game. We play for points, okay?
Yes. Just watch your
Rise
swing.
my
You're gonna
eight,
triple
okay?
swing.
Crouch.
Guys,
Crouch.
On this side of
They're
the
gonna
fence.
fight. They're gonna fight.
Yeah,
We
late
can.
next. Late. Let them fight.
Let them fight. They have to fight on that side. Okay, they can't. They can swing.
Do you
maybe
like my
they
idea or no? We play this side of the fence. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yes,
I do.
yes, it's good.
I kill them.
They knocked
They-
one. Just play for the points. Play
Fine,
for the
just play
points.
for points.
They're shooting top right now. Top is killed.
Okay,
guys. Top
we
is
need to
killed.
help this and push left, okay? Can we go now?
No.
Aim left.
See,
They're
kill it, BJ.
above. I don't queue.
No, I lied. On you,
Just
better.
stay on me, guys.
After
Shooting
that.
through the smoke. Cracked one.
Guys, can we play for kills here?
There's a
They
guy
want
next
to
to you.
munch them down, kill them.
I'm cracked him. I'm batting.
I cannot, bro. All you.
No, bro. they
It's
just
fine.
triple
Good
swing
shit.
that. Are they-
Let them talk about it at the very end. 3 squads left and Dex Gaming get wiped out. Aurora is left here, but it's only down to 1. It's Nightmare Esports that take another win under their belt. After winning game number 2, they now take game number 5 on Storm Point.
There it is, Aurora. 3 games, top 2. Consistency and placement is the name of the game for them, with some kills along the way. But that's not the only story from Game 5. I can't wait to bring Tiff back to the conversation here in a moment because, wow, there's so much to talk about there. Vex with a dominant game. You saw some great things from VZN. And really, Game 5, the story was the rise of the Edge fighting teams, Vicky.
Yeah, it's always so great to listen into those comms. VJ was the most calm and collected one. You saw that Zane came in as the loot goblin, saying that he didn't have any loot, tossing out all the light ammo in the world and those shield bats as well. I also really like understanding when teams know when to call it, whether they want to play for the dub or whether they want to play for the points. So that listening really does put a highlight to VZN's situational awareness, understanding where the squads were positioned and which squad had the positional advantage, like Nightmare holding onto the high ground, overlooking all the chaos happening inside the buildings.
Yeah, that's right. And in the end, they obviously want to play for points and kills. Their name of the game for them was pick up as many kill points as you possibly can. Don't worry about placement, but they got taken out soon after. A really solid game from them though overall. Loved that listen and completely agreed. And I actually didn't catch which team swung on them. I think it was either Nightmare or Aurora. I'm excited to see the final circle there and take a look at the highlights in a moment because it was a really, really interesting late game circle and you felt like it was anyone's game to win. But in the end, it was Nightmare that did it. The team that's been most consistent in placement today, Vicky. Again, we mentioned it, but top two finishes, 2 wins. Really good consistency overall from Nightmare, the Polish squad. I've been really impressed.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget, game number 1, they got second place with 7 KP. Game number 2, they ended up winning with more 7 KPs to their name. And then so far, so forth, throughout the rest of the day, they've still been able to clutch up a lot of KP, even if it isn't the placement that they desire. But all in all, they still were able to get the dub for this game.
That's right. This is where it began. I mentioned it earlier. The Vexed Gaming hit list, targeting team after team. It started with V2. They were on a mission, and it was insane. And just the way that they melted every single team, I love that we're catching every single replay. First, it was V2, then it was Scars, and then it was Alliance. And despite Alliance being a really good fighting team, especially with Effect, they still got melted. It was just unbelievable what we saw Vex do, and this is where they ulted and did the same thing right away to Foot. Foot didn't even fight back. They didn't even take any damage. They just got instantly deleted from the lobby, Vicky. What a game for Vex.
Yeah, they got bullied. They were literally holding forward. They were feeling themselves, and they even bullied out this squad that was on the high ground right here. Despite the Watson fences setting up a perimeter, I believe this may have been start a fight. Vex was like, all right, we got other plans in store for you guys, and they were able to not only wrap around this squad, but take out basically in another full squad wipe until the very end. I believe they got 3rd place or so.
Yeah, that's right. It was a flat line of ults and his controller is all the Tyler FPS needed right there. Absolutely dominant. So well played from them. Here's where Aurora was holding high ground so well. Did some good damage onto VZN and kind of kept them at bay, but didn't get the final kills, I don't think. Vexed, 7 squads left, snuck into the top 3, top 4. Didn't get the placement, so it isn't going to be a hugely monstrous game because they missed out on 4 or 5 placement points, but still going to be a ridiculous game for Vexed overall. 19 kills. They take out IG right after. Are you kidding me? And this is where we saw VZN get swung on.
Yeah, this is the point where I love listening to the comms. Nice little off angles that Nags was taking to pressure out the squad on the high ground. They'll also pressure out the squad that was hanging out on the inside. Vex Gaming then took to the skies off of that gravity lift, and they got fully sent on by Aurora, who also held the back end of that circle. Great awareness from them because they also had the makeshift cover of the Bangalore smoke.
Yeah, Vex then ended up finally getting taken out of the hands of Aurora. And in the end, it was Nightmare Esports, I think, versus Aurora, who got 2nd. And that's going to be confirmed. Yep, 2nd place for Aurora, 5-kill game. And then there it is, a record indeed. I actually called that. A 23-kill game from Vex. Are you kidding me? 30 points, even though they're in 3rd place, Vicky.
And Nightmare still being consistent. Look, it may not be double digits, but it's the fact that they continuously get 7 KP with these dubs means that they're going to stay in their spot in the overall leaderboard, probably claiming that 1st place spot. But Vex Gaming with 23 KP and this 30 points in this game, even though they didn't take the dub, they got 3rd place. This actually may set them up pretty in number 1 spot in the overall leaderboards at that game 5.
Yeah, and this is the point I mentioned. I mean, crypto teams, IG, Game of Drones, 6 points, 2 points. How do you even keep up if you're just rotating and getting just a few kills? Obviously, you know, this game, I mentioned it, the theme of game 5 was edge fighting, aggression, and I wouldn't say the meta is going to completely shift, but you got to think teams in North America and other regions are watching and taking note and seeing how, you know, really exciting and successful these teams are being on edge. I mean, this is just insane right now. As we take a look at the series results, again, neck and neck from our top 4 teams, and Vex is only in 4th.
Wow, so they are in that 1st place spot. That wasn't enough points because Aurora and Nightmare obviously popped off in their own regards here too, but sitting in 4th, let's not forget, they were sitting in 14th before that game, so they went up 10 points, sitting in 4th right now, tied that with Fire Beavers, who also had that individual pop-off game earlier on too. So far, our overall standings, even 1st all the way down to what, 5th place with Fire Beavers? It's very close for this last game to determine a lot for these squads.
That's right. Wow. I mean, all I gotta say is, look, someone slipped them this Vexed elimination list because they just absolutely ran through every single team in the lobby. V2, Scars, Alliance, Foot, start a fight, and IG to wrap up with Totem. Those are some big names, and they literally just took care of business there in that game, Vicky. Call
yeah,
the
they had to
cleaner
claim
up, all right?
heads. They were keeping everything noted too. After leaving World's Edge, they were like, all right, well, we saw that you guys circle kept us. That's fine. Don't worry. We got you. Next time we're going to bully you. You're next. And they got that hit list ready, set up, and good to go for game number 6. Because if that's what they did in one game, I mean, what is with these EMEA teams with these record-breaking KP points, record-breaking points in general, trying to take all the dubs of the world, looking at Ascend just the other day that we got to see them? This is incredible showing from EMEA. I'm loving this region.
It's been so much fun to watch from start to finish, but there's still one more game. Vex has to be consistent. Can they do it again? That's the question. It is anyone's game, anyone's series today. We'll find out who will clutch up in game 6 when it matters the most after we come back from this short break.
Apex Legends Global Series Monster Energy, your official energy drink for the ALGS.
WD Black is the official storage partner of the Apex Legends Global Series. Welcome back, everybody, to a highly entertaining ALGS EMEA Pro League. We hope you're enjoying the action as much at home as we are. I'm John Kefalukas, also known as Fallout, and of course, joined alongside Spider Tiff and Vicky Kitty. What a day it has been, and I'm excited for none other than game number 6, which is loading up and just around the corner. And to call all the action, I got to bring my duo back to the conversation. It's Vicky Kitty as we get ready for game number 6. What's up, Vicky? How you feeling right now?
I'm feeling great. I love watching such great Apex action. I mean, that's literally what we've had all day long is amazing competitive Apex. It's so difficult to call out individual performances when so many players are popping off. I mean, we just saw Tyler tweet out just basically how he basically had the best game of his entire career. And I'm excited what this means in terms of momentum going into our final game, because it's looking incredibly close with our top 5 teams, even though, you know, we have some teams that have decided to make a name for themselves, build up that gap early on throughout the day. Other teams just decided to have record-breaking numbers that just catch up to them immediately right afterwards.
Yeah, and I'm excited for what it means too, because at the end of the day, it won't mean a whole lot unless you can do it again right here in game 6. I mean, yeah, cool. Monumental, heroic game, certainly exciting, certainly fun to watch. But at the end of the day, you need to perform in game 6 if you want a top 2, top 3 finish. So it all comes down to this last and final game. Despite that Herculean effort from Tyler and Vex, only in 4th place because they haven't been consistent in other games, but certainly you got to put respect on the name of a record-breaking game, 23 kills to their names. I mean, what a showing for Vex Gaming in game number 5, but who's going to perform here in game 6 is the question, Vic. Are you sticking with your prediction in Aurora? I think it's a good one.
I am going to stick with Aurora because they've been very consistent, and I feel like it did take some time for them to ramp up before they took that game number 4 with 21 KP to their name. But I do feel like with the way that they've played in the previous Pro League days, I could see Aurora being the more consistent squad in this entire lobby.
Yeah, and I gotta agree. I mean, we talked in the pre-show, and my prediction was Alliance. I thought Alliance was gonna make a statement today, and they're well behind the overall standings. But we talked about who's the best team in EMEA. Is it clearly Ascent? Is it the Kansas City Pioneers and their consistency? Well, to be honest, Aurora's making a case right now for them to be the best team in Europe. What they've done in not only playing an aggressive edge playstyle, but doing it consistently. I mean, they've been top 3, top 4, I think, multiple games in this series. It's really, really impressive what I've seen from Aurora. So I gotta agree with that and double down. I think Aurora's been impressing today. I'm interested to see where this zone pulls, though, because I think they will prefer a northern zone so they can really play that true edge playstyle.
Yeah, very true, especially seeing how Aurora kind of had to get out of their comfort zone and play within the circle, looking like the last circle favored them over in their POY and chip ball. Now we're going to see where this final circle is going to take us in our final game on Storm Point and in the EMEA region. Always nice to see a lot of these squads change things up, even if it comes to bringing in a different legend into the composition, like Catalyst that Aurora has been rocking.
Like to see the diversity. Aurora, formerly known as Team Empire, the first team to run a Mad Maggie Fuse team composition. Pulled out Bangalore when no one else was really doing it. Bloodhound when no one else was really doing it. Aurora's not afraid to change up their play style, change their team comp, and I love that they're the first team to be running Catalyst so consistently and with so much success. I know we've seen CLG do it in North America and a few other teams, but no one has found as much success as Aurora has.
Yeah, you know, and just to put it on the record, it's not super surprising, obviously, to see the Mad Maggie. They've been rocking the Mad Maggie for, what, about a year now at this point? So it's not something that they're just bringing out of left field. We were expecting it, but the fact that other teams in EMEA have started to incorporate the Mad Maggie has been even more impressive to me because we've been seeing so much of the Seer, so much of the Horizon. So that's not what's surprising at all. Of course, we have seen that composition, but it's the fact that other teams are now starting to catch on to change things up themselves in their own team comps.
Yeah, that's a good point. What it's doing for the overall meta, it's shifting things quite a bit. And I mentioned it last game. I've been harping on it quite a bit, but I really do believe it. I think Game 5 was monumental in terms of what it's going to do for the overall meta, the shift that I think it'll bring. I think you're going to see more and more teams continue to play these aggressive team comps. And I think the very aggressive Bloodhound team comp that we saw back in like Season 4, Season 5, and that play style might be back. Edge fighting is still well alive, and it's showing today as Echo, speaking of Edge, find themselves in a fight against Game Ward. It looks like that fight will not continue.
Look, I love bathing in the booth sometimes. Got to give love to all the Bloodhound mains out here. I stand with you guys out here. And as Echo Esports haven't been having the best day, they're also at risk of getting regulated into the qualifiers. So having these 50-50s be a threat to them is very scary in this final game. They want to make sure that they can get as much loot as possible for making the rotation out of Down Beats.
Yeah. Well, as things slow down here a little bit, I got to take a moment for an educational moment for all the thousands of people and everyone watching at home, because it was a travesty that what I just saw on screen. These are professional players and they don't know this. So you know the dragons that fly and drop loot?
Yeah, the flyers.
Yeah, the flyers, thank you.
Yeah.
You just saw, I don't remember what player it was on Nightmare Esports, take one out. All you got to do is shoot it once, get it to flap its wings with one bullet, get it to flap its wings, wait for 3 flaps, and then shoot it again with 1 bullet. You don't got to waste 2 clips like my man on Nightmare Esports just did. You just wait for 3 flaps of the wing, and then shoot it 1 time. That's the algorithm, if you will. Shout out to my man Blaze who taught me that. But it drives me crazy when I see people like unloading clips.
You know, it's actually so interesting you say 3 flaps. I thought it was just shooting at the crate itself, the death box. Oh,
nope.
Well, let me hold that thought real quick. E6, though, living in actually a lot of trouble right now. Slayer's now having to move in, trying to get into position to get that res. But IG already getting contested on the outskirts of wall.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Element 6 out. See you later, Element 6. I mean, gosh, it's such an underwhelming showing from them yet again. It's really unfortunate. That's not the showing that they wanted. We'll see if they can clean things up because they're going to have to these last few days. But also, Invictus. I mean, Invictus came out swinging their last Pro League day in this matchup, and they got 2nd place. They were right behind Gaming Gladiators. We thought that they were redefining the meta themselves with that crypto playstyle, the early rotate for Intel. Noises came into the interview so confident that that was the right playstyle, and they might have to rethink things. I mean, Invictus has had a really underwhelming day, and we haven't seen a lot of them on screens. We don't know what's going wrong, but they're down to a team of 2 here. They have to somehow work their way out of this and see if they can bounce back and perform here in Game 6. They need it.
Yeah, I'm glad that you highlighted them because they're sitting 6th in the overall leaderboards in the entire EMEA region. But today specifically, they are sitting in 9th, so they are within that top 10. Yep. But something, that we're usually used to seeing from IG is to be in that top 4 spot. They go in for a Skyward Dive, looking at VZN as Nags falls incredibly low. He needs to reset. But with these early rotations, we've seen how it's incredibly detrimental for the squads that have high ground over them.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you for the clarification. I thought IG was way further down in the standings, so good call that they're 9th overall. I don't have the standings up next to me. So we'll see if they can perform here in this last game and still kind of take home a top 5, a really respectable top 5. As we're on board with Navi, a team that really is in that category of need to perform, on risk of being relegated. Nice fight for them as they picked up Dazo. which is really interesting. This team historically has been all a CIS team. Dazzo, British player, I believe. So for the first time, Navi, Sanya, and Rugby, former CHMK championship winning team, actually breaks the CIS mold by picking up a Western European player.
Somebody needs to help Zayn. Zayn has had a pop-off day right now, but he's in a lot of trouble. He's in between two other squads. The 30-30 shots are landing. He has some natural cover, but the Seer tactical is gonna grief him in the middle of that recovery. Look at this. He's literally playing a scene from The Matrix, dancing around the missile swarm, dancing around two other squads shooting at him. He's literally around 3 other squads that have made the rotation into the wall super early. And a 4th one is now making their appearance.
Yeah, and he is so happy that this wall is as tall as it is because no one can climb over it and grief him. And I don't know if that team's not running Horizon, but they easily could have just Horizon lifted up. More Seer Qs are going to come. This is so tragic. Zayn is absolutely in shambles right now with Seer Q upon Seer Q absolutely raining on his parade, his ability to revive.
Seer Q, and then the Horizon Gravity Lift to try to grief Zayn in the middle trying to get that res. It missed slightly. Let's see if he can actually pull us off right now because there was another Seer to their south. Missile Storm coming in, that's probably gonna get it. No, it's not gonna get that knock onto VJ. I was a little worried right there. He could try to pull off the Phoenix kit, but Zayn says, look at me, don't look at VJ real quick. He tries to go for a shield swap, and they know how much health he has after that scan.
And it looks like he gets the res off and continuous Syracuse. I just don't know why Navi hasn't pushed this. I mean, maybe they know something we don't, but they have a 3v1. It's just a matter of flying, picking up those kills quickly, and then work your way right back to that building. I mean, I feel like it's a pretty cookie cutter, pretty simple push, but instead, they're going to let VZN actually lift their way out of this situation. We'll see if they'll do it with success.
There is that squad that's on the high ground right above that zip line, I believe, so Zayn's actually going to back up in time. Let's see if he can safely get the res. It's LFO Forever, who they thought actually gave up that space, now cleaning up VZN. What a terrible last game for VZN after an insane performance in that last game. Now, LFO Forever are going to walk away with some of that extra loot, but this is great news for some of our squads that are looking to claim that #1 spot because VZN were in that top 3 after that last game.
So VZN, top 3 team, as you said, Vicky, out of this game. That opens the door wide open for Vexed in 4th, still alive, currently sitting in Stormcatcher, playing Edge. Aurora with their rotation, V2, Nightmare. So same story here with a similar zone that we saw in game number 4. A wall finish or a northern zone means all these same teams will be playing Edge. Fire Beavers finds themselves in a fight against Echo Esports in Checkpoint with Game Ward nearby. So that's what's going on elsewhere on the screen. We'll keep you all updated every step of the way as we take a look and can't watch everything, obviously. But guess what? You can watch everything with Multiview. If you haven't had a chance to check out Multiview yet, maybe you're new to watching competitive Apex, make sure to hit the Command Center button on Twitch. And again, it's available only on Twitch, but it's a really, really remarkable feature where you can watch any of your favorite teams. You can watch multiple POVs. And obviously on the main broadcast, we'll get you covered with the overall flip around. But right now, on board with LFO Forever.
Yeah, very beautiful feature, exclusive to the ALGS. Always nice to use that so that way I can take some notes for my own gameplay in terms of comms, so that way I can know better ways to ILG, or rather LG, my team. Love to lead my team in general. But as we take a look at LFO Forever, they're going to be hiding behind this rock. They're going to be able to actually be safe with the Watson fences. A great news for them in a great position with their composition. As we tune into Fire Beavers, Rolling Thunder going to get called in. They're playing on the other side, on the outskirts of the circle, right here over by Checkpoint. There's going to make a lot of noise for the squads that are going to be able to circle keep them, looking at Game War who rotates away from North back.
Fire Beavers, oh my gosh, the beams and the flatline accuracy. My flatline doesn't do that. Taskmaster push it up. And it's last but not least, see you later. Harold, last member alive, is going to get taken out. It actually was Bardo. Nice job by the Fire Beaver squad. Meanwhile, Vexed Gaming needs to go big. We said it. They got to do it again. And they will. They take out MG Clutch. Will Vexed Unlucky get the heal off? Yes, he will. Gold Knockdown Shield will help. And just like that, Vexed is still alive and has an opportunity to go back-to-back here with a great performance.
Yeah, and playing on the outskirts of the circle right here, too. They're looking for any stragglers right behind them. 17 squads left in this final lobby here. And Vex Gaming are looking beautiful when it comes to the loot. They already got the red Evo shield ready. They got the KP already settled. They've got some damage on the board, as well as the purple Evo and the gold Evo shield for them to work with. So great loot all around for this squad to rotate into the next circle.
That's right. Corpa's right nearby, actually above them in the ridge. And here comes and that's a wise decision to take that Horizon Q just to get intel on that Corpa team, keep them at bay. And gosh, is Corpa next? Is this list going to continue to game 6? I mean, geez, they already took out one member of one team and they got a couple kill points along the way, or sorry, 1 kill point along the way. Corpa now just says, we don't want anything to deal with this. Vex is too untouchable right now.
Now they're like, you know what? You want Thunderwatch? All right, you can take that. I heard the gravity cannon, the yeet cannon, just send them forward. Vex is like, all right, well, they're gone. Let's take some med kits while we rotate through the inside of the circle. We're going to cut our losses. They definitely wanted that extra KP because that would have been free KP since they already took a member out from Corpus. So they're forced to play that out as a duo. Probably won't be able to get that banner. We're going to tune into the rest of the squads that have already made their way into the wall, looking at where this circle is going to be pulling. We still got some squads like Nightmare, Fire Beavers making their rotation on the edge of the circle.
Yeah, and if it's possible, sorry to put you on the spot, production, but if we take a look at the overhead map and show y'all exactly what kind of what we're seeing in terms of rotations, the grand macro of this game, it's going to be Vex having to go all the way north and making a deep, deep zone rotation through High Point. Going to try and find some syringes on the way, which are extra valuable, given that Unlucky has a gold knockdown shield, or gold Evo shield right now. So that'll be a really, really deep High Point rotation for them. Meanwhile, Aurora, V2, Nightmare Esports, and Fire Beavers alongside Corpa still playing Edge on the south side of the map. So expect those teams to run into each other momentarily. And something tells me this is the zone that Aurora dominated. Here's that overhead map. Aurora will be the last team standing because they played this zone to perfection in Game 4. When we thought we couldn't one-up Game 4, Vex somehow did it in Game 5. I mean, this has just been the most entertaining series of Apex I've ever watched, Vicky.
It's almost like every single time we talk about record-breaking numbers, every team in EMEA is like, wait, hold my cereal real quick. I totally got you on something even better. And Aurora being around this beacon means that there's probably going to be some early contention from other squads that want to get the same set of information. You can see the scan coming out. They don't have the seer, so they don't have the information if another squad is going to be rotating right behind them. I do see some pings, so it looks like the stragglers of Corpa that wrapped around past command center may be coming up on Aurora.
Aurora now, I'm sorry, Vex now finally completing that all the way north rotation. That's going to be difficult for them. We'll keep a close eye on them. Meanwhile, Aurora find themselves, speaking of Aurora, back to this high ground spot that we saw Optic win their game in North American Pro League last time. But obviously, this is a much more northern zone. Here comes Aurora. We talked about how good they are on Edge. And Corpa is going to get melted and deleted. See you later, Zerafer. The Slovakian will fall, and Aurora's not done yet. The aggression, the movement speed boost of Bloodhound plus the movement speed boost of Bangalore when fired upon gives them all types of aggressive advantage. And just like that, Aurora will clean wipe Corpa, ending their spree, and Corpa still at risk of relegation.
And the scan, too, to know that there was just one last member of Corpa left before telling him, why are you running? Gonna clean him up as a last member of Corpa. Vex Gaming now, with that long rotation towards the north side of the wall, they're pinging some of the other squad mates that are already inside those buildings, probably on the high ground, that could circle keep Vex, and they don't want to make any more noise because they're not in that circle even after they get out of the circle. So they're going to take the skyward dive instead, which could be a little risky with so many squads already inside of the buildings of wall.
Yeah, exactly. This is that high risk, high reward play. Unlucky as Valk down to 20 HP, might get knocked and somehow still up, but start a fight. Doesn't have a charge rifle, so it's going to be hard to hit these shots. You got to lead them, and somehow they'll survive. We'll see if Vex will land. I'd love to switch back over to Vex to see where they're going to drop, because this is a high risk, high reward situation for them. They're going to take this low ground, and they'll get positioning, but they got to hit reset somehow. It's not looking good for Vex.
Oh, the EMP now coming in as well from the other squad on the outskirts. They're sharing this building with another squad on the high ground, and there's that other squad looking at the mouth of the door. Vex Gaming forced to go into these corners. The arcs are coming in. After that EMP, they know how many members of Vex Gaming are left inside, and it doesn't look great here, Fallout. Vex Gaming in a lot of trouble.
That's right, all up to Matafe, and see you later. Vex is out in 14th, so after a historic record-breaking Game 5, they'll fall early here, and they will be in the maybe top 7 if they can stay there. Horizon in 9th place, one of those teams that's trying to take their spot.
Horizon with a reset as well, going in for that shield swap real quick before another squad gets involved into this fight. But with the Watson and the Crypto being part of their lineup here of the team composition, they clean up one last member of whatever squad that was on the outskirts trying to shoot at them from that building. But Horizon in a really good spot with all the shield swaps to work with here on those death boxes.
Fire Beavers in 4th. They've been consistent, but only one member alive for this team, and we know that Aurora's nearby. This might be some friendly fire. CIS versus CIS taking out Fire Beavers here. As Aurora still alive right to his left. He's going to get spotted out, I believe. But guess what? Aurora has their hands full. They have a fight against V2, and they're going to take it with aggression yet again. Here comes the push. Smoke's going to be out. No, actually, no, he does have a Digi-Threat, so that is a huge advantage. Digi-Threat plus Bangalore Smoke. That's why you run this combo with a Bloodhound and a Bangalore, and they are dominating. 2 members of V2 are out. The last one certainly will follow soon.
And Maliwan also has a Digi-Threat to work with on his R9 here too, so it just beautiful equipment for Aurora to work with, aside from the team composition working in favor for them to get those scans through the smoke grenades. Here comes Ranches now, taking a nice little left angle. They're utilizing the mobile respawn beacon for some makeshift cover. They're ignoring the other squad shooting at them to the right because they're looking to clean up B2. They wiped them out. 12 squads left, and Aurora are popping off to stay on top.
And these EMEA teams, Vicky, are just taking turns popping off. The Aurora does it in game 4. Vex does it in game 5. And Aurora says, hey, we'll take over from here. We got this again in game 6. This time it's their turn. 5 kills to their name. Wow. I mean, I just can't believe what we're seeing here. Redefining what edge fighting is and redefining the current meta is Aurora. Catalyst, Bloodhound, and Bangalore is their team composition, as Aurora is going to be able to hit reset, and they'll continue their run here in game 6.
Let's not forget, before this game, they're currently sitting in number 1 with 68 points with all the extra KP, but they were sitting with just a 3-point lead before this game had even started, with Nightmare Esports with 58 points right behind them. So now they're building up that gap between themselves and the rest of this lobby, and they're trying to take this W. With 10 squads left here, they need to plan their next move to get into this next circle, because it's going to be difficult to get through that wall.
That's right, Aurora here, making their rotation up. And through. Which team is next in front of them? Well, it's all teams in zone. Alliance is outside of the zone currently in the southeast side of the wall. Game of Drones is in the first building closest to Aurora on the southwest side of wall. So that's the next team. And this is exactly what Aurora did last game. They're repeating the same exact strategy, taking this building with Catalyst as well. Here we go. Here comes the push, and Aurora is going to do it again. The early damage is done. They're going to connect for a first knock on Rondon. It's Game of Drones, the same exact team. Do you think they would have learned their lesson, Vicky?
Oh, Game of Drones. Alliance also sharing up this building here. Aurora with the Catalyst has been able to put in so much work. Look at the wall getting set up in the mouth of the door right here as Ranches goes in for a reset with the shield battery. They're getting pinged by another squad that's holding the other side of the building. They may actually get involved for a third party. I believe that's Navi that was holding onto that building. Aurora takes to the high ground, and now with this high ground positioning, they're going to be able to actually scoot and loot and clean up anybody else that's trying to contest them.
That's right. I love how Aurora plays this. Notice what they do. I mean, they initiate the fight, they get the first knock or two, and then they just back out because they know a third party's going to come. They're anticipating the next third party. They're playing chess while every other team is playing checkers, and Aurora is doing it to perfection. Guess what? All 3 members of this Aurora squad are queens pieces because they cannot be touched. They are unstoppable. As I say that, the Molotov does go down, and it's going to be all up to Cleve, the last member alive of this team.
Cleve backed up just in time here too, and this is how serious it is to deal with these Seers. Another squad trying to climb up from underneath the low ground. Cleve gets cleaned up, and it's Scars who were waiting patiently by with white Evo shields in the late game. Are you kidding me? Now they're gonna get melted, but this was detrimental for Scars. They needed to get the placement points, but they won't be able to get all the KP that they needed.
That's right. Nice job by Navi. The last team remaining when the dust settles is the team that needed it the most. I mean, again, currently in 22nd through 30th place. The teams that place 22nd through 30th will be relegated Challenger Circuit, or at least to compete against the top Challenger Circuit team, sorry, for a spot in the Split 2 Pro League, and Navi currently is one of them. This is a Game 6 where they were in 12th or 13th place that they needed to go big, and this is a good start for them.
So many of these squads, like Scars, needed to do so well because they're also in that relegation spot. Currently now, Navi left, Game Ward as well. Horizon, LFO Forever, Navi, Game Ward, and Reply Totem are the last squads remaining right here. 5 squads left in this final game, in this final circle.
And here's what's interesting. The top 5 teams in standings, Vexed, Aurora, Fire Beavers, and the rest are out. So Game Ward in 6th place is the highest standings team right now. This is huge if you're a Game Ward fan. If you're a fan of French teams, one of the top French teams we have in Apex, well, Vive le Français, is we have Game Ward right now with an opportunity to go big in Game 6, to win another one, and to secure a top 3 finish.
And it's so huge too. I know you were talking a lot about our other members, YOLO out here, Aimbot, but Psychop has been having such a pop-off day. I gotta highlight it again here, as Game Ward are gonna be able to rotate over to the side and not get involved in a lot of the chaos happening inside this building. They have a lot of the information from the scan, and you see that Aimbot's got the Beast of the Hunt activated. With a nice gold R301, right now, Game Ward have all the tools necessary to try to take this dub.
That's a good point. In zone, well positioned, and they're going to want to just slowly inch their way in. This is where we saw Ascend in the last EMEA, or one of the last EMEA competitions, take high ground with a Newcastle ultimate, which got them the win. Well, Game Ward doesn't have that same luxury as the teams are ready there. And of course, they're running that Bangalore Bloodhound team comp. So they're playing their comp to perfection right now. Guess who it is? It's going to be Na'Vi. Na'Vi takes the high ground. Look how many shield swaps they have to work with. You wonder who has Godspot right now? Well, it's Na'Vi, certainly with the win condition and Godspot and high ground. But it's going to be Game Ward who's going to have to find a way to use that Bangalore ultimate if they can. I don't see a Watson pylon down, I don't think. So no Watson in Na'Vi's hands. That'll be an opportunity for the Bangalore ult to come through and help them win.
Yeah, that Rolling Thunder would definitely force him off of this high ground right here. They have line of sight of the squad that's playing underneath them. I believe that's Reply Totem. Game Ward on the back end who are not poking at Na'Vi just yet. But Na'Vi also have a lot of these shields that they can just rotate through. Look at this. They're dropping them, and they're going to be able to pick them up just like it's candy.
That's the reality, is that Rolling Thunder's not going to do anything. You can drop a Rolling Thunder, but at the end of the day, you still shield swap, so the damage isn't going to do much. It'll tickle them, if even that. But the big thing it will do, it'll stun them, but it also stuns yourself, and it also stuns your teammates. So if that was not the case, I think that'd be an opportunity for them to push while they were stunned, or at least slowed. But I don't think it's worth it. I think Na'Vi still has complete control of this game here, Vicky.
And Horizon also have the crypto still available, so I'm wondering how that's going to play into the Seer ults that are going to be unleashed at the very end. Here's Final Circle closing in less than 5 seconds for these squads.
Ultimate accelerate here.
Taking a look here as we have Dazo on high ground. Playing with Sonya and Rugby, a big roster change. Picking up Dazo again, that's huge. First time ever CHMK, former squad, Na'Vi has actually played with an UK or Western European player. So that's a big decision. Will that decision pay off for them? Will they show some incremental improvement here in this lobby in this game? As we're currently watching Dazo, Sonya, and Rugby on high ground. We got Horizon below them, Totem nearby, Game Ward on the outskirts, and one lone member of LFO ratting. It's Light trying to secure a top 2 finish and some placement points.
Yeah, it's going to be the Crypto. Like, he could try to grief them. I've heard a Crypto drone get deleted right before this fight, but here they go as they try to take to the skies. Game Ward have them all in their line of sight. Na'Vi getting absolutely deleted. That black hole pulling Rugby in. He's forced to drop from the high ground here. Huge arcs are coming in as Totem also finds some of these frames.
We didn't see it entirely, but it was going to be, I think, Reply Totem who pushed them. Psychop did it at the same exact time, and guess who's going to take control? We predicted it like foreshadowing. It was Game Ward with high ground control and the opportunity to win this game. They are single-handedly bullying their way to winning in this lobby and going huge in game number 6.
EMP after EMP, though, you get the first Crypto drone deleted, and Game Ward see that it's just one rat on the bottom, but Game Ward are not going to give up this high ground. They don't have the ability to easily get onto the high ground after utilizing that gravity lift from YOLO here from Game Ward, but Horizon are still playing off the low ground. If they drop down, they're going to be put into the line of sight of Horizon.
3 squads left. One of them is a rat. It'll be a 3v3v1. The rat is called out. He'll get taken out momentarily. It's Light. See you later. Oh, the team firing is there, and LFO is out. So it all comes down to Horizon versus Game Ward. We know how good Game Ward are in these 3v3 fights. We know that Horizon is not a fighting team. They're more of a placement team. They have Crypto to their name. By team composition, based on the situation, you got to think this is Game Ward's game.
There was one more rat. It's actually going to be Rugby from Na'Vi. He got it to the high ground. He's taking a nice little cheeky angle. He needs to drop from the high ground, though, and the circle's taking too much damage. Game Ward are your other winners after taking game number 3. They take another game to their name, game number 6.
And what a finish that was, Vicky. Game Ward does it in game 3. Well, guess what? They're all about the bookends. They do it again in game number 6. Our last game of World's Edge and our last game of Storm Point. Game Ward performs so incredibly well. I've been impressed by this team. I called them out. Well, they responded to the call of duty. They showed up here in this series and secured themselves a top 3 finish. The question is, was it enough to break into top 2, maybe even top 1? I can't wait to find out when we look at the standings and welcome Tiff back to the conversation.
Hey guys, and what an amazing game number 6 that was. When Aurora went out early on, I was thinking to myself when I saw it ending towards the wall, I was like, this is going to be another moment where we get to witness an extreme Catalyst ultimate and just another game-winning moment for them. But unfortunately, they went out and all chaos ensued. So great job on calling all of the action and great job to Game Ward for taking the win there in map number 6.
Yeah, thanks so much, Tiff. It was a fun one to call, that's for sure. Easy to call when the gameplay is that good. I mean, Vicky, that was some of the most entertaining games we've seen. I think our passion came out, maybe seeped out a little too strong, but how could it not when we had those types of games?
I know, I have so much passion when it comes to Apex, but when it's good Apex out here, I mean, how could you get enough of the action? Not only with different compositions that EMEA bring out to the stakes on a day that is so detrimental, like today, where we're going to see some of the squads that needed to perform in the bottom end of the overall EMEA leaderboards, squads that want to have their opportunity, their shot over in LAN. It's so nice to see game-breaking numbers play out, and of course, our final winners, Game Ward, rocking the Bloodhound in Bangalore. I can't get enough of it, as well as the fact that they were able to counter-rotate on the high ground to take that dub at the very end.
I mean, it's all about the counter rotate, but let's go ahead and take a look at the highlights from match number 6 to see where it all began. Element 6 and a little bit of a scuffle not turning out to be in their favor, and VZN as well, and they kind of went out a little earlier than I would have anticipated Fallout.
Yeah, they did indeed. VZN has shown some great things this series, but just unfortunate game 6. They found themselves stuck between a rock and a hard place, and really, no matter what the decision they made, they were going to get taken out. Kind of a devil's decision there for them. So, unfortunate finish for VZN, but kudos to how well they played overall. And then, of course, Aurora, we thought they were maybe going to do it again with a back-to-back performance on his northern wall finish, but they finally did end up getting taken out, but that was after they absolutely ran through a bunch of teams here, Vicky.
Oh, look at these shots from Starter Fight 2, trying to get as much KP as they could. Foot, who had got bullied by VZN in our previous game, now also claiming a lot of other KP. Aurora managing to make their rotate from uphill, but we're in a very difficult situation once they started rotating through the choke point of the wall. A lot of squads already made their position inside that building, and that's why it's so detrimental sometimes to get that final circle positioning as quickly as possible to make sure that you can at least secure yourself a spot in that final circle.
Look at Taskmaster, sneaky beaver of the Fire Beavers. It's just poking and prodding against Aurora from far away, but here comes the push. You thought they were going to do the same exact thing. They initiated with such good damage, and then they decided to back out, and I like that decision. You expect a third party to come, but ultimately, holding high ground here, the Bangalore ult hurt them and stunned them a little bit, which allowed, I think it was Scars to come through and flank and do damage to them. So we thought Aurora was going to go back-to-back. They got the knock-on effect, and you thought, this is it. It's secured. Aurora did it again, but the flank and the third party came through and took them out as Aurora ultimately got punished.
Yeah, and I believe you're correct. It was Scars just kind of biding their time nearby, waiting to prance on them. And then it was just all GameWord after that, fighting that uphill battle with Na'Vi just running the high ground. And I really like their patience and the fact that Rugby was able to kind of go the distance and salvage any placement points that they possibly could.
Yeah, and Vicky, I'm curious as to what happened here. We get to kind of finally see it from their perspective. They lost high ground, not sure exactly how it happened, but you thought they were in position to win that game, and Na'Vi, but GameWord just took it from under their nose.
Yeah, they were in God spot, but I think Reply Totem just griefed them, and that was the green light for GameWard to just take up that top of the building away from them, and the perfect time to do that to also clean up the rats that were left in the lobby. As you can see, they finished off with 12 KP to their name. Amazing standing here for GameWard when they were sitting in 7th in the overall leaderboards for today before that game.
Yeah, it's just really well done. So many north of 20-point games. And then I just feel like it is this moment where it's going to shake up that overall leaderboard. And I can't wait to jump onto that. But Horizon really showing out here, better late than never in game number 6 with 16 points to their name. And Na'Vi as well with 14. LFO Forever, I feel like they've been relatively consistent along with Reply Totem. But Scars just trying to kind of pull some things left and right to get to that end goal. They're so strong at times. And when they're not, they're just not on. But let's go ahead and take a look at page number 2 Fallout.
Yeah, let's do it indeed. We'll see. We'll take a look here. Guess what? Vexed Gaming, V2, IG, who needed some big games, will fall early. So we'll see what that does to them in the overall standings. Another big one, Fire Beavers. They were in top 4. They had a chance to finally have a huge statement type of week, but unfortunately falling. And the biggest disappointment, well, it's Element 6 in 20th place overall. Not the best day for them. They're going to have to go back to the drawing board yet again after redoing their play style. But in the end, it's Aurora on top. Group C for days. Talk about group of death, Tiff.
A group of death indeed. Last time we saw this group match up, it was Alliance that found themselves at the top, and this time they're ending up in 13th place alongside Foot Esports and GameWard. That last game really kind of skyrocketed them up the leaderboard, tying with Nightmare Esports in 2nd and 3rd, and VZN holding it out with 4th place. Even Fire Beavers doing what they needed to do to just edge out Vex Gaming for the top 5. But I mean, Vicky, what are your thoughts on this?
Just the fact that GameWard was able to use that last game as an opportunity to put themselves in 2nd place above Nightmare Esports, our more consistent team for the day, is very nice to see. And I'm also kind of sitting on the edge of my seat for E6 right now because they needed a pop-up performance today because they're sitting on the cusp of that 10th place before today. As we now get to take a look at the overall standings, where does that set up E6? Because finishing off in 17th means that they're going to have to go back to the drawing board. And look at that. They went from 10th to 18th in the overall standings.
Wow, that is absolutely intense. And if you think about it, we've just kind of ended our 2nd round robin. So everyone on your screen should be on equal match days, and Aurora finding themselves at the top, but only by 4 points. But at the end of the day, you just need to make sure that you're finding yourself in that top 20, right, Fallout? Because you want to get access to that regional final.
Yeah, that's right. that bubble and that push for top 20 is most important. We'll take a look at the next page here and see who's on the bubble. Well, guess what? Navi's there. A really good last game keeps them in the running. Bitfix Gaming, our rookie team. Scar still has life, you know, certainly alongside Start a Fight and others. If you break into the top 20, that's what matters. Why? Because you qualify for the regional final, which is one final Pro League day, essentially. The difference is the winner of the regional final automatically qualifies for Split 1 playoffs. So that's huge. A team that's in 18th or 19th or 20th place, these bubble teams, can make it to playoffs if they can pop off and win that series. After that, it's the top 9 teams in Pro League points. And yes, that last regional final counts towards Pro League points. So first place will get 25, second 21, etc., etc. Top 9 will make it, and the 10 total teams from EMEA will make it to the Split 1 LAN playoffs in a few months.
Also, we are all boiling down to the finales, but let's take a look. This is your series kill leader of the day. And, you know, I have no, like, I would have not expected this, of course. Vexed Gaming tying for the top with Psycop. Tyler FPS with 19 eliminations again. Insane.
Wow, I'm actually so surprised to see how Psycop at the very end was able to claim that same tied KP points with Tyler, who had an insane day, even tweeting out that he had the game of his entire career after having a nice standout performance in that game number 4. Meanwhile, Zayn out here, 17 KP, just double digits across the board for EMEA. EMEA went crazy today.
EMEA went crazy, and that's one of my favorite things. I do love all of the EMEA action, but we do still have one more discussion here for the end of the broadcast, and it's honestly one of my favorite ones. It's gonna be that Monster Energy MVP discussion, so let's go ahead and check that out, presented by Monster Energy. And I wanna start with you, Vicky. Who do you have that you think should be nominated for MVP?
All right, so the entire Aurora squad was up there on that kill leaderboards list, but I have to give it to specifically Cleve out here, because Cleve had a pop-off performance. I love listening to the comms from Aurora originally there too, and their plans to make these rotations that look so difficult to work with. With the Mad Maggie, we highlighted it before, Aurora have been rocking the Mad Maggie for some time, but having the results and the consistency that Aurora was able to work with, not only on World's Edge, but on Storm Point 2, and in another day of Pro League, further highlights that Aurora is here to stay. And while bringing in some changes to the composition, not only with the Bloodhound, but with the Catalyst together, Aurora have obviously been at the lab. They've been making sure that they could practice as much as possible with the different type of compositions that they could work with all together, because it's all about what they feel comfortable with. What about you, Paula? I'm very curious to know who your MVP is, because we got a lot of standout players.
Yeah, that's right. Well, first things first, of course you pick the Cleve, and of course you pick Cleve on Bloodhound, the Bloodhound player for this team. But obviously, I'm just kidding. Jokes aside, he performed incredibly well, and I gotta agree with you. But for me, it's Tyler FPS. I mean, the kill leader for the day, the single game he had is MVP worthy. That alone gives him all types of credibility for MVP for the day. He played out of his mind. The way that he was able to help his team find so much success by just putting in so much damage. His damage output was insane. This game in particular, 2,000 damage to his name. He had 13 kills. That is like a pub lobby stat line. I mean, are you kidding me? 2.5k damage and 14 or 15 kills on the day was unbelievable for Tyler FPS. He performed so incredibly well, and it's great to see Tyler FPS, who was my kind of rookie sensation highlight that I talked about during the ALGS championships in year 1 for EMEA when he burst onto the scene with new esports. Now Ascend is back playing at a high level, and I love to see it. It's great to see Tyler dominating like that.
It really is. Anytime you're going to be a fragger and be so consistent in being that fragger, it's so great to see. For me, I just want to give a quick shout out to VJ from VZN. They started out super strong, and I just really wanted to see them find a lot more consistency throughout it. But VJ, look at him in the listen-ins, right? That cool, calm, collected voice that was really keeping the other teammates in check. And I just want to say huge W from them. And you also mentioned that he did play on that new esports roster, formerly Ascend. So it's good to see him find some success here today.
That's right. Maybe all roads lead to Ascend and Postkill and Kashera, perhaps, because these players are now, you know, spreading their wings elsewhere. But one other honorable mention I got to give too is Psycop. I mean, also a kill leader tied with Tyler. I think we'd be remiss to not mention him as an honorable mention for MVP. IGL of his team, rising from the ashes, if you will. Former Lecite Défense great, is now back on top. You'll love to see it as Game Ward performed today.
Well, we've got Cleve, Tyler, FPS for the nominees, and we've got VJ and Psycop as the honorable mentions. But regardless, that's going to be the discussion of the Monster Energy MVP presented by Monster Energy. Now, for even a better part, I feel like a little infomercial aspect right here, but wait, there's more. Today, we're gonna be getting to talk to one of the players that had an immense impact on the success of one of our teams, and that's gonna be VZN. We're gonna sit down with Nox, and I am so excited to hear kind of his perspective of Pro League and adapting, because you know, wasn't playing in that first week. The team played as a duo, so let's go ahead and get him on the mic, get him geared up, and ready to chat.
Hello.
Oh, hey there, Nox. Can you hear us good? I think we're all connected.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Camera, and I like your hat.
Thank you.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for putting some time together to speak to us after kind of a really intense day. I just want to kind of get your feedback. How do you feel coming off the brink of that? I know VZN played as a duo the first week, and then you kind of came in formerly from EMEA Esports. So I'd like to hear your perspective on that journey and joining VCN.
The boys played, as like everyone knows, they played duo on the first day, and on the leaderboard, that's quite hit us pretty hard. So we had a lot of catching up to do. The first day that we played together, the trio, we ended up getting 13th, and it was the same lobby, and so we knew like what we needed to work on because we're a new team. And then couple days ago, we played. It was our second time in the other lobby against Ascend and those guys. We came third, but we should have came second. And then today it was the same thing. Like we started off really good, everything was like on point, and then as the game went on, we made like little mistakes that cost us like big games, and that ended up actually costing us at the end. Like we should have came second or even first if we like just get those like mistakes out of the way. But in my opinion, that just comes with experience. Like the more we play together, the more we're gonna learn, you know, how the chemistry is with the team and stuff like that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think once you guys kind of get those reps under your belt and kind of grow that team chemistry, I think you guys are going to be incredibly strong. I'll pass the next question over to Fallout.
Yeah, I think you highlighted it well, Nags. I mean, the reality is you guys are getting better and better, and you can just tell you guys are a team that is just gaining momentum, improving week over week. I think it's scary what you're going to be like when you're in your final form. So kudos to that. My question is actually similar to Tiff's. I mean, I'd like to talk about your trajectory. Obviously, you were on E6, and I don't know if you're comfortable sharing what happened, why you left E6, or why if you got dropped, or what happened there. You went to AIM, and then you know that didn't go well. You switched rosters again. It's been a bit of a journey. How does VZN compare to playing on those teams, and why'd you make the decision to kind of leave those teams, and how'd you end up on VZN?
Okay, so I'll start with E6. When I was with E6, we were doing good. We were a good team. We made LAN. We ended up getting top 9 or top 10, I think it was, in the previous Pro League. And then what happened is after LAN, I got bought out by AYM Esports. They don't play anymore. So I joined AYM, and we actually didn't even get to play. So we played only a little bit, and then one of our players from AYM got bought out by Scars. So the team disbanded, and therefore we didn't have the Pro League spot. And I was actually thinking about quitting. Like my vibe was just gone for the game and stuff like that. I didn't really want to play. And then I was like hanging on, let's see what options there are and stuff like that. And then that's when like stuff happened. And then VCN came by. And I was like, okay, like I know them both, and I'll take the opportunity. And as soon as I joined them, I knew that we'll be one of the best teams of EMEA. We just need time. That's all we need. Like I know that VJ is played LAN, and Zane is an insane fragger, as you guys can see. So yeah, with me and VJ just quite gel together because we had experience, and Zane that's our fragger role basically.
Wow, I really like that story too, because just kind of telling the history behind, you know, feeling like you're down in the dumps, feeling like maybe I should take a break from the game, and then coming up with a squad like the rest of VZN. I wanted to ask you how your dynamic is as a team, because we got to do a listen into your squad. I feel like VJ took like the dad role to try to calm you guys down. I saw that Zane was being a little loot goblin over to the side, tossing you guys all the meds and the ammunition that you guys needed. How is the dynamic together working as a team? Because like you mentioned before, you guys are on the come up. You guys got what, 3rd place in day number 5? You guys are out here still consistently popping off, getting 4th now, especially after coming off of a win in game number 1. How's the dynamic together as a team?
Honestly, I feel like we're the type of team when it's like hectic, we play better, sort of. Like we don't like to not do anything. We like to like keep it hectic, the vibes. And I know from a spectating perspective, it looks like everyone's panicking and stuff, like the way we're coming. It just like the way everyone communicates. Like I know teams like C9, they communicate like that as well. Everything's hectic, but they still perform. So I think the dynamic of the team is definitely VJ's more the calm one, I'll say. Me and Zayn are more like the bubbly characters. We're just like the chemistry there. He's from London, I'm from London as well. Like we're UK based basically. So the chemistry is always there, yeah. But that's the dynamic, yeah. It's hectic, but I love it, to be honest.
Hey, sometimes hectic is really cool, and thank you so much for sharing all of that with us, Nox. It's really great sitting down and talk to you, kind of get some more understanding around VZN, and once again, congratulations on today, and I can't wait to see you guys at the top of the leaderboard, because you're right, time, it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming for sure.
Well, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing that. Well, Fallout, Vicky, I mean, Another EMEA broadcast done and dusted, and it was surely an exciting one. I mean, my palms are sweating. We had some insane gameplay, but I'd like to hear your final thoughts on kind of how the day went, and I'll start with you, Fallout.
Yeah, exciting is certainly an understatement. What a day it was for EMEA. And look, I have so much love for the EMEA region. I have for a long time. Coming from Greece originally, I got a little bit of bias, a little bit of love, but today, EMEA was on display at full form. I mean, VZN kicked us off game number 1 with a 19-kill game. We saw a 21-kill game, with the record broken in game number 4, and then a game 5 23-kill game. History was made. It was an unbelievable day of action. Some of the best Apex I've had a chance to cast and watch. Purely entertaining. Big shout out to the EMEA region for putting on a show week in and week out, and I hope it continues to grow as we get more and more eyeballs realizing how much fun this region is to watch. So my final shout out and love is just purely for the EMEA region, all European, Middle East, and Africa Apex players worldwide. Love every single one of y'all. Thanks so much for putting on a show today. It was really amazing, Tiff.
Really amazing indeed. And you're right, EMEA keeps breaking so many records. I'm going to lead it to you, Vicky. Fallout, thank you so much for your work today. And Vicky, final thoughts.
All right, my final thoughts has to be, EMEA, please keep entertaining me with these different compositions and record-breaking numbers, because I have been thoroughly entertained throughout the entirety of the EMEA Pro League. Year 3 Split 1 performance so far. It's only getting better and better. When you think that it doesn't end with Ascent taking, 5 of the games in their day 5 performance, it has to be topped off by these double-digit KP points that we keep seeing a lot of these squads just close out the end of the day with. So it's always so nice to see the EMEA region come out with their very creative approaches to the different team compositions that you don't usually get to see in other regions. So I had a really fun time being able to cover the EMEA region, and I can't wait to see how day 7, 8, and 9 go down.
That's right. We do only have one more round robin rotation here for EMEA, and we only have one more time where we'll see groups B and C tackling each other again prior to that regional final. So thank you so much for your work today, Vicky and Fallout. Fallout, I think this was your last broadcast for Split 1, so congratulations. Enjoy the break. We will see you guys next time. But for us, guys, here's the deal. This action is not ending. We have so much more to come. So make sure you go grab some water, hydrate, get some popcorn, because we're going to have more insane Apex Legends action off the brink of this, featuring teams like FaZe. They've been trying to get kind of consistent throughout their realm throughout here. TSM, one of those extremely consistent teams here in the ALGS history. 100 Thieves, they're going to be here playing tonight because it's groups B and C for them as well. You're going to see the new name for Atlanta Premier, now HEC. So all the action to come, and that's right, Optic Gaming is going to be playing tonight as well. So go grab your snacks, get your water, and get geared up for that North American Pro League broadcast. I'll see you there.